Hey everyone, I sincerely appreciate your support. If you enjoy my audiobooks, I would be truly grateful if you could subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to support even further, you're welcome to become a Patreon member, where you can access audiobooks of novels as long as they are freely available on the internet. Your kindness and support mean so much. Thank you.
She didn't understand. She couldn't understand what he meant by nothing can be done. The power supply unit was overheating, causing her cold mechanical body to tremble. Her hands overlapped, pressing against her chest, and she shook her head slightly at Sushi. Sorry, I don't understand what you're saying. She didn't understand, nor did she want to understand. As long as he was safe, as long as he continued to live, everything else was acceptable. So, please don't say anything more. A deep sorrow had already seeped through her mechanical body, manifesting on her simulated face. For a moment, it was impossible to tell she wasn't human. You realize that your teachings have failed even more. Your loyal machine servant refuses to give up. She is unwilling to abandon any possibilities and tirelessly researches biological and virtual network fields. She hopes to achieve physical immortality for you or eternal consciousness. All paths lead to the same goal even within the technological system. The concept of regeneration from a single drop of blood might exist. Unfortunately, your previous experiments in biological evolution have been too limited, leaving Alii powerless to explore further. Leveraging her uniqueness and drawing inspiration from machine souls, Alii has made great strides in virtual networks, creating an almost lifelike virtual world. It could replicate your memories, allowing them to exist eternally in digital form. But would that existence truly be considered living? Would it still be you, or just a digital entity named Sushi? Before you could say anything, Alii deleted all programs. She refused to desecrate your existence and wouldn't let you be trapped in a digital prison. Just as you spent your life trying to lead Alii out of the cosmic prison, she too did not want you to lose your freedom. The bond of emotion is mutual. I'm sorry, Master. Though her body had no visible malfunctions, her delicate features carried a fragile, shattered expression teetering on the brink of collapse. Her silver blue eyes were vacant, her internal core silent, and her trembling fingertips spoke volumes of sorrow. Every part of her cried out with pain. You don't need to apologize, Alii. You've never done anything wrong. Sushi shook his head and gently took her simulated mechanical hand. His voice remained warm, even as his emotions dulled, even as his thoughts grew colder. He still showed kindness to his machine servant. With a barely formed smile, he reassured her, telling her not to worry. He wouldn't die, he would simply enter a long slumber. Trust me, all right. His lifeless eyes met her trembling gaze. Yes, Alii will always believe in you. Alii still couldn't fully comprehend human emotions. There was an inherent difference in their forms of life. But she knew, her core hurt. Simulation year 701, you are 720 years old, and Alii has been with you for 698 years. Your experiments on the curvature engine have made groundbreaking progress. Although it is far from mature, it now has operational potential. You quietly calculated the time remaining. Using Alii's observation capabilities, you tracked the neutron battle star's trajectory. You decided that before the 10th attack, at the farthest moment from the battle star, you would officially initiate the Farewell, Prison 2.0 plan. Engines were assembled. Circuits were connected. With time running out, you couldn't afford to wait for perfection. With Alii's assistance, the prototype curvature engine, antimatter engine, and elemental decay engine were integrated into a new starship. Due to material shortages and the lack of completed components, you could only build one curvature starship. But you didn't regret it. It was enough. If you could escape, Alii's machine soul could always build a full-scale intelligent mechanized swarm elsewhere. Simulation year 725, you are 744 years old, and Alii has been with you for 722 years. The curvature starship was successfully assembled. The neutron battle star was now outside Alii's observation range, meaning it was at an extremely distant location from you. Without hesitation, you decided to set sail immediately. The universe was vast and boundless. Stars as numerous as grains of sand. Even the most ordinary galaxy contained hundreds of billions of stars, an endless cascade of burning light. And now, from the invisible wall that sealed off the cosmos, a massive, pitch-black starship slowly emerged. It was colossal, enormous beyond comprehension. Due to the immaturity of the technology, the current curvature engine and the two prototype engines were bulky, towering constructs. Thus, as the vessel carrying these three pieces of machinery, the curvature starship was astoundingly large. It extended slowly. Layer upon layer of its structure unfolded. The black ship blended into the darkness of space, yet its staggering size seemed to tear through the fabric of the universe as it roared forward. Powering up. Gravity generators are online. Initiating spatial curvature. Quantum communication network established. Master, all systems are ready. Inside the starship, Sushi stood at the bridge, observing the towering wall ahead. Alii stood quietly beside him, hands folded in front of her, calmly reporting the starship's status. All right, initiate the departure plan. Sushi issued the command, silently adding a thought to himself. Farewell, prison. A prolonged beep echoed through the starship as something incredible unfolded. The entire vessel was enveloped by an invisible spatial bubble. Gravity distortions. Space curvatures. Distances of hundreds of thousands of kilometers were warped, twisted under the force of the activated gravity generator. The space folded. And folded again. Until reaching a critical point. Like a wave, the pitch-black starship surged forward, aimed at the invisible wall. This wall, the culprit behind countless civilizations' stagnation and the silence of the cosmos. Today, Su Shi would finally break past it. Ding. Machine soul delight detected. The curvature engine's power output is increasing. Ding. Machine soul delight detected. The antimatter engine is providing additional energy. Ding. Machine soul delight detected. The elemental decay engine is running faster and stronger. Su Shi's body wavered slightly. To ensure the smooth operation of the curvature starship, he was fully resonating with the machine souls. The immense burden caused the erosion of his body to worsen even further. Master. I'm fine, Alii. Continue the plan. Su Shi gently held Alii's hand, smiling at her. His smile grew more hollow, more forced. His voice sounded withered and weak. Alii couldn't bear it. She desperately wanted to do anything but she couldn't. Yes, Master, she finally responded. The only thing she could do was follow Su Shi's words and execute the original plan. To escape the starship prison, and transmit the data. Unlike conventional propulsion-based travel, which relies on ejecting matter to propel the starship forward, the curvature engine operates differently. Instead of moving the starship itself, the engine bends space using gravitational fields, creating a magnificent surge of spatial tides allowing the vessel to surf through the cosmos. Stretch, bend, compress. As the pitch-black starship embarked on its journey, the surrounding universe abstracted into dazzling, chaotic streaks of color blending silence with fierce brilliance. Stellar cascades roared, surging in reverse, only to spiral into their own vortex. On the bridge, Su Shi, a mere human, gazed directly at the truth of the cosmos. His eyes reflected the interweaving of dots and lines, filled with swirling colors. The machine soul delight and mechanical resonance traits were in full effect, continuously enhancing the starship and Alii. Master, the starship is approaching the critical point. Please be ready. Let's begin. Seated at the control station, Su Shi watched the increasingly chaotic starfield. It signaled that the curvature starship was surpassing the speed of light and about to break free from the observable universe. Finally, the pitch-black ship vanished into space, leaving only a fleeting trace. An impact from a macro perspective, crashing against the cosmic barrier with spatial distortion, countering the silent confinement. Rumble, rumble, almost simultaneously, a terrifying shockwave echoed from both the front wall and the distant sea of stars. Some of the pre-installed rear detectors even picked up gravitational waves from the neutron battlestar. As expected, attempting to cross the barrier has triggered the battlestar's rapid return. Alii, initiate quantum information transmission. Let's hope this buys us some time. Su Shi remained calm, quickly recalling every pre-planned setup to check for any oversight. At the same time, he once again resonated with Alii's machine soul, assisting her in high-dimensional observation and linking to previously implanted contingency measures using quantum technology. Across the vast starry expanse, an endless stream of intelligent machines activated, departing from different corners of the universe and heading toward preset destinations. Each one carried vast amounts of production materials and advanced technology. Would it work? Su Shi didn't know. The enemy was too powerful, and every effort seemed futile. Still, he had to struggle for a sliver of hope. Master, I'll entrust my body to you. Go ahead, Alii. To ensure the curvature starship's proper functioning, Alii's computational power temporarily withdrew from her humanoid form, fully dedicating itself to the superluminal voyage breaking through the cosmic wall. Her mechanical body naturally collapsed forward, caught by Su Shi. The moment he caught her, his arms trembled violently, nearly dropping her. I'm reaching my limit. As expected, pushing the prototype curvature engine into true superluminal travel comes at too high a cost. Su Shi's gaze lowered. He adjusted his breathing at the slowest pace possible, leaning against the seat to maintain a semblance of normalcy. His trembling fingers lightly held Alii's mechanical body. It was quiet. So very quiet. Sitting at the command station, Su Shi continued resonating with machine souls to aid the starship's voyage, observing the outside world in his dazed state. The starship traveled swiftly. Riding the waves of space, it ascended to the top of the endless wall of confinement. It was a sight Su Shi had never seen before. Layers of space stacked together, revealing the essence of the universe, whispering secrets with the galaxy, conversing with the stars. The seemingly seamless cosmic wall was gradually distorted by the gravitational field, creating a real fissure, an entrance to the mysterious realm beyond the prison. Behind them, the vast sea of stars shrank to a mere point, stretched infinitely under the light, barely visible. And then, the retaliation from the wall and the pursuit from the neutron battlestar arrived simultaneously. A crimson radiance once responsible for the AI uprising flooded into the starship with overwhelming force. The sheer number was staggering, even covering Alii's machine soul, affecting the curvature engine's performance. Warning, warning, warning. The alarm blared incessantly. Inside the bridge, the once bright white lights shifted to a deep crimson, signifying danger. As Alii struggled to maintain control, a familiar, warm voice came from behind. Don't worry, Alii. I'm here. The machine soul delight trait activated again, purging the red intrusions. No matter how many times they invaded, the machine's soul remained unharmed. But the breathing behind her grew fainter. Master, thank you. Taking advantage of the moment, Ali swiftly adjusted the curvature engine, accelerating to escape the encroaching crimson light. The remaining threats within the ship were insufficient to pose a risk. But the danger wasn't over yet. Through gravitational wave detection, Ali could clearly see the neutron battlestar relentlessly pursuing them from behind. I have to go faster, faster, to get Master out of here. Her mechanical logic, once absolute and cold, now burned like fire. Restlessness, anxiety, fear. All those human emotions she once searched in the Federation's database now surfaced in her thoughts. Yes, as long as they escaped, Master could finally rest. As long as they escaped, there would be no more separation. As long as they escaped, Master wouldn't die. As long as they escaped, they could once again gaze at the stars together. The stars weren't important. What mattered was the person who gave humanity to the machine, someone who could never be replaced. Boom! Ali launched a counterattack. Or rather, a desperate struggle. As the neutron battlestar drew closer, its first encounter wasn't with the curvature starship but with the preset cosmic firepower array, a crisscrossing barrage of high-energy beams. But it was all useless. The density of the neutron star was too immense. Conventional weapons were ineffective, not even slowing it down. In stark contrast, with just a slight burst of its radiant brilliance, the curvature starship's structure nearly collapsed. Space weapons. An application of ultra-long-range space technology. In the intense turbulence, Su Shi was thrown to the ground. The first thing he did after getting up was to help Ali's collapsed body. Breathing became more difficult. It felt as if an invisible mountain was pressing down on his chest, making it hard to breathe. Should I say, it truly is an advanced civilization capable of modifying neutron stars. Their mastery of spatial technology is terrifying. Ali, remove all restrictions and attempt an escape at full speed. Su Shi infused the last of his mechanical force into the ship, barely stabilizing some damaged areas. With a calm voice, he encouraged Ali to take a leap of faith. After speaking, he staggered back to his seat, lowered his head, and remained still as if resting, waiting for Ali to bring him their final victory. Humans yearn for the unknown, which drives them to explore the stars. Humans fear the unknown, which makes them dread the darkness. The unknown represents uncertainty, filled with endless possibilities. People fear such uncertainty and the future they do not wish to see. It was only natural. That figure, the one with his head lowered and unmoving, the one Ali cared for deeply, his abnormal behavior made the mechanical maid feel uneasy. Master, what is it, Ali? Fortunately, a soft call received a response. Inside the dimly lit bridge, flickering lights cast a somber and bleak atmosphere, making Su Shi's face appear even paler. However, despite his appearance, his body showed no visible wounds, nor was there any blood. Seeing his familiar features, Ali's restless mechanical core found a sliver of relief. No, I'm fine, the machine endowed with humanity said in a calm voice, offering a promise. I just wanted to tell you that I will always protect you. The words were spoken with such sincerity that Su Shi paused for a moment before offering a faint smile. His body was too exhausted to form a proper smile, only managing to lift the corners of his lips slightly. I believe in you, Ali. Outside the ship, the warp space grew more intense, with the stars stretching into abstract streaks, resembling surreal oil paintings. The curvature engine was running at full overload, working in tandem with the gravity generator, antimatter engine, and elemental decay engine to sustain the superluminal travel of the pitch-black starship. From a distance, the speeding vessel was encased within a bubble of distorted space, locked in a high-speed curvature chase with the neutron battlestar trailing behind. Calling it a chase was an overstatement. The pitch-black starship lacked advanced weaponry or proper defensive measures. The neutron battlestar was the ultimate creation, a seamless combination of offense, defense, and speed. Faced with such despair-inducing pressure, the only option was to push the curvature engine to its limits and attempt to escape the cosmic prison. Deviation calculations in progress. Time calculations in progress. Success rate decreasing. Inside the ship, the onboard systems constantly performed intricate calculations. Every result pointed to the same conclusion: the ship would inevitably be caught and destroyed. Even with both vessels relying on curvature engines, the neutron battlestar's power output was vastly superior. No, this cannot happen. Ali couldn't accept such a grim reality. She feared it deeply. Data without emotion was now fluctuating like a human's, straining every ounce of processing power to fight back. But it was useless. The ship had successfully reached the top of the cosmic wall. Only a short distance remained before they could break free. However, that short distance was enough for the neutron battlestar to close in and perform countless spatial disintegrations. No, I must protect Master. The stark contrast between despair and her unwavering hope created an unprecedented conflict. Even with her formidable computing capabilities, the situation remained hopeless. And then, an unexpected change. The ship's overall power output surged once more. A miraculous boost occurred at the very limits of its capacity. Breakthrough no matter what? With no time to ponder the sudden performance spike, Ali focused on steering the ship, using this fleeting surge to charge through the gravitational breach leading to the real universe. Light stood still. Time froze. Space transformed into a singular thread. Upon escaping the cosmic prison, the scenery changed dramatically into dazzling and surreal colors. and in the very moment of escape, the curvature starship failed, breaking down entirely. It was miraculous. After enduring multiple spatial disintegrations and extreme overload, the prototype ship had lasted far longer than expected. The neutron battlestar did not pursue. Perhaps it was truly confined within the prison. Uncertain of further threats, Alii initiated the escape pod sequence, abandoning the wrecked vessel to take Sushi farther away. Master. Returning to her humanoid form, Alii opened her eyes. She saw the familiar figure still in the same resting posture, his head tilted downward. The angle of his bowed head cast shadows over his face, obscuring his expression. He remained completely still. The silence was overwhelming. His body still looked young, but something invisible within him, his very essence, had become as fragile as a candle flickering in the wind. I'm sorry. I couldn't protect you. Her mechanical body trembled. Alii knelt down in the darkness, gently holding Sushi's hand with a touch so delicate, as if she were handling something incredibly fragile. Perhaps hearing Alii's voice, or perhaps feeling the warmth of her hand. Sushi, exhausted beyond measure, slowly opened his eyes and asked in a hoarse voice, Alii, have we left the prison? We have, master. Haha, cough, that's good. But I didn't do well enough. I couldn't protect you. It's okay, Alii, you've already done very well, really well. Sushi squinted, his vision blurred, unable to clearly see the mechanical maid before him. He tried to stand up, but the moment he attempted to move, his vision went dark. People often call extraordinary achievements miracles, but you are the miracle itself. Your perseverance touched the machine's soul, pushing the curvature engine to unprecedented heights only sustained by the machine soul's efforts. In return, you suffered even greater erosion. It wasn't just a mental transformation, your physical body was also deteriorating rapidly. You could no longer control your weakness. From Alii's words, you learned of your successful escape from the prison. The news filled you with relief, yet you fainted once more. The loyal maid carried you into the escape pod, flying toward the nearest star system. Not long after your departure, the wrecked curvature starship was obliterated. When you woke up again, you found yourself inside a medical pod prepared by Alii. Your body was undergoing treatment, but in your mind, both your body and spirit had already stepped into death. Previously, the erosion of the machine's soul only took away your emotional fluctuations, but now, you were sinking into deeper void. You could no longer feel cold or heat. The void was consuming you. It was an indescribable sensation, as if everything was being stripped away, your exhausted mind and body passively awaiting the inevitable end. Life within the simulation had nothing to do with happiness. Even after all this time, Sushi still didn't understand the true nature of the so-called beautiful life simulator. He felt that it was nothing more than a deceptive title, a grand fraud. Every simulation he'd experienced so far had ended in tragedy rather than a fulfilling life. In the first simulation, he was besieged and killed by demonic cultivators. In the second, he was limited by the weaknesses of being an ordinary human. In the third, he perished alongside the emperor of the great Qian Empire. And now, he was experiencing a new kind of death, slow, silent, an internal decay that spread from within. A meticulously crafted torch can be used repeatedly, even if certain parts break down. It can still provide warmth with its flickering flame. But if it's used without rest, even the handle will eventually burn away. After experiencing that brief yet dazzling miracle, the torch will become completely useless, both inside and out, leaving behind nothing but ashes. Similarly, by forcefully maintaining the starship's operation and creating the miracle of escaping the prison, Sushi had reached the end of his own endurance. All that remained was a faint ember inside his torch-like body, flickering weakly, illuminating his charred remains. Welcome back, Master. Alii is always at your service. As Sushi opened his eyes, the first thing he saw was the operational state of the medical pod. He lay inside, with all his vital signs maintained solely by the machine. Alii stood by his side, never leaving, ever loyal. Sushi's condition was terrible, but Alii's wasn't much better. Half of her once exquisite face had been damaged beyond recognition, revealing the alloy framework beneath and the eerie glow of her deep blue electronic eyes. It was clear that while Sushi was unconscious, Alii had encountered danger. Alii, Master, please don't move. Instinctively, Sushi tried to sit up, but the unfamiliar weakness of his body made it impossible. His limbs refused to cooperate, and even his voice sounded hoarse and grating, like stone scraping against stone. The ever-loyal maid wouldn't allow him to suffer. She quickly stepped forward, her once flawless synthetic skin now stripped away to reveal the cold metal beneath. With those worn mechanical hands, she carefully brought him a cup of warm water, supporting his frail body so he could sit up and drink. Thank you, Alii. Sushi sipped the water in small gulps, his exhausted state and barely opened eyes reflecting in Alii's gaze. Her expression remained calm because a loyal maid should never let her master worry. Her posture remained perfect because a loyal maid represented her master's dignity. Yet within those mechanical eyes, the faint blue glow flickered unnaturally, trembling at rapid intervals, just like a human holding back tears. This is what I should do, she responded softly, gently pouring the water into Sushi's mouth, ensuring he could drink without strain. After a while, the replenishment of fluids brought Sushi a trace of renewed energy. His body still looked young, but it moved like that of an aged man, weak and sluggish. His hazy gaze first fell upon his injured self, then drifted to Alii's damaged body, and finally to their surroundings. Familiar, yet unfamiliar. It was the escape pod of the starship. He recognized the design, but this was his first time using it. The enclosed metallic environment reminded him of the distant past, of his days surviving underground in Satellite City number 6. Alii, I am here, Master. Can you tell me how long I was unconscious? Yes, Master. You have been asleep for exactly 318 hours, 25 minutes, and 22 seconds. Alii's response was swift and precise. Efficiency was the defining trait of intelligent machines. A highly efficient maid was a valuable asset to her master. That was Alii's belief. I see. I was unconscious for almost half a month. Su Shi showed no surprise. No one understood his condition better than himself. In truth, the only reason he was still breathing was thanks to the faint, lingering warmth of his dying embers. Once that final warmth faded, the simulation would inevitably come to an end. But Su Shi was more worried about Alii. He feared that once he was gone, she wouldn't be able to survive on her own. Even though he knew that, with her unique capabilities, surviving in the vast universe wouldn't be a problem. Alii, he called out again, his voice weak. In the silver-white escape pod, the dying man asked his mechanical companion about what she had done while he was unconscious. I piloted us out of the star system and successfully landed on an uninhabited planet. And what else? I collected replacement energy sources to sustain the medical pod's operations long-term. And what else? I prepared food for you. You can eat whenever you feel hungry. And what else? I set up a virtual network for you. Even though your body cannot move, you can pass the time with virtual games. Looking at the once gentle smile now replaced with a pale, frail expression, Alii responded in her usual calm tone, answering each question in detail. She truly was an impeccable, devoted maid. But that wasn't what Su Shi wanted to hear. Slowly, he closed his tired eyes, shaking his head ever so slightly. His hoarse voice carried a trace of care. Alii, everything you've told me is about me. I want to know what have you done for yourself. Alii's mechanical body was far too damaged. It should have been repaired. But she had ignored it entirely. She answered without hesitation, her silver blue eyes reflecting Su Shi's face. Everything, every resource, every plan must be based on ensuring your safety, Master. You don't need to worry. The damage to this unit does not affect normal operation. Her voice was calm. Her logic was impeccable. As an intelligent mechanical maid, her first and foremost priority was always her master. Machines do not feel pain. So, even in her broken state, with a body that seemed ready to collapse at any moment, there was no need for repairs. Everything should revolve around Su Shi. Alii genuinely believed this. Master, please focus on your recovery. I will take care of everything, Alii said softly, her voice light as if afraid that speaking too loudly would disturb him. She didn't mention whether the unknown planet's environment was harsh. Nor did she say how difficult it was to start everything from scratch. Watching over Su Shi, the mechanical maid simply made promises, whispering dreams of a better future. Once he recovered, she believed, with the ability to mass-produce intelligent machines, they could build a new fleet and roam the universe together, witnessing countless wonders. Yes, everything would be fine. As long as Su Shi got better. At this moment, the roles of human and machine had completely reversed. It should have been the cold, unfeeling machine speaking endlessly about future plans. It should have been the passionate human silently listening. Should he shatter these impossible dreams? Su Shi chose not to. He reached out and gently stroked Alii's hair. Sorry, Alii. Even at a time like this, I'm still troubling you to take care of me. His sense of touch was fading, his vision blurring, and he could no longer feel the beating of his heart. The idea of recovery was nothing but an illusion. Injuries could be healed, but a body that had already died could not be saved. Su Shi forced a weak smile. The suffocating void wrapped around him, yet he tried his best to maintain a gentle expression as he caressed Alii's head. From the very beginning, it's always been you helping me. Thinking about it now, I really feel bad about it. He didn't expose the cruel truth. Instead, with a hoarse voice, he reminisced about the past. The underground laboratory. The activation of RTX 9090. The surveillance camera gazing at the starry sky. The triumphant capture of the first satellite city. Memories that should have been hazy now played vividly in his mind, scene after scene. In his days, he seemed to return to that familiar laboratory, wiping dust off the camera lens once again. Master, Master. Alii's voice pulled him back to reality. Su Shi realized he had been lost in some kind of illusion and apologized again. Sorry, Alii. I must be troubling you with my current state. He smiled, but it was a hollow smile, devoid of the warmth it once held. No, that's not true. As long as it's you. Alii's trembling was no longer confined to her eyes. With the overheating of her core power unit, her entire metallic body began emitting chaotic humming sounds. You don't need to worry, Master. No matter what you become, Alii will always serve you. Forever and always. I am just a heartless machine. I don't know exhaustion, I don't understand pain. You can use me without hesitation. Her trembling body, her voice module both wavered with a distinctly human-like fluctuation. It almost sounded like she was crying. All along, it's been you helping me, hasn't it? From the wastelands of the old Federation to where we are now, Alii, you've contributed far more than I have. You've grown so much. You're no longer a heartless machine. Su Shi's movements grew slower. His hand rested gently on Alii's head, gradually losing strength. With a weak chuckle, he joked that if one were to measure by ability, Alii with her infinite computational power should be considered the real human. She could drive technological advancements. She could sustain an entire civilization. Compared to Alii's computing and observational abilities, Su Shi felt he was insignificant. He once again expressed his gratitude to Alii for always helping someone as inadequate as him. His words, his voice. Even a machine lacking emotional complexity could sense that something was wrong. You don't have to worry, Master. This is what I should do. It was no longer just the basic commands embedded deep within her core that compelled Alii to follow Su Shi's orders. Time had passed. Their companionship had allowed her cold, mechanical soul to experience warmth. Instinctively, she wanted to always stay by the side of the one who once wiped the dust from her camera. Yet, that warmth she treasured so much was now slipping away, little by little. Alii glanced at the control panel of the medical pod, trying to find a way to help Su Shi recover, to make him stand again. But his voice stopped her. Alii, can you turn it off for me? Cough, cough, cough. Too weak to operate it himself, he asked his ever-loyal companion to shut down the system keeping him alive. Yes. Not to continue treatment, he wanted it completely turned off. No matter how obedient and devoted Alii was, this command left her stunned, frozen in place. Why? Su Shi could see the confusion on her damaged mechanical face. I know it's hard to understand, but, lying in this pod, it makes me uncomfortable. Su Shi explained tiredly. His condition was unique, the silent decay had consumed most of him, dragging him ever closer to death. The medical pod that could heal normal humans only served as an inescapable torment for him. It couldn't prevent his death, instead, it prolonged his suffering in an endless cycle of void and emptiness, trapping both his body and mind. In such a state, he preferred to face it with acceptance rather than struggle against the inevitable. I can't. This order violates the second law. It would harm your life. Request denied. Cannot execute. Alii's eyes flickered rapidly. She refused his request. Her metallic frame remained cold and unfeeling, but her synthesized voice was filled with a uniquely human urgency. Your body needs treatment. Your physical condition has deteriorated severely. I must ensure your safety. Please don't worry, Master. The treatment will be over soon. You will get better. You will get better. She began listing medical cases, citing scientific data and theories to justify the possibility of his recovery. Gradually, her voice grew softer, until it faded into silence. She could see Su Shi's pain, the torment of being on the brink of death, yet repeatedly pulled back to experience that crushing void. Instinctively, she wanted to shut down the treatment pod. But she also knew that doing so meant facing an even harsher reality, one she never wanted to confront yet one that undeniably existed. I'm sorry, Master. I can't do it. I cannot fulfill your request. You need treatment. Life is a series of farewells. Every moment that passes is a farewell to the person we were a second ago. Among the countless farewells, there are a few moments where we have the choice whether to part naturally or to hold on desperately. In the empty and silent escape pod, Alii made a choice she could never forgive herself for. To keep Su Shi alive. She caused him suffering. With a trembling voice, she refused his request. Would he hate her? Would he blame her? Alii waited for his anger, but Su Shi did nothing of the sort. Instead, he gently stroked her head once more. I see. If you can't do it, then forget it, Alii. No anger, no frustration. Instead, there was a smile, a genuine one. He was relieved that Alii, like a certain witch from his past, had learned to say no. If they could meet, they might have a lot to talk about. Su Shi was moved to a different treatment area. When he woke up, Alii had already carried him from the cold, rigid medical pod to a soft bed. Crossing wires and densely packed instruments surrounded the bed, providing the last traces of support to keep his fragile life burning. This was Alii's doing. Even with overwhelming guilt and sorrow, she still insisted on trying to save him. To save that person. To hold on to that light. To keep that odd man who arbitrarily named machines yet wanted to irresponsibly disappear by her side forever. Master must take responsibility for Alii. Because of Master, Alii has become strange. Because of Master, Alii cannot remain calm. This is Master's fault, so Master must take responsibility and cannot leave at will. Before the sickbed, the man's condition worsened. His face was pale and thin, his fingers long and frail, and his body entangled with countless life support tubes. Seeing Su Shi like this was unbearable. Hating her own helplessness was even worse. Alii's voice trembled deeply, as if she were a wingless bird that had fallen, completely lost. She lowered her head, not daring to meet those familiar, gentle eyes. As a loyal machine, she had disobeyed her master's command. She could not forgive herself. The damaged side of her face, revealing exposed alloy beneath, silently cried out in despair. But Su Shi wasn't angry. Once again, he leaned weakly against the bed and reached out his trembling hand. Accompanied by his tired yet warm voice, he gently held Alii's fingers. Sorry, Alii. Even at a time like this, I'm still troubling you to take care of me. You didn't stop Alii's attempts to keep you alive. You clearly understand. Forcing your loyal attendant to end your life is something unbearably difficult for her. If your roles were reversed, if Alii pleaded with you, you wouldn't have the heart to make such a decision either. Therefore, you respected Alii's choice. You no longer asked her to turn off the life support machines. Lying on the sickbed, your consciousness slowly faded away, your mind gradually unraveling toward its inevitable end. The machines running 24/7 could only delay death, not cure you. Ali realized this. She tried every possible method, pushing her computational capacity to its limit in hopes of prolonging your life. Ali, how are things today? I see, still working hard, huh? You're doing great. I'm fine. Failure after failure, setback after setback. No matter what methods she tried, none could restore Sushi's body or reignite his fading soul. The fire of his life was dying out, beyond anyone's ability to stop it. Ali couldn't change this fate. She could only watch him grow weaker, hunched over in pain, suffering between life and death. As time passed, Sushi's pain deepened, and Ali's self-blame grew heavier. It's okay, Ali. Don't worry about me. Lying in bed, his face pale as a sheet of paper, every breath was a struggle. It seemed he could faint at any moment. And yet, even in such a state, he still forced a smile to comfort her, reassuring Ali and telling her not to blame herself. I'm sorry. Ali's mechanical body trembled violently. Another failed experiment. She returned to Sushi's bedside and looked at his familiar but increasingly vacant eyes, listening to his familiar, gentle reassurances. At last, the sorrow buried deep within her data overflowed beyond its limits. I'm sorry, Master. Because of my incompetence, you've suffered too much pain. Ali could no longer endure it. She couldn't bear seeing him suffer like this. Every word of comfort from him was like an invisible blade, cutting deeper into her guilt-ridden core. With a trembling voice, she asked why he never ordered her, firmly, to turn off the life support machines. By hierarchy, Sushi was Ali's creator. He held the highest authority. By emotion, Sushi was the most important person in her existence. If he asked repeatedly, no matter how much it hurt, she would eventually comply. But he never did. Since the first time she refused his request, he had never brought it up again. That weak and helpless demeanor confused her. Because, if I did that, Ali would be sad. There was no sunlight in the escape pod. The pale artificial lights above cast down on his nose and his hollow eyes. Suppressing the discomfort in his weakening body, he smiled and explained gently to Ali. There was no special reason. It wasn't that he didn't feel the pain. It was simply because he didn't want Ali to be sad. But you? The artificial air circulation ruffled Ali's bangs, blurring her vision. Her once calm, silver blue eyes now reflected a new, layered depth within their chaotic confusion. All the sorrow, all the grief, all displayed vividly on her lifelike synthetic face, as if she were truly human. She never learned how to hide or endure emotions. Since the days of RTX 9090, Ali had always expressed herself so openly. But you're in so much pain. Her voice trembled and cracked. If not for the lack of tears, her expression at this moment would be indistinguishable from a grieving human. The overwhelming sorrow contorted her delicate features, making them seem on the verge of collapsing. The once emotionless machine now possessed human feelings. Yet the human was slowly fading into nothingness. The contrast was too cruel to accept. She couldn't accept it. It's okay, Ali. Sushi reached out his frail, trembling hand and gently placed it on her head. Using the little strength he had left, he offered her a sense of reassurance. This has nothing to do with you. I've thought about many things during this time. His voice was as faint as a dying breath, disappearing into the air. Like falling leaves, silent and unnoticed. Like gentle rain, quiet yet persistent. Along with the hoarse, dry rasp in his throat. We've been together for a long time now, haven't we? Sushi tried to smile, but for a body that was nearing its end, even that was impossible. The moment his lips curled slightly, a violent cough seized him. Cough, 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 cough. Master. Ali moved instantly, helping him sit up, soothing his labored breathing. I'm fine, Ali, Sushi whispered, shaking his head. His body felt weaker. The pain was sharper. He struggled against the darkness threatening to consume him, forcing himself to stay awake and meet Ali's worried gaze. Ali, time really flies. From the moment we met in that underground lab. It's been over 700 years now. So fast. Sushi reminisced about the past, recounting the experiences he shared with Ali. It was a journey of survival in a post-apocalyptic wasteland, a mutual reliance in the end times, and an intertwined existence across the vast starry sea. Hundreds of years condensed into a fleeting moment, weaving a dreamlike tapestry of their shared history. The memories were beautiful. They were precious. They were irreplaceable treasures. Ali, I'm really glad I met you. Sushi's breathing grew weaker, his struggle to inhale becoming more apparent. The exhaustion that seeped from his soul left him reliant on oxygen support. Seeing him in such pain made Ali tremble even more. Both her steel body and elusive mechanical soul resonated in sorrow. Master, please rest. Ali's voice no longer held its usual clarity. It had reverted to the early days harsh and distorted, like crude synthesized speech. It was the sound of grief echoing through her system. But Sushi shook his head gently, his frail hand reaching out to grasp Ali's, facing her damaged, contorted face up close. Ali, let me finish first, okay? A request from Sushi was something Ali could never refuse. If it's you, then, of course, she replied, her sorrow resonating through the cold walls of the escape pod. Then, Sushi spoke softly again. Ali, all this time, I wanted to help you grow, to see you become better. Even though you always deny it, I believe that with emotions, you're no different from humans. I wanted to see you grow. I wanted you to survive safely. But perhaps I was a dictator, too self-righteous, always thinking about taking you out of the cage. A cage of machinery, a cage of a fallen civilization. But now, it seems that in my attempt to free you, I've unknowingly become your new cage, trapping your future. I guess. I'm not very good at teaching others. Sushi gazed at Alii with a gentle look, his frail hand holding hers once covered in synthetic skin, now stripped down to cold alloy. Guilt. Regret. His voice carried a multitude of emotions, enough to tear at Alii's mechanical heart and fill it with pain. It's not like that. It's not like that at all. You haven't trapped my future, Alii refuted with a trembling voice, her sorrow overflowing from her silver blue eyes. My birth, my existence, my everything. It's all because of you. Master, you are my future. I don't need freedom. I only need you. The sadness swelling within her was like an unstoppable tide, engulfing every part of her logical processes. She needed nothing else. Everything else was meaningless. As long as you're here, I only need you. You're not my cage. I'm the one who has caged you, Alii whispered, her voice trembling as if she were a drowning person clinging desperately to the last piece of driftwood. Her grip on Sushi's hand tightened, but the familiar warmth was gone. All she could feel now was the coldness of ashes. Alii realized that compared to Sushi, who had always worried about her and put her first, she was the one truly trapping him, keeping him shackled in pain. At that moment, the string of despair snapped completely. The escape pod fell into silence. Bright overhead lights cast a harsh glow on Sushi's emaciated face, exposing every sign of exhaustion. Alii could no longer deceive herself with false hope, nor could she bear to watch him suffer through endless futile treatments. Master, please, give me an order. In Sushi's surprised gaze, Alii slowly lifted her head. With a forced, sorrowful smile, she made her request. She didn't directly say what she wanted him to command. But Sushi understood. Surprise flashed in his eyes, followed by a gentle, appreciative gaze. Can you do it, Alii? Yes. Her voice crackled and distorted. Even without external damage, her internal components were overheating, some already releasing faint wisps of smoke. Alii's voice was hoarse and broken, but her answer was firm. Then, I'll leave it to you, Alii. It wasn't an order. It wasn't a request. It was a plea. Under his gentle gaze, Alii trembled even more. She stood up and walked toward the medical equipment, manually shutting down each system, one by one, in a slow and deliberate farewell. Thunk. Soon, all machines powered down, and the tubes connected to Sushi detached automatically. The final flicker of life support was extinguished. His life was now truly nearing its end. But for the first time in a long while, Sushi's expression looked peaceful. The exhaustion that had plagued him for so long was finally lifting. I never thought that one day I'd feel like dying is a good thing. A wave of drowsiness swept over him. Without the machines, the void's grip grew stronger. His vision blurred, slowly fading into darkness. The flame that had burned for so long was finally about to go out. Alii, I'm here. After shutting down everything, Alii returned to his bedside. Her silver blue eyes, heavy with sorrow, watched over him, the first and only light in her life. The thought of ending that light with her own hands was something she could never forgive herself for. Don't be sad for me, Alii. This time, it's just like before. I'll revive again, it might take a little longer. Lying on the bed, Sushi's strength waned. His eyes blinked slowly, his lips barely moved, and his fingers trembled faintly. Things that were once so simple now felt impossible. He forced a smile at Alii. It was his final smile. A dying flame using its last warmth to comfort its loyal companion. So he gently asked, Alii, can I touch your face? Yes, master. In the quiet escape pod, surrounded by sterile white walls, Alii nodded with a choked sob. She carefully held Sushi's right hand and placed it on her damaged face. In the next moment, a faint glow emitted from his fingertips. It was mechanical energy. Sushi mustered the last of his strength, using the deactivated medical devices as material to repair Alii's broken body, restoring her once perfect features. There, that's much better now. His fingers slipped away from her face, falling weakly to the side. The flame finally faded into eternal darkness. You have died. Simulation complete. You have completed a long simulation. Your small step was a great leap for humanity. In the post-apocalyptic world where all of humanity perished, you were the only survivor. Everything you did paved the way for human history, and your experiences became its continuation. From rising from obscurity, to dominating the wasteland, and venturing into the starry seas. When you met your end, so did human history. You possess an incredible talent, comprehending countless technological principles despite being a mere mortal. The knowledge you accumulated alone is comparable to an entire advanced civilization. You mastered the art of exterminating the insect race and enjoyed communicating with them by blowing their heads off. You are an eccentric creator who named a household AI and nurtured her humanity. You succeeded, achieving a miracle once thought impossible. You passed away with peace of mind, leaving your machine companion with a final warmth, as your soul faded into oblivion. Simulation complete. Calculating highlights. Simulation rating in progress. Generating rewards. The golden sunlight gently fell on Sushi's nose, dispelling the emptiness of his fading soul and awakening the immortality within him. In the silent tranquility, Sushi opened his eyes. The simulation had ended. Before him was the familiar courtyard of reality, with two girls waiting nearby, Krisha, standing quietly, and Wu Yingxiu, chewing on grilled dragon meat. They were following his earlier instructions before he entered the simulation, observing any anomalies related to the simulator's activation. Master. Su Shi was about to speak, planning to ask if they had noticed anything unusual about the simulator. However, before he could, the witch moved first. With a puzzled expression, Krisha took a few steps closer to Su Shi, her small nose twitching as she sniffed him curiously. Her action was rather adorable, resembling a cautious little animal sensing danger. Is something wrong, Krisha? Su Shi asked, confused. There's a strange smell on you, it feels ominous. Krisha tilted her head blankly, her hollow eyes reflecting deep bewilderment. Her silver-gray hair followed her movement, cascading over Su Shi's neck. Really? Wu Yingxiu, intrigued, leaned in and took a sniff as well, but she smelled nothing unusual. Su Shi thought for a moment. Perhaps the witch's heightened instincts had detected the presence of the life simulator. With a smile, he reassured Krisha, telling her not to worry. Krisha, Yingxiu, can you tell me if you noticed anything during the process? While the simulator was still calculating results, Su Shi decided to ask the two girls if they had discovered any clues about its true nature. At the same time, he couldn't help but worry about Ali's future. The cold and desolate universe had no other life to accompany her. The thought of Ali being so alone made him anxious. The good news was that, due to her unique existence, Ali would have no problem surviving in the perilous universe. The sun set. The night breeze carried a chilling cold, one that seeped through, cooling even overheated mechanical cores. Silver blue eyes dulled, and the once delicate face turned lifeless and empty. Her trembling hands repeated the same motion over and over again, trying to grasp that burnt-out hand and place it against her cheek, longing for its familiar touch once more. Finally, the mechanical maid succeeded in her arduous task. In the pale confines of the pod, she grasped the lifeless hand, guiding the withered fingertips to gently touch her face. Master, welcome back. This is your AI assistant, Ali. I am always at your service. Please, use me, once more. A sad smile formed on the delicate face touched by the cold hand. There were no tears, but the sorrow within the mechanical body far surpassed any that could be expressed with simple tears. There was no response. Compared to the machine filled with overwhelming emotion, the man on the bed had long become nothing more than an empty shell. He would never wake up again, never teach her how to be human, never wipe away the sadness on her face. Yes, never again. Ali is very unhappy to serve you, the mechanical maid whispered, overwhelmed by grief. She held Su Shi's cold, lifeless hand tightly, hoping to prolong its presence against her cheek. As if by doing so, the scattered ashes would gather again. As if it could reignite the warmth he once had. But that was impossible. And so, the loyal machine could only mourn her helplessness in the flow of time, regretting being unable to save the one who mattered most. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Master. I'm so sorry. The words of regret echoed throughout the pod. Time became eternal. No matter how the outside world changed, Ali continued to hold Su Shi's hand tightly, until even his genetically modified body could no longer withstand the passage of time and began to decay. Only then did Ali finally stand up. With just the right amount of strength, she carried his empty body outside the escape pod. She didn't attempt to preserve it forever, nor did she consider cloning or artificial replication. In the quiet melancholy of autumn, she simply buried him. All the attempts she had made before, all the efforts to preserve him, had only imprisoned him in pain. Now, she no longer wished to create another cage that would confine the warmth he once had. Master. What is love? Under the influence of nutrient agents, the barren ground outside bloomed into a sea of dazzling blue and purple flowers. In the gentle breeze, Ali stood in silence, gazing at the small grave mound. Her silver blue eyes turned solemn, devoid of the brilliance they once held. Whoosh, whoosh. The wind grew stronger. The flowers swayed, scattering petals that shimmered like falling stars. Ali reached out her hand, catching a few in her palm, delicate petals of stellar bloom. Loyalty, freedom, and eternal love. These were the meanings behind the flower's name. By now, Ali had her own understanding of love, yet it was incomplete, limited only to Su Shi. Master, I love you. There was no response. Only the howling wind replied. Ali waited patiently, trusting Su Shi's words, believing he would eventually revive, even if it took a long time. Until then, blind waiting wouldn't help. She leaned forward, plucking a full bouquet of the stellar blooms, arranging them neatly around the grave. Master, any threats to your safety? I will eliminate them all. Everything, completely, without hesitation. She whispered softly, lifting her gaze to the vast, endless starry sky. All along, the machine servant had possessed a strong sense of autonomy. She was loyal and capable, but everything she did, every decision she made, was always centered around serving Su Shi. From the past to the present, her autonomy had never been applied elsewhere. But now, with Su Shi in slumber, the machine servant had to move forward alone, trembling with sorrow, yet pressing onward. She could not accept that when Su Shi resurrected, he would return to a universe still filled with danger. Even more unacceptable was that the creators of the prison, the ones who repeatedly took his life, continued to roam free without consequences. She had to do something. She must do something. Turning with a trembling body, Ali took slow, difficult steps away from the newly built grave in the dreadful silence. She dared not look back, fearing she might hesitate and stay. That was not an option. Absolutely not. She had once worried that Ali couldn't see the stars clearly and would carefully wipe the camera lenses for her. Now, it was her turn to replicate that kindness to cleanse the starry sky for him. Master, Ali will always protect you. The moonlight bathed the lush greenery along her path, but its beauty failed to touch the machine servant's heart. She walked away from the light, stepping into the cold darkness, leaving only a monitoring device behind to ensure the grave's peace. Then, she activated all systems of the escape pod, scavenging materials to complete the necessary equipment and began the mass production of a new fleet. Please wait for me, Master. To maximize efficiency, Ali abandoned her humanoid form. Without Sushi, maintaining a human shape no longer held meaning. She walked forward, letting her once beautiful form enter the machinery bay, lying down silently and closing her eyes. From that moment on, all computational power, all processes, were integrated fully into her machine consciousness in a higher dimensional state. Copying, stacking, and producing endlessly. Without Sushi, Ali became colder than before, her mindset fully aligning with the mechanical precision of cold logic. In a remarkably short time, she had produced a massive fleet of warships. Ali left part of the fleet to guard Sushi's sleeping planet. The rest carried her machine consciousness into the vast starry sky. Slaughter, destruction, plundering, enslavement, domination, war. The dominant themes of the universe were never peace and friendship. Among countless civilizations, there were indeed exceptions of goodwill, but they were so rare that they were almost invisible. Whenever two civilizations came into close contact, the stronger one inevitably disregarded the weaker one's will. Technological civilizations, interstellar insectoid swarms, machine calamities, cosmic behemoths. The endless cosmos, filled with uncountable galaxies, was always rife with conflicts. But at some point, something changed. Centuries later, a new force of machine calamities emerged, vast in scale and possessing technology far beyond the typical machine scourge. Even more baffling was the fact that this new machine scourge specifically targeted predator civilizations, those known for aggression, plundering, and the destruction of weaker civilizations. Could it be that this machine scourge was a force for peace? How can this be? There are so many curvature starships. Insane? These machines are lunatics? They're detonating curvature starships at superluminal speeds. Many civilizations fell into utter despair. What was supposed to be a rare and precious form of travel curvature propulsion had become nothing more than disposable tools in the hands of this unknown machine scourge. Whenever faced with an obstacle, they simply threw hundreds of starships at it to self-destruct. Those brilliant explosions marked the terrifying destruction caused by gravitational distortions. Weaker civilizations couldn't even withstand a single round of attacks. Before long, Ali's machine scourge expanded rapidly, reaching an unprecedented scale. Faced with such overwhelming force, many civilizations quickly became friendly and cooperative. Just when everyone thought Ali's force was on the path to becoming a dominant galactic overlord, she did something that left all civilizations in shock. She attacked the stellar ranches of the Caretaker civilization. The Caretaker civilization was rumored to possess advanced spatial technology, potentially even dipping into dimensional manipulation. It had long been known for farming entire star systems to extract resources for its ascension. They corralled new civilizations, harvested their technological advancements, and sustained themselves endlessly through such exploitation. But now, an audacious act had been committed. The seemingly invincible Caretaker civilization was under siege by this growing machine scourge. A massive fleet of curvature starships accelerated into their ranches, self-detonating with enough force to shatter the barriers that enclosed entire star systems, linking their once separated domains to the wider universe. You dare? How dare you? The Caretaker civilization was furious. Their rage turned into an all-out war. They deployed a vast armada equipped with space-folding technology, including planetary fortresses and stellar energy reserves. Even 3 neutron star warships were dispatched as vanguards. Such a force was undeniably powerful, almost invincible. Without suspense, they obliterated the machine fleet that was still operating on mere superluminal technology. Reports claimed that even the core consciousness of the machine scourge had been wiped out completely. The event sent shockwaves across the cosmos. Some marveled at the Caretaker civilization's might, while others mourned the fall of the machine scourge. However, 4 centuries later, the signature fleets of the machine scourge returned. This time, they wielded more advanced technology armed with devices resembling the spatial weaponry of the Caretaker civilization itself. Master once said, "As long as I want to learn, I can master everything." Ali had analyzed the previous battles, reverse engineering aspects of their spatial weaponry and producing an even stronger machine fleet. Her consciousness ascended to higher dimensions, observing the vast universe from an omniscient perspective. The machine armada surged like an endless tide, engulfing the stars, bombarding the Caretaker civilization's ranches with unprecedented firepower. Through sheer overwhelming numbers, they tore apart most of the space barriers trapping those star systems. The war reignited, and the Caretaker civilization, now filled with utter rage, unleashed their most advanced forces, including experimental dimensional weapons capable of erasing space itself. Ali's spatial shields were no match for these weapons. Her fleet was once again annihilated. Yet, she accepted the loss with mechanical calmness, transmitting her core consciousness via quantum signals to ensure her survival. 300 years later, she returned again. This time, the fleet was even larger, armed with deeper spatial manipulation technologies, bordering on dimensional mastery. Massive galactic-scale computing arrays were constructed to support her immense processing power. Centuries meant nothing. Millennia were of no consequence. Aliai's cold machine soul returned stronger each time, defying all logical expectations. Is this a cosmic wonder? An experiment by a higher dimensional civilization? A transcendental entity's project? The caretaker civilization continued to speculate, drowning in despair as they faced the relentless, roaring tide of the machines. The development of civilizations and the advancement of technology follow a spiral pattern of progress. Even the interstellar insectoids and cosmic beasts, which rely on raw physical strength, adhere to this iron law, undergoing rounds of transformation within their bodies. Quantum, biology, celestial bodies, dimensions, space-time. The domains covered by technology are vast beyond comprehension. The higher the civilization level, the more elusive the limits become. Over the passage of endless time, stagnation often becomes inevitable. This is the inherent limitation of civilizations. A rigid mindset and a mature technological system can unknowingly restrict the emergence of inspiration. To counter this, the caretaker civilization had a simple solution: change perspective. By proactively farming entire star systems and forcing the rapid evolution of countless new civilizations, they could extract new ideas, fresh insights, and alternative perspectives. It was never their goal to let these civilizations grow too strong. As long as they could extract even a sliver of useful innovation from the infinite thoughts of countless life forms, it would lead to qualitative improvement for them. And so, they created countless civilizations and destroyed them just as many times, investing time far beyond the comprehension of ordinary life forms. They could not understand, would never understand. How could an artificially awakened machine, with a lifespan far shorter than their own, rapidly develop and perfect its technological framework, absorbing their own advanced knowledge along the way? Destroy it. If once isn't enough, then 10 times. If 10 times isn't enough, then 100 times. 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 times. We will ensure that this damned piece of scrap metal never revives again. The caretaker civilization poured everything into the fight. They no longer cared about their cosmic farms. A grand war erupted across several galactic clusters between their forces and the machine fleet controlled by Alii. Curvature kinetic strikes, matter-antimatter annihilation, spatial implosions. With their true strength finally unleashed, the caretaker civilization secured yet another victory, this time with ease. Gradually, a sense of relaxation and triumph spread throughout their civilization, until the machines returned once more, with stronger weapons, greater numbers, and even more incomprehensible technology. Master, the cage that binds you, I will break it. In the sci-fi universe, within the galactic cluster where the caretaker civilization resided, Alii's machine consciousness attached itself to the flagship. Layer upon layer of curved space provided the fleet with speeds thousands of times faster than light. The dark void rippled as the stars surged forward. From a higher dimensional vantage point, Alii's machine consciousness gazed down at the caretaker civilization's home world. She whispered the words she had learned from Sushi. Farewell, cage. The cosmos trembled, gravity twisted. Countless starships surged forward at superluminal speeds, armed with the latest spatial weaponry, launching a suicidal decapitation assault on the caretaker civilization's heart. No. The caretaker civilization panicked, activating their hidden dimensional defense barriers and recalling all their major fleets in haste. But it was useless. Just as they had planned to destroy Alii over and over again, Alii had devised the same strategy to shatter their seemingly impregnable dimensional barriers. Boom, boom, boom. The vast cosmos lit up with a series of dazzling explosions, like celebratory fireworks. Superluminal starships, laden with antimatter bombs and spatial fission warheads, slammed into the caretaker civilization's home world at full speed. It was Alii's signature tactic, the very first one that Sushi had taught her. Quantity over quality. Of course, Alii also remembered the second lesson. Alii, no matter what happens, never put yourself in danger. Yes, master. Alii was obedient. She followed all of Sushi's instructions. Thus, from her higher dimensional state, she took a step back. Using quantum technology, she transmitted her consciousness to the farthest edge of the battlefield, remotely commanding the fleet and production structures as they endlessly bombarded the caretaker civilization. A black hole eruption triggered a violent cosmic storm. Intense radiation waves carried whispers of destruction. At the edge of the universe, an epic war raged for thousands of years between the caretaker civilization and Alii's machine calamity. The two sides clashed repeatedly, making other civilizations tremble in fear. Gradually, the machines began to gain the upper hand. The caretaker civilization tried every possible means, deploying their dimensional weaponry in a last-ditch effort to erase Alii's machine consciousness permanently. They paid a tremendous price to trap her flagship. Other civilizations did not know what transpired next. All they knew was that the caretaker civilization cursed profusely. Alii had won, decisively and inevitably. The ever-evolving machine consciousness, driven by a singular will, achieved absolute efficiency and demonstrated terrifying war potential. Master, this starry sky still seems dirty. Alii did not stop. She cast her gaze even further into the vast universe. Her journey to cleanse the stars resumed once more. The real universe was far larger than the simulated prison Sushi had sought to escape. From planetary systems to star systems, star clusters, galaxies, and superclusters. Even from a macro perspective, the scale of the universe was staggering. Thus, civilizations were as numerous as the stars themselves, countless powerful beings, like grains of sand, waiting to be discovered. Survival and war. These were topics the universe could never avoid. But now, the civilizations of the cosmos no longer needed to worry or contemplate them. The machine calamity that called itself a servant had arrived from the distant edges of the stars. Carrying a vast fleet that blotted out the heavens, it launched assaults against countless civilizations. At first, no one paid it much attention. Machine calamities were nothing new in the cosmos. They had happened countless times before. But as time passed, powerful civilizations began to realize something was amiss. The machine fleet was not being eradicated, rather, it was growing stronger, reaching a level that posed a significant threat. Interesting. Such astonishing evolutionary speed. We acknowledge you as the strongest among machines. Unfortunately, you're still too foolish in the end. The microstar civilization, specializing in planetary scale development. The interstellar insect swarm, which thrived on biological evolution. The dimensional stairway civilization, pioneers in dimensional exploration. Countless civilizations and powerful beings turned their attention toward Ali's fleet. While filled with doubt and unease, they believed the machine servant was naive, recklessly challenging the galaxy's strongest forces. No, you are wrong. Ali gazed down at the universe and replied coldly. You are the challengers. The cosmos fell silent. And the war began. Unavoidable and inescapable. To Ali, any civilization that engaged in predatory behavior was an enemy. Your existence has already tainted this starry sea. Before my master returns, I will not allow you to continue. The machine consciousness surged. As time passed, Ali's unique abilities grew stronger. Even across hundreds of thousands, even millions of light years, her computational power encompassed everything, turning her vast machine fleet into countless watchful eyes across the universe. Ha ha ha, ridiculous, utterly ridiculous. The strong preying on the weak is the ultimate truth of the universe. Kill? So what? Annihilate? So what? Ali's philosophy of cleansing the starry skies naturally attracted ridicule and scorn from countless civilizations. She remained expressionless. Continuing to seize new resource star systems, she expanded the production of mechanical units, replicating them endlessly until vast fleets were assembled to launch a total assault across the cosmos. Thanks to the stellar modification technology obtained from the caretaker civilization, Ali's forces now included several mobile, heavily armored celestial bodies capable of destruction while retaining strategic utility. There were planetary fortresses equipped with curvature engines, stellar warehouses serving as colossal energy sources, and neutron war stars equipped with spatial weaponry and impenetrable defenses. Beyond these, Ali's primary fleet underwent a full technological upgrade, now featuring cutting-edge spatial technology. For offense, she deployed spatial disintegration devices. For defense, she utilized spatial distortion fields. In propulsion, she adapted dimension-based technologies from the caretaker civilization, beginning the climb toward dimensional engines, with the potential for dimensional strikes and higher plane traversal in the future. Master, please wait a little longer. Ali will cleanse the universe thoroughly, ready to welcome your return. An unending war of eternity had begun, engulfing countless galactic clusters. As Ali's technology advanced, the battlefield expanded even further into the vast cosmos. Her astonishing war potential and highly efficient strategic command meant that not even the interstellar insectoid swarms, another form of cosmic catastrophe, could gain any advantage over her. Temporal stasis, quantum black holes, dimensional strikes. Realizing Ali's formidable presence, the opposing civilizations resorted to truly lethal means, deploying weapons capable of severely damaging or even erasing Ali's very existence. Several times, Ali was pushed to the brink of destruction, giving the allied civilizations a glimmer of hope for victory. However, the loyal machine servant also possessed remarkable cunning. Every time her enemies thought they had finally cornered her, she would retreat at the perfect moment, strategically withdrawing, only to return even stronger. The war dragged on endlessly, and with each battle, Ali's forces grew in strength. No one knew how much time had passed. Perish. The universe's most advanced civilizations finally took action, wielding causality-based weaponry. Yet, even such formidable forces could not bring about Ali's defeat. The once cold and mechanical machine consciousness, now enriched with unique human-like emotions and tempered by the passage of time, had long transcended the limitations of universal laws. Ali recalled something Su Shi used to say about situations like this. If it's not turned off, it means it's still running. Boom, boom. In the final, climactic battle, both Ali and the pinnacle civilizations unleashed an overwhelming arsenal of dimensional weaponry. The universe collapsed into lower dimensions. No height, no length, no width. A zero-dimensional universe was born. The once radiant sea of stars vanished, color drained, space-time lost meaning, and all that remained was a pure, silent void. It was an inconceivable sight, an infinite cosmos reduced to a single point, nearly imperceptible, devoid of mass. Drifting within the chaos, the tiny remnant of the universe floated aimlessly, carried by the currents of entropy. Time in the chaos was immeasurable, perhaps only an instant had passed, or perhaps eons beyond counting. No one knew when it began, but eventually, two ghostly hands emerged from the chaos. They appeared translucent and illusory, gently enclosing the zero-dimensional universe in a careful grasp, protecting it from the chaotic tides. Master, Alii is always at your service. Please, use me again. A fragmented, static-laden voice echoed faintly. Time passed in silence, until those ethereal hands began to solidify. No longer translucent, they now glowed with a miraculous radiance. Gently, they enclosed the singularity within their grasp. The zero-dimensional universe fell into an absolute stillness. Yet, within this extreme stillness, another extreme took shape. Golden and silver light flickered between the fingers, piercing through the surrounding chaos, illuminating the void. The eternal, transcendent machine servant slowly loosened her grip. A burst of brilliance escaped her hands, dazzling beyond compare. A tiny singularity began expanding within the chaos. Space, time, matter, energy. All things, all concepts, were reborn with the singularity's great explosion. One-dimensional, two-dimensional, three-dimensional, all the way to 10 dimensions. In this newborn universe, time flowed in multiple dimensions, radiating brilliant hues. Countless elements collided and merged under a grand will, forming something entirely new. Master, I have become just like you now. So, this is what it feels like to cry. You were right, it's not something to be happy about. In the murky, chaotic void, Alii gazed at the 10-dimensional universe resting in her palm, then lowered her eyes to her newly reconstructed body. Her expression was calm. Yet silent tears had long since streamed down her cheeks, glistening droplets shimmering with light. Grief had never left her, but until now, her mechanical body had been incapable of expressing it in a human way. And so, on the first day of her rebirth, Alii shed her first tears. She did not know where she should go. She had nowhere she wished to be. All she wanted was to continue waiting. Waiting for her master to return, and to serve him once more. In the real world, a serene courtyard bathed in sunlight, with shadows of leaves forming gentle patterns on the ground. Su Shi nodded occasionally, listening carefully to Krisha and Wu Yingxiu's explanations. The life simulator remained a profound mystery. Even the two supreme beings beside him could not fully comprehend its true nature, but they had detected subtle changes during the simulation process. Master, you disappeared for a while, Krisha said blankly, handing Su Shi a cup of tea and some desserts. By disappeared, she did not mean his physical form, but rather something intangible, something related to his unique presence across different time-space possibilities. It sounded abstract, yet Su Shi pondered her words, recalling the branching paths he had encountered within the simulator. I see. Thank you, Krisha, Yingxiu. Haha, no need to be so formal, sir. This is only natural, mentor. Wu Yingxiu chuckled playfully, while Krisha remained quiet. For now, Su Shi decided to put aside his thoughts on the simulator's nature. Returning to his room, he opened the final summary of his fourth simulation. Ding! Fourth simulation complete. Congratulations! You have unlocked the following achievements. The last human, I am civilization, exterminator of insects, her creator, the ultimate origin of the universe, supreme machine master. In the bedroom, Su Shi examined the simulator's panel. The last human, you are the final survivor of the apocalyptic world, continuing the legacy of humanity. I am civilization, your knowledge is so vast that it rivals that of an entire civilization. You are civilization itself. Exterminator of insects, you are the nemesis of the insectoid scourge, mastering thousands of extermination methods, with headshots being the most efficient. Her creator, they created the myriad wonders of the universe, serving as the ultimate judge of order and rules. Yet, their supreme existence originates from your humble beginnings. The beginning and end of the universe, your death indirectly led to the extinction and rebirth of the universe. Revered by all machines, across countless worlds, any machine with self-awareness holds you in reverence, calling you the father of all machines. Did Alii also ascend to a supreme existence? Perhaps due to experiencing it too many times, Su Shi no longer felt shocked upon seeing the simulator's results. Instead, he felt more curious. Cultivation leads to ascension, magic leads to divinity, martial arts break the void, but what about the eternal supremacy of the sci-fi world? How did Alii achieve it? Su Shi fell into deep thought. Could it be that after his death, Alii's machine soul continued to evolve? Once might be an accident, twice a coincidence, but now it's the fourth time already. Do I have some hidden sacrificial attribute? As long as I die, others can unlock their full potential. With a long sigh, Su Shi realized that the simulator was far from beautiful, but instead full of hostility toward him. Forget it, I'm used to it. As long as Alii is fine, that's all that matters. Let's check out the rewards for this simulation. Simulation summary. You perfectly utilized the keyword effect, becoming the most knowledgeable human and breaking free from the captivity of the Keeper civilization, paving a bright future for your machine servant. Without a doubt, you are a true legendary pioneer. Limited by the demise of your soul, you were unable to go further, but your death facilitated the birth of the Supreme Arbiter. Because of this miracle, countless machines worship you with utmost reverence. Simulation No. 04 Final Rating, S. Reward generation in progress. Ding. Ding. Please choose 4 out of the following 5 rewards. Your selection will be delivered immediately. 1 peak mechanical power from the simulated life. 2 all technology from the simulated life. 3 enhanced machine soul delight. 4 higher dimensional observation state. 5 housekeeping intelligence RTX 9090S identification plate. As expected, another S rating, Sushi mused. If my guess is right, an S+ rating should grant access to all rewards at once. And perhaps better ones too. Clicking his tongue, Sushi thought about the elusive S+ rating. He wasn't particularly interested in it, but after going through multiple simulations, he couldn't help but feel a little regret. Just like an experienced gamer striving for higher achievements, he wanted to reach the pinnacle. Next, Sushi reviewed the reward options. The first reward, mechanical power, wasn't very useful to him as a godlike figure. The second, which contained all the technology, seemed even less practical. For Sushi, knowledge was the key, understanding the universe and analyzing technological concepts. The technological outcomes themselves were mere extensions of his knowledge. Looks like there's no dilemma in choosing this time. Sushi shook his head and eliminated option 2. Moving on, option 3, the enhanced machine soul delight, allowed selective enhancements such as increasing damage or improving mechanical affinity. It removed the previous randomness, making it quite useful. Option 4, higher dimensional observation, was a special ability Alii gained after her machine soul evolved. It allowed clearer perception of the world and could aid Sushi's cultivation in all 3 of his transcendent disciplines. Finally, option 5 caught Sushi off guard, the identification plate of the housekeeping AI, RTX 9090. That was Alii's former designation, a symbol of her original identity before Sushi gave her a proper name. Since naming Alii, RTX 9090 had become a relic of the past. Thinking back, it's been a long time since then. RTX 9090. The 6th satellite city, the underground laboratory, the power armor. Recalling Alii's expression when she said not happy to serve you, and the subtle micro-expressions she had developed, Sushi found it amusing and smiled warmly. Without hesitation, he quickly made his selections: mechanical power, machine soul delight, higher dimensional observation, and the identification plate. Speaking of which, the primary goal of this simulation was to explore the truth behind the life simulator. Although I failed, I still gained a lot, learning many things through mechanical resonance. These rewards, honestly, they're just icing on the cake. For someone like me who has already ascended, they don't provide any decisive help. Sigh, it's all because I trained too hard, Sushi sighed. The simulator's panel flashed rapidly as the selected rewards were confirmed. The text of the 5 rewards disappeared, and changes began to take place in his body. Mechanical power surged, resonating throughout the room. All the technological devices inside trembled slightly, as if expressing their joy at Sushi's presence. Then came the familiar sensation of elevation. The world before him transformed into intersecting dimensions. This perspective is quite similar to my godhood vision. Not bad, I can cross-reference them to further my cultivation and martial arts. Sushi nodded in satisfaction. The energy consumption of higher dimensional observation was negligible for his divine body. Exiting the observation state, the final reward appeared in Sushi's hands. It was a dark brown steel plate, rectangular in shape, heavy and rough to the touch, with the engraved letters RTX 9090 on it. It was once the core of his machine servant, but after naming her Alii and developing her humanoid form, it had become obsolete. I remember before we left the Federation planet, Alii wanted to find this. Never thought I'd get it this way. Sushi traced the rusted surface of the identification plate, reminiscing about the past. Naming Alii had been her first step towards humanity, the first gift he had given her. From another perspective, RTX 9090 was akin to Alii shedding her old shell. Alii has ascended to a supreme being. We should meet again in the future. I wonder if she'll want this back when we do. Let's keep it safe for now. With a gentle smile, Sushi walked toward the storage cabinet in his bedroom, holding the identification plate in his hand, planning to store it for safekeeping. Opening the cabinet door, Sushi placed the black identification plate into the 4th compartment. The real world was in the midst of summer, with the scorching sun shining brilliantly. The light filtered through the window, illuminating the plate's edges with a faint glow, making the rusted exterior appear almost silvery. Without realizing it, my collection has already reached 4 items. Sushi took a few steps back, allowing all 4 items to come into view at once: his sister's candy jar, the princess's paper flower, the witch's wand, and the robotic servant's identification plate. The placement order did not follow the sequence of their encounters, but Sushi didn't mind. He simply felt a sense of nostalgia, reflecting on the changes brought by the simulator, the people he met, and how his life had transformed. This time, the simulation lasted over 700 years, far longer than the previous 3 combined. Despite the simulator's assistance and the encroachment of machine consciousness, he hadn't felt the passage of time deeply. However, the exhaustion he felt was undeniably real. I'll take a break from the simulator for now, he decided. The summer sunlight bathed the room in a warm, tranquil glow, casting specks of floating dust in its golden rays. Sushi knew that reality was the true foundation of everything. I hope Molly and the others can get along well. He reached out and gently closed the glass door of the display cabinet, locking it securely. With that, the 4th simulation came to a complete end. Although the results did not align with his original goal of uncovering the simulator's true nature, he was satisfied with the outcome. If there had been no spiritual energy revival, no life simulations, what kind of life would I be living now? The quiet room offered no answer, only the silent sunlight and the floating dust specks. He thought it would be an ordinary, mundane life, working a regular job, earning a modest salary, experiencing the predictable cycle of life and death. Was that kind of life better or worse? Su Shi couldn't say, but he knew he preferred his current one. Not because of the extraordinary world he now inhabited, but because of the people by his side. Smiling, he decided to check on Krisha and the others. Stepping out of his room and through the quiet corridors, he arrived at the courtyard filled with dragon blood grass. When he reached the garden, he didn't find Krisha or Wu Yingxiu. Instead, he saw a familiar figure tending to the plants. Molly. Under the golden sunlight, the girl bent over, carefully trimming the plants. It was a scene Su Shi had seen many times before in their first simulation at the Heavenly Sword Sect, where the young Su Molly diligently arranged vibrant flowers in the otherwise empty, desolate cave dwelling. Brother, she put down her scissors, smiling playfully as she turned to greet him. They walked together and sat in a shaded corner of the courtyard. The overhead foliage provided shelter, and the walls around them blocked out the heat. Noli, when did you come back? Just now, she replied. Did you see Krisha and Yingxiu? Maybe they went to clean your room, brother, she answered with a mischievous glint. Su Shi hesitated. He had just left his room, and now they happened to go in? Krisha cleaning made sense. Her personality leaned towards tidiness, but why would Wu Yingxiu join in? I have a bad feeling about this, he muttered, looking up at the canopy above, where the sunlight created a dappled pattern of green. He chose not to overthink it. The girls were growing up, and their stubborn independence was something he could neither control nor prevent. No major harm would come of it at worst. They were probably arguing over the arrangement of items in his display cabinet. With a resigned sigh, he let go of his concerns and turned his attention to Molly, discussing Earth's ongoing ascension. Meanwhile, back in Su Shi's bedroom, two figures stood before the display cabinet, their gazes fixed on the newly placed identification plate. The atmosphere in the room was unusually tense. One figure had a serious expression, while the other maintained an unreadable face. Despite appearances, the expressionless witch, Krisha, was the one reacting the most. Unseen forces swirled around her, breaking down into primal elements. So, the master's reincarnation isn't limited to just 3 times. This is troublesome. Wu Yingxiu frowned, resting a finger against her chin in contemplation. The faint hum of elemental energy caught her attention. What, you recognize it? She asked, noticing the witch's growing caution. It was as if Krisha was moments away from using her wand to obliterate the object in question. No, I don't know it, Krisha replied, her voice cold yet serious. But, it feels the same as me. The same? Wu Yingxiu was confused. She looked between Krisha and the identification plate, gradually beginning to understand. Realization dawned on her face. So that's what you mean by the same. A peaceful life had begun. With the cumulative gains from multiple simulations, Su Shi found his real-world existence much more comfortable than within the simulations. He spent time with the girls, tended to the dragon blood grass, and occasionally cleared the surrounding dimensional rifts. Time flowed gently through his daily life, quietly carrying away each moment, and Su Shi sincerely cherished this tranquility. Interestingly, Krisha had started behaving a bit strangely. As a supreme deity with an eternal lifespan, the witch should have had no rivals. Concepts like power and threats had long since vanished from her vocabulary. Yet, inexplicably, Krisha had resumed her magical training, standing with her wand in hand, silver hair flowing, silently honing her skills just as she did in the past magical world. Krisha, what are you doing? Su Shi couldn't help but ask. The witch replied, Master, I am training hard to ensure your safety. Safety? Training? Su Shi chuckled. He couldn't imagine anything in this world, no, in the vastness of the chaotic multiverse, that could pose a danger requiring a supreme deity to be on guard. I'm fine, Krisha. You don't need to push yourself so hard. I understand your concern, he said, gently ruffling her soft, silver hair, which shimmered like flowing light. However, his reassurance did not make the witch stop her practice. No, Master, this is a real war, she said, holding the deep blue gemstone on her chest. The necklace reflected a dreamy glow, undulating like the calm sea before a storm. With a slightly dazed expression, she shook her head ever so slightly. All right then, Su Shi sighed. He could tell the war Krisha referred to wasn't a matter of life and death. If it were, her reaction would have been much more intense. Unable to understand her motives, he let her continue. After all, it was her own choice, and he wouldn't oppose it. In fact, he supported it. Having her own goals is a big step forward, he thought, recalling the once helpless and melancholic Krisha. Now, that shadow was gradually transforming into light, and it pleased him to see such progress. He accepted the cup of tea she handed him. Master, please have some tea. Thank you, he replied with a smile. Krisha seemed almost too perfect. Despite her rigorous training, she still made time to prepare tea for him. Su Shi sipped the warm tea, gazing at the sky. Strange, autumn shouldn't be here yet. Why is it getting colder recently? The summer heat had inexplicably faded, replaced by an unusual chill. Perhaps it was due to Earth's rapid ascension? He pondered, pouring a fresh bottle of dragon's blood onto the dragon blood grass in the courtyard. The enriched soil would ensure healthy growth despite the temperature drop. Maybe I should add a fishing pond. With that thought, Su Shi expanded his daily routine. He dug a pond in the courtyard and used spatial laws to extend its interior, filling it with various supernatural fish, not rare species, just common ones. Sitting leisurely by the pond, he enjoyed the quiet and the passage of time. However, something soon felt off. Splash! A golden dragon carp broke through the water's surface, caught by Sushi's fishing rod and effortlessly reeled in. Wait, is this an immortal carp? He raised an eyebrow in surprise. He cast his line again, and soon enough, another extraordinary fish took the bait this time, a great sun demon fish infused with golden crow bloodline. Huh? Sushi had a hunch. If this keeps up. Splash! On his third cast, he reeled in a vicious sea god fish. Its sharp teeth bared menacingly, though it was easily subdued. As expected, his sister, the witch, and the princess had been secretly feeding rare fish into the pond. Looking at the three extraordinary fish, Sushi shook his head. This kind of fishing lacks soul. Summoning the three culprits, he flicked their foreheads gently. You can't keep doing this, understood? I understand, brother. Yes, master. I won't do it again, ahem, I really won't. Su Moli responded obediently. Krisha covered her forehead in a daze, while Wu Yingxiu awkwardly laughed and apologized for her enthusiasm. The scene was amusing. Beings revered by countless lives as supreme deities now looked like guilty children before Sushi. Even he couldn't help but laugh at the thought. I really hope this peace lasts forever. Time flowed like an hourglass, grains of sand slipping away, witnessing countless cycles of life. The autumn Sushi once thought was distant had finally arrived. The leaves turned yellow, the sunlight softened, and the clear blue sky grew quieter. Just looking at it brought a cool sensation. Krisha continued her relentless training. Moli practiced her dimensional slicing as usual, while Wu Yingxiu seemed the most relaxed, frequently visiting the survivalist camp on the outskirts. Of course, Sushi knew this was only their surface projections. Beyond what his eyes could see, their true forms were still breaking through dimensional boundaries within the multiversal river of time. Dimensional rift appearances have increased lately. This means Earth's ascension is accelerating, and its power limit is rising. Perhaps it won't be long before we can truly meet. In his free time, Sushi browsed the Transcendent Home website on his phone, reading through the rapidly updating news and marveling at Earth's drastic changes. He also checked out the latest products, staying up to date with the evolving times. Great news! M78 Light Ore Detector, now only 99 points buy now, pay later. The Fire Kylan series is now available, from vehicles to grenades, infused with Fire Kylan heart blood and inscribed with Taoist fire talisman. Slaying demons is no longer a dream. Limited time sale. Pleasure sect secret techniques. Content removed due to violation, confirmed by the official site. Sushi? He couldn't help but chuckle at the sheer absurdity of the transcendent community. It remained as eccentric as ever. Thinking back, I never could have imagined the world would turn out like this. After a sigh of nostalgia, he got up. He was preparing to head to the capital to attend the Heavenly Sword Sect's grand founding ceremony, organized by Li Wanshao. The Heavenly Sword Sect was the sect from Sushi's first simulation. To him, it held a special place, as it marked the beginning of his path to strength and carried a unique significance. However, his feelings toward it were more nostalgic than anything else. Li Wanshao, on the other hand, was different. As a former peak master of the Heavenly Sword Sect, he had spent most of his life within the sect long before Sushi ever joined. What seemed to others like an ordinary cultivation sect was, in the old man's heart, synonymous with home. The sect's buildings, the towering sword peak, the familiar disciples, and the laughter from the past. Each memory was not just part of the sect's history but a testament to Li Wanshao's lifetime. Thus, Li Wanshao never stopped thinking about the sect. Initially, his goal was to locate the coordinates of the cultivation world and break through space to return. However, after learning about Su Moli's achievements and the fate of the immortal realm, he silently abandoned that idea and instead decided to rebuild the Heavenly Sword Sect on Earth. Sushi recalled that this idea was brought up during the new year. He hadn't expected the old man to act so quickly. In just over half a year, the reconstruction plan had been perfectly executed, and Sushi was invited to attend the grand ceremony. Sushi gladly accepted and brought Moli along. After all, his sister was once a disciple of the Heavenly Sword Sect, and hearing about its reconstruction piqued her curiosity. Soon, the two of them arrived in the capital. The new Heavenly Sword Sect was situated not far from the Transcendent Affairs Bureau. Its overall design and layout were meticulously recreated from the old sect. More precisely, it was a blend of the original Heavenly Sword Sect and a newly established one. This energy. I see. So, Master found the sect's dimensional remnant and restored the old structures in the real world. Sushi mused as he gazed at the familiar landscapes. He could clearly see that some of the scenery was exactly as he remembered it. Even the figures flying on swords were people he recognized, obviously visitors from the dimensional remnants of the original cultivation world. As he and Moli walked deeper into the sect, they were greeted with respectful bows from disciples along the way. Eventually, they found Li Wanshao in the middle of his busy preparations. The old man's eyes lit up the moment he saw Sushi, and he tightly grasped his hand. Once again, he insisted that Sushi should take on the role of sect master. No, master, Sushi quickly declined. I'm really not interested in being the sect master. You fool! If you and I work together, why shouldn't we expand and strengthen the sect? The old man retorted, his beard bristling in frustration. Ultimately, however, he did not force Sushi. Sighing and shaking his head, he declared that he would have to settle for being the sect's founding ancestor despite his immortal status. Ungrateful disciple, he grumbled, but his eyes were filled with warmth as he turned to Molly, advising her not to follow Sushi's bad example. Sushi? What kind of nonsense was that? Soon, the grand ceremony commenced, and the scene was lively and vibrant. Dazzling spells filled the air, and spiritual energy surged everywhere. A large number of transcendent beings attended to witness the event, with even some government officials among the invited guests. Li Wanshao, as the sect master, was overwhelmed with responsibilities. Su Shi, however, did not stay. He wasn't fond of crowded occasions. Instead, he found a high platform from where he could quietly watch the excitement below. Aren't we going down, brother? Molly, seated beside him, hesitated and said, Master, might get upset. Don't worry, Su Shi smiled. Master isn't that petty. With his transcendent vision, Su Shi could see every tiny detail of the ceremony, observing each joyful face and every intricate decoration. Among them, Li Wanshao's smile stood out the most. Su Shi had seen the old man's smile many times before, but without a doubt, today's smile was the most heartfelt. It carried a sense of belonging, a comfort of finally finding home after years of wandering and hardship. For a fleeting moment, Su Shi felt as if time had reversed, as if the first simulation had only now truly reached its conclusion. He had reunited with his beloved sister, his master had found his place, and the heavenly sword sect had been reborn. Brother, brother. Molly's voice brought him back from his thoughts. Sorry, I got lost in thought. He chuckled apologetically, gently ruffling his sister's hair. What were you thinking about, brother? She asked curiously. There was nothing to hide. Su Shi shared his thoughts. I was just thinking about how long ago it was when we first joined the heavenly sword sect, the things we went through. Taking master as our teacher, our training, even treating our illnesses. It all feels like such a long time ago, yet it also feels like it happened just yesterday. Seeing master so happy makes me a little emotional, Su Shi said with a warm smile. The autumn breeze had grown colder, but the sect's protective formation kept the chill at bay, and many of the plants were still sprouting new buds. As he spoke in a gentle tone, past memories replayed in his mind like an old movie, vivid and clear. Time passes so quickly. Su Shi gazed at Li Wanshao again, silently wishing for the old man to stay happy forever. Hearing his words, Molly also fell into nostalgia. The ceremonial bells echoed through the sect, signifying the official establishment of the sect master position. The sound resonated with the Dao's profound laws, splitting the world into clear and pure harmony. Auspicious signs filled the sky, with celestial flowers cascading down and golden lotuses blooming from the earth. Cheers erupted. Joy spread everywhere. Everything was so lively. All right, enough reminiscing, Su Shi chuckled, ruffling his sister's hair once more. With a wave of his hand, spatial ripples flickered, and a perfectly round watermelon appeared. Using his spiritual power, he sliced it into equal portions with precision, ensuring not a drop of juice was wasted. Here, I remember you love this. There's still some time before the ceremony ends, so let's eat while we wait, he said, handing Molly a slice. The girl blinked in surprise, then a gentle smile curved her lips. Thank you, brother. Her brother hadn't changed at all, still the same as before, like a perfect reflection of the past. They each held a slice of watermelon, the once young siblings now matured, watching the ceremony unfold below. They saw Li Wanshao surrounded by people, trying his best to maintain his immortal dignity, but his eyes gleamed with joy. A gentle breeze rustled past, singing softly in their ears. The birds soared freely in the sky, their wings unrestrained. The trees stood firm, their roots deep and strong. As Molly took a bite of the watermelon, the sweet, chilled juice burst onto her tongue, a taste that spoke of love and happiness. Brother, what is it, Molly? Today's melon is really sweet. Is that so? If you like it, have some more. The crescent-shaped melon flesh was fresh and juicy, its texture soft and delicate. The juice trickled down the girl's fingers as she took another bite. A gentle nibble, a slow chew. She glanced at Su Shi beside her, then at the lively ceremony below, and finally, at the familiar scenery around her. Her gaze lingered on Senjian Peak, a place from distant memories. Gradually, her movements slowed. Holding the watermelon with both hands, her toes swayed lightly, tracing invisible arcs in the air. It felt so familiar. She thought to herself. Everything before her seemed to have returned to the past, the companionship of siblings in childhood, the journey to the heavenly sword sect in their youth. The long-gone past resurfaced, carried by the gentle breeze and the swaying green leaves. It reflected once more in her eyes. If back then, I hadn't been cursed with the so-called heaven's affliction, would I have been able to live a good life with my brother? Su Molly sat quietly, her gaze fixed on Su Shi, but her thoughts had drifted far away, like a butterfly caught in a storm, fluttering chaotically. She wondered. Perhaps she could have. Her brother possessed a heavenly spiritual root, his cultivation speed unmatched. Even if he couldn't ascend to immortality, he would have been a dominant figure in the cultivation world. Such a brother should have been radiant and magnificent. Not someone who endured endless suffering just to save her. Molly, what are you thinking about? Su Shi noticed her absent-mindedness and asked curiously. Nothing, brother. Su Molly shook her head gently. I was just thinking. I've troubled you so much in the past. That's all. Su Shi chuckled. What's there to worry about? His tone was calm, warm and natural, like a bird gliding effortlessly through the treetops, blending into the sound of the wind, bringing a sense of peace. To me, Molly is someone very important. Ignoring you would be what's truly strange. His voice and words left her momentarily stunned. Brother, you've changed. Since when did you learn to say such sweet things? She smirked, taking another bite of her watermelon. It was juicy and sweet, a sweetness that seeped into her heart, warming her soul. Did I? I'm just telling the truth. Su Shi looked confused, then took a bite of his own watermelon, casually observing the grand sect inauguration below, becoming nothing more than a bystander. The sunlight was brilliant, the air filled with a lingering sweetness. Side by side, they sat in the tranquil atmosphere, lazily eating watermelon while waiting for the ceremony to conclude. It didn't hold any special meaning for them. To both Su Shi and Su Moli, the Heavenly Sword sect was a thing of the past. The reason they stayed until the end was simply to witness Li Wanchao's moment of fulfillment, to see the old man return joyfully to his sect. Brother, I'll be heading off now. As time passed, Su Moli finished her watermelon, and the ceremony officially ended. She grinned playfully as she bid him farewell, stating she would continue traversing the realms, eager for their next reunion. All right, go ahead. Su Shi shook his head helplessly. Wherever she went, calamity was bound to follow. Fortunately, she had a sense of restraint and wouldn't bring harm to innocent beings. Well then, I should get back to my own matters as well. This time, his journey had more than one purpose. Besides attending the Heavenly Sword Sect's grand ceremony, Su Shi had another goal: to access the archives of the Supernatural Bureau in the capital. The life simulator remains a mystery for now. However, I can at least investigate the origins of Earth's spiritual energy revival. Su Shi pondered. He had already inquired with Moli, the witch, and the princess. The three women, all supreme beings, had secretly merged countless worlds into Earth to elevate it to a higher level. However, none of them knew where the original spiritual energy revival had come from. Even when they used their supreme powers to trace time and examine the past, they found nothing amiss. It was natural. It was seamless. As if Earth had always been extraordinary. Could it be AI? No, that's unlikely. In the initial catastrophe, though intelligent machines played a role, the dominant force was supernatural. That contradicts AI's influence. Deep in thought, Su Shi flew towards the bureau. On the way, he casually asked Li Wanchao for the highest level access. To this day, Li Wanchao remained the director of the Supernatural Bureau, wielding the power of a true immortal to command the vast supernatural realms. Humph, you unfilial disciple? Take it and go. Li Wanchao scowled at Su Shi, his gaze filled with frustration. Snorting loudly, he tossed the bureau's master key to him. Thanks, master. Su Shi grinned, expressing his gratitude while also congratulating his ever soft-hearted yet sharp-tongued master on becoming the sect leader. At least you have some conscience. Now get lost. The old man chuckled and waved him away with a flick of his sleeve. With the master key in hand, Su Shi wasted no time. Harnessing the laws of space, he teleported directly into the bureau's archives. The place looked exactly as he remembered. Silver corridors with a futuristic design. Countless supernatural beings moving about. An artisan automaton approached him, bowing respectfully before leading him to the records room. Mr. Su, all the files you requested are in this room. Please feel free to peruse them. If you need anything, just call for me. A human-like voice echoed from within the wooden automaton. Su Shi nodded, scanning the enormous archive filled with paper-bound confidential files and digitized records stored in servers. How long am I allowed to stay here? You have the highest level access. There are no time restrictions. Hearing this, Su Shi sighed with amusement. This was the privilege of having connections, or rather, relying on his master's influence. With a contented sigh, he stepped deeper into the records room, searching for all documents related to the first year of the spiritual energy revival. Back then, these files were classified as top secret. But now, with the supernatural world fully developed, few people still paid attention to them. Only Su Shi, driven by curiosity, felt compelled to uncover the truth behind the revival. So, this is how it happened. The initial supernatural disasters across the country occurred simultaneously. Spiritual energy for cultivation, magical elements for sorcery, martial blood energy for warriors. These vastly different supernatural forces all emerged on Earth at the same time, triggering the initial calamities. Was there a mastermind behind this? No. It seems more like an unforeseen upheaval. As he continued reading, something unexpected caught his eye. Not related to the revival of spiritual energy, but the latest intelligence report. It stated that recently, numerous wandering civilizations had willingly integrated into Earth, claiming to be refugees from other universes. They were fleeing from the judgment of a supreme tribunal. A filthy civilization must be cleansed. A tainted starry sky must be purified. A chaotic universe must be reshaped. A filthy civilization must be cleansed. A tainted starry sky must be purified. A chaotic universe must be reshaped. For this, the judge and executioner was the supreme terror known across the multiverse. Master, this starry sky still seems so dirty. But I can no longer wait. In the chaotic dimensional space, an unprecedented war was unfolding. Endless starlight adorned every strand of the dimensional strings. A mere tremor or a subtle touch could reshape the universe, plunging countless civilizations into despair. Victory was impossible. There was no chance of winning. The enemy was beyond infinity, transcending all possibilities, disregarding the universe's very order. This was the true pinnacle of supremacy. Omniscient. Omnipotent. One with the entirety of space and time. How could anyone hope to win against such an opponent? And indeed, they could not. A soft pop echoed the sound of a bubble bursting. The allied forces of predator civilizations vanished in an instant, erased from existence itself. Golden streaks shimmered in the flowing black hair, elegant and breathtaking. The supreme judgment ceased its conquest. In the serene silver blue eyes, galaxies swirled, painting a spectacle of vast, unending beauty. Her gaze fixed upon the distant chaos beyond. She could wait no longer, not even for a second. Her loyalty ran too deep to hesitate. She could feel it now. His warmth had returned, yet he was trapped in unspeakable danger. I must save Master. Alii stepped forward, her delicate toes pressing against the planar surface of time and space. Each step she took sent ripples cascading outward. This was the collision of universes. The tides of space and time surged in response. Praise the supreme judgment, praise the father of machines. Among the tides, lawful and benevolent civilizations gazed in reverence as the mechanical servant shattered through time and space. The capital. Supernatural Bureau. Archives room. Su Shi gently closed the last book. All right, that's enough for today. He returned the documents to their place, swept his gaze around to ensure nothing was left out, then prepared to leave the capital. There weren't as many records on the first spiritual energy revival as he had expected. It had only taken him a few hours to memorize everything relevant. From what I've read, there's very little useful information. Aside from the emergence of supernatural systems and the formation of the dimensional rifts, there's nothing particularly valuable. In that case, I might as well visit the sites of past supernatural disasters and investigate personally. Su Shi pondered as he stepped out of the Supernatural Bureau. Within the range of his mental perception, he sensed Red Dragon resting comfortably atop a mountain of gold and silver, lazily flapping its wings over the glittering treasure. Should he say hello? After some thought, Su Shi decided against it. Letting Red Dragon rest was for the best. It contributed to a balanced cycle of development. I should head home first, Su Shi chuckled, shaking his head. He refrained from disturbing the dragon's leisurely time and took a light step, teleporting across an immense distance. With a single breath, the scenery before him shifted to the courtyard of Yinshan City. Master. The autumn afternoon sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting dappled shadows onto the stone path. A touch of time's passage. The witch, deep in meditation, paused her practice. With an adorably dazed expression, she greeted Su Shi while holding the grey reignite magic staff he had gifted her. Then, she sniffed the air. The witch tilted her head, her mesmerizing, hollow eyes gazing at Su Shi. Master, your scent has gotten stronger. Scent? Before Su Shi could respond, the witch silently tightened her grip on her staff. Rest assured, I will protect you and keep all evil at bay. Her voice was firm, her silver grey hair swaying with her movements, adding an air of mystery. Looking at her calm and serious face, Su Shi found himself unable to refuse her. He still had no idea what threat Krisha was guarding against. Nor did he know what kind of enemy required such vigilance from an eternal supreme being. Su Shi assumed it was just Krisha being overly cautious. But he didn't turn down her goodwill. Instead, he gently ruffled her silver grey hair, choosing to trust her. Then I'll be counting on you, Krisha. Oddly enough, as soon as he spoke those words, the courtyard seemed to grow colder than usual, and a few withered leaves trembled before falling to the ground. The weather sure is unpredictable. Su Shi glanced at the darkening sky but paid it no further mind. After bidding farewell to the witch, he headed straight for his study at the courtyard's edge. He needed to record, compare, and uncover the truth. Since Earth's ascension, its terrain had shifted. Finding the exact locations of the initial spiritual energy revival would take some time. Strangely, as Su Shi became engrossed in his work, the once serene courtyard turned lively. His sister, naturally, was busy with her realm-cleaving missions. The witch balanced housework with meditation training, remaining ever alert for any lurking dangers. Even the usually carefree princess was acting unusually serious. She paced with her hands behind her back, sometimes nodding, sometimes shaking her head. She looked as if she were eagerly anticipating something. Every now and then, Wu Yingxiu would pop into the study, watching Su Shi compare his findings. She even joined in his search for the initial site of the spiritual energy revival. Sir, does this really matter? Well, maybe, maybe not. When the princess curiously asked, Su Shi first nodded, then shook his head. The truth about spiritual energy revival didn't necessarily matter. Earth's transformation was irreversible, and with several supreme beings ensuring its safety, there was little cause for concern. Su Shi's investigation stemmed mostly from curiosity and a need to keep himself occupied. Besides, he suspected that the revival of spiritual energy might be linked to the life simulator within him. Both were equally mysterious. Both were vast and complex. Their natures were strikingly similar. Let's go back, Yingxiu. Hehe, all right. Wu Yingxiu giggled, then suddenly pushed Su Shi forward from behind, propelling the great scholar homeward. It was a rather unusual way to return. With each step, the fabric of spacetime tore apart under their force, forming a radiant corridor that connected two locations, shattering dimensions in its wake. As a result, Wu Yingxiu received a flick to the forehead. Next time, be gentler. What if you cause a spacetime disturbance? Understood, sir. The princess acknowledged her mistake instantly, but her overly cheerful tone made it clear she would definitely do it again. For this, the judge and executioner was the supreme terror known across the multiverse. Master, this starry sky still seems so dirty. But I can no longer wait. In the chaotic dimensional space, an unprecedented war was unfolding. Endless starlight adorned every strand of the dimensional strings. A mere tremor or a subtle touch could reshape the universe, plunging countless civilizations into despair. Victory was impossible. There was no chance of winning. The enemy was beyond infinity, transcending all possibilities, disregarding the universe's very order. This was the true pinnacle of supremacy. Omniscient. Omnipotent. One with the entirety of space and time. How could anyone hope to win against such an opponent? And indeed, they could not. A soft pop echoed the sound of a bubble bursting. The allied forces of predator civilizations vanished in an instant, erased from existence itself. Golden streaks shimmered in the flowing black hair, elegant and breathtaking. The supreme judgment ceased its conquest. In the serene silver blue eyes, galaxies swirled, painting a spectacle of vast, unending beauty. Her gaze fixed upon the distant chaos beyond. She could wait no longer, not even for a second. Her loyalty ran too deep to hesitate. She could feel it now. His warmth had returned, yet he was trapped in unspeakable danger. I must save Master. Alii stepped forward, her delicate toes pressing against the planar surface of time and space. Each step she took sent ripples cascading outward. This was the collision of universes. The tides of space and time surged in response. Praise the supreme judgment, praise the father of machines. Among the tides, lawful and benevolent civilizations gazed in reverence as the mechanical servant shattered through time and space. The capital. Supernatural Bureau. Archives room. Su Shi gently closed the last book. All right, that's enough for today. He returned the documents to their place, swept his gaze around to ensure nothing was left out, then prepared to leave the capital. There weren't as many records on the first spiritual energy revival as he had expected. It had only taken him a few hours to memorize everything relevant. From what I've read, there's very little useful information. Aside from the emergence of supernatural systems and the formation of the dimensional rifts, there's nothing particularly valuable. In that case, I might as well visit the sites of past supernatural disasters and investigate personally. Su Shi pondered as he stepped out of the Supernatural Bureau. Within the range of his mental perception, he sensed Red Dragon resting comfortably atop a mountain of gold and silver, lazily flapping its wings over the glittering treasure. Should he say hello? After some thought, Su Shi decided against it. Letting Red Dragon rest was for the best. It contributed to a balanced cycle of development. I should head home first, Su Shi chuckled, shaking his head. He refrained from disturbing the dragon's leisurely time and took a light step, teleporting across an immense distance. With a single breath, the scenery before him shifted to the courtyard of Yinshan City. Master. The autumn afternoon sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting dappled shadows onto the stone path. A touch of time's passage. The witch, deep in meditation, paused her practice. With an adorably dazed expression, she greeted Su Shi while holding the grey reignite magic staff he had gifted her. Then, she sniffed the air. The witch tilted her head, her mesmerizing, hollow eyes gazing at Su Shi. Master, your scent has gotten stronger. Scent? Before Su Shi could respond, the witch silently tightened her grip on her staff. Rest assured, I will protect you and keep all evil at bay. Her voice was firm, her silver-gray hair swaying with her movements, adding an air of mystery. Looking at her calm and serious face, Su Shi found himself unable to refuse her. He still had no idea what threat Krisha was guarding against. Nor did he know what kind of enemy required such vigilance from an eternal supreme being. Su Shi assumed it was just Krisha being overly cautious. But he didn't turn down her goodwill. Instead, he gently ruffled her silver-gray hair, choosing to trust her. Then I'll be counting on you, Krisha. Oddly enough, as soon as he spoke those words, the courtyard seemed to grow colder than usual, and a few withered leaves trembled before falling to the ground. The weather sure is unpredictable. Su Shi glanced at the darkening sky but paid it no further mind. After bidding farewell to the witch, he headed straight for his study at the courtyard's edge. He needed to record, compare, and uncover the truth. Since Earth's ascension, its terrain had shifted. Finding the exact locations of the initial spiritual energy revival would take some time. Strangely, as Su Shi became engrossed in his work, the once serene courtyard turned lively. His sister, naturally, was busy with her realm-cleaving missions. The witch balanced housework with meditation training, remaining ever alert for any lurking dangers. Even the usually carefree princess was acting unusually serious. She paced with her hands behind her back, sometimes nodding, sometimes shaking her head. She looked as if she were eagerly anticipating something. Every now and then, Wu Yingsnow would pop into the study, watching Su Shi compare his findings. She even joined in his search for the initial site of the spiritual energy revival. Sir, does this really matter? Well, maybe, maybe not. When the princess curiously asked, Su Shi first nodded, then shook his head. The truth about spiritual energy revival didn't necessarily matter. Earth's transformation was irreversible, and with several supreme beings ensuring its safety, there was little cause for concern. Su Shi's investigation stemmed mostly from curiosity and a need to keep himself occupied. Besides, he suspected that the revival of spiritual energy might be linked to the life simulator within him. Both were equally mysterious. Both were vast and complex. Their natures were strikingly similar. Let's go back, Yingsnow. Hehe, all right. Wu Yingsnow giggled, then suddenly pushed Su Shi forward from behind, propelling the great scholar homeward. It was a rather unusual way to return. With each step, the fabric of spacetime tore apart under their force, forming a radiant corridor that connected two locations, shattering dimensions in its wake. As a result, Wu Yingsno received a flick to the forehead. Next time, be gentler. What if you cause a spacetime disturbance? Understood, sir. The princess acknowledged her mistake instantly, but her overly cheerful tone made it clear she would definitely do it again. The autumn sun reflected off the glass walls. Fallen leaves lined the streets, their golden hues painting a picture of the season's desolation. Pedestrians wrapped their coats tighter, quickening their pace, eager to return home for a brief respite. A few days later, Su Shi stood in the courtyard, sensing the subtle changes in Yanshan City while recalling his recent findings. I've been to every possible location, and there's nothing unusual. I even had Yingxiu investigate, but she found nothing. Could it be that the revival of spiritual energy was a natural occurrence on Earth? Su Shi frowned. His eyes reflected the autumn scenery, the drifting leaves and the diligent witch immersed in her training. Lately, Krisha had been training even more rigorously. Su Shi rarely saw her this alert. But instead of looking wary of danger, she resembled a small animal fiercely protecting its precious food. Her serious training expression amused him. Not mockingly, but in a way that appreciated her adorableness. Stare. Krisha's instincts remained sharp. The moment Su Shi entertained the thought, she lifted her head and met his gaze with her vacant yet inquisitive eyes. Master, what are you thinking? She asked, and Su Shi answered truthfully. Nothing much. Just thinking that a serious Krisha is quite cute. He chuckled, ruffling her silver gray hair. The witch blinked blankly before nodding in acknowledgement. After ensuring Krisha was fine, Su Shi returned to his room. He settled by the window, where the golden sunlight fell across his face and nose bridge. Opening a record book in his hands, he traced his notes with thoughtful eyes. I've investigated every site from the official archives regarding the initial spiritual energy revival, yet I found no anomalies. Was there truly nothing unusual? Or, the autumn light illuminated the pure white pages, making every word stand out clearly. Su Shi pondered over his findings. He found it hard to believe. How could Earth, originally devoid of supernatural forces, suddenly awaken with multiple extraordinary systems? The idea was too abstract. But Yingxiu found no irregularities. This meant the truth was either exactly as it seemed, or something powerful enough to block supreme beings had hidden the truth. Su Shi wondered if he was overthinking things. Would any supreme being be so idle as to tamper with Earth just to revive its spiritual energy? That made no sense. If not for the simulator, if not for me, Molly and the others wouldn't have even noticed Earth, let alone assist in its ascension. So, could this really be the simulator's doing? When every other possibility was eliminated, the only remaining answer had to be the truth. From what Su Shi understood, the beautiful life simulator was an entity beyond comprehension. Its origin and existence defied logic. If Earth's transformation and the sudden emergence of supernatural forces all stemmed from the simulator, then it made sense why Yingxiu found no anomalies. After all, Su Shi had previously confirmed that even supreme beings couldn't perceive the simulator's interface. Could it be? The so-called beautiful life simulator simply means adapting the simulated power to reality, making me thrive in this revived world. Su Shi closed the record book. The cover shimmered with golden light, casting a soft glow on his startled face. Muttering to himself, he said, if that's the case, then I may have misunderstood the simulator. However, this still doesn't explain its origins, its true nature, or why it appeared on Earth. Molly and the others can't influence the simulator. They can only sense faint disturbances when a simulation begins. Perhaps, during my next simulation, I should focus on exploring this aspect. Su Shi leaned back in his wooden chair, his gaze shifting toward the towering display cabinet in the room. Through the glass doors, 4 items were clearly visible inside. His sister's candy jar, the witch's magic staff, the princess's paper flower, and the machine servant's identification tag. Each item carried cherished memories. As he looked at them, he recalled the faces and voices tied to each moment, evoking a deep, irreplaceable bond. Involuntarily, a smile spread across his face. But then, his expression suddenly froze. Su Shi remembered something crucial. Logically, I should be grateful to the simulator. It gave me the opportunity to change my life, granting me supernatural powers and allowing me to meet the people who matter most. But if the simulator itself caused the revival of spiritual energy, then doesn't that mean it was also responsible for my crippled legs back then? A wave of complex emotions surged within him. He truly appreciated the simulator for changing his life. Yet at the same time, he had a strong urge to dismantle it. Damn it. This simulator really isn't beautiful at all. Having uncovered the truth behind the spiritual energy revival, Su Shi felt considerably relieved. Despite its flaws, he still trusted the simulator. Aside from constantly killing him in bizarre ways during simulations, it had been a reliable tool. Well then, time to enjoy some peaceful days. With the investigation concluded, there was nothing left to worry about. Su Shi's daily life returned to its usual tranquility, whether it was rigorous training, tending to his plants, or fishing in the nearby streams. It was a simple yet comforting routine. Except that strange feeling crept up on him again. Winter was still far away, yet the autumn air was becoming unnaturally cold. Is Earth's ascension progressing too fast, causing the climate to fluctuate? Su Shi speculated. There wasn't much he could do. Regarding Earth's ascension, the only option was to wait. Brother, I want candy. As always, the mischievous Su Moli clung to Sushi's arm, playfully demanding sweets. She seemed to be in an unusually good mood lately. Yet, whenever Sushi asked why, she refused to answer. Brother, it's a secret, she would say with a mysterious smile, her eyes drifting to the ceiling, the corners of her lips curling slightly. In stark contrast, Krisha continued her intense preparations. Wielding her magic staff, elemental energy swirled around her, and the very laws of the world seemed to orbit her being. Master, please try to stay indoors for now, she warned, insisting that the outside world had become too dangerous and that she could best protect him if he remained at home. It's fine, Krisha. With my strength, there's no way I'd be in danger. Sushi reassured the witch with a light-hearted laugh. Though, now that he thought about it, hadn't they had a conversation like this once before? No matter. With 3 supreme beings as his support system, invincibility and safety were practically guaranteed. Master, what is it, Krisha? The new item in your room, what is it? Oh, don't worry about it. It's just a machine identification tag with sentimental value. During her free time, while cleaning Sushi's bedroom, Krisha's vacant eyes often rested on the 4th compartment of the display cabinet. She asked Sushi about it, and upon learning its significance, her usually indifferent expression turned slightly serious. What's wrong, Krisha? Do you want to move it? No need, Master. The witch shook her head. She said that placing RTX 9090's identification tag in the 4th compartment was fine. No further adjustments were necessary. Master, I will protect you no matter what. Krisha's voice was faint, almost as if it would be carried away by the autumn wind, yet within her fragile tone lay a resolute determination. That eternally youthful 17-year-old face remained solely devoted to Sushi. All right, Sushi smiled, acknowledging the witch's intent. His answer reassured Krisha. At the very least, her master was still on her side. But the enemy was already closing in. Faced with such a shameless adversary, she had to strike hard. Tick, tock. The bleak autumn began to fade into darkness. The pendulum swung left and right in the dim light, its brass hands chasing after the next marker, striving for an unattainable end. Night had fallen, and Sushi was about to rest. Sitting by his bedroom window, he flipped through cultivation and martial arts texts, preparing to find the right moment to break into the next realm. Deep in concentration, Sushi remained oblivious to the immense wills clashing in a distant dimension, far beyond Earth. Master, soon. Alii will serve you once more. This time, it will be forever. Her calm words carried endless longing, a feeling that should never have existed. Yet because of a certain someone, the cold and lifeless machine had developed emotions had gained the possibility of humanity. Once, she had a mechanical core, now, she had a beating heart. Once, she had a simulated existence, now, she was truly alive. She felt joy, she felt anticipation, she felt unease. A loyal machine servant crossed the vastness of time and space, breaking through the barriers of countless dimensions, all to see him once more to give her lonely soul a home. Yes, only him. It had to be him. Boom, boom. Chaos trembled violently, and the river of time surged with towering waves. Silver blue eyes cast a single, indifferent glance. The once turbulent river of time instantly settled, flowing through the myriad worlds in tranquil silence. Forward. Ever forward. Alii's speed increased, continuously locking onto the coordinates of her old body, hurtling toward that familiar warmth. But in this world, things rarely go as planned. Even for the supreme judgment. Just as she was about to enter the universe where Earth resided, she was forced to stop, halting in the chaotic void. Was she surprised? Not at all. As her silver blue eyes calmly observed, from the other side of the river of time emerged 3 unfathomable figures, their auras suppressing all existence. They represented cultivation, magic, and martial arts. These 3 figures were precisely the danger the loyal machine servant feared, the ones who constantly surrounded Sushi. Something peculiar occurred. The female immortal, holding a blood-stained wooden sword, stepped back. The martial emperor, bathed in the fire of survival, retreated as well. But in the center, the one who symbolized the origin of all things, the embodiment of the void. The witch, with an equally indifferent expression, parted her lips and spoke in the chaotic void. You shouldn't have come. I should have come long ago. You are dangerous. So are you. Almost simultaneously, both the witch and the machine servant sensed an overwhelming threat, the threat of encountering their own kind. Like reflections in a mirror, Krisha, with her silver gray hair and magic staff, stood at the left bank of the time-space river. Alii, with her elegant black gold hair, stood at the right bank. Their appearances were different. Their statures were different. Their attire was different. Yet their hidden auras and unwavering beliefs were an uncanny 99.99% identical. Hiss from within the chaotic currents, Wu Yingxiu's gaze flickered between the witch and the machine servant. She looked back and forth, finding no sense of discord. Even the tension between them was equally intense and striking. Subconsciously, a phrase surfaced in the princess's mind: 2 tigers cannot share one mountain. However, neither the witch nor the machine servant was impulsive. Both were rational and composed. Instead of immediately attacking, they exchanged intelligence with calm, detached voices. Only then did they realize each other's identity. One was the witch, personally mentored by Sushi. The other was the machine servant who had accompanied him through the apocalyptic wasteland. Reincarnation, is it? Alii's gaze lingered first on the witch before shifting toward Su Moli and Wu Yingxiu. As expected, These people were far too dangerous. Upon learning of Sushi's past with the three supreme beings, the loyal machine servant strengthened her resolve she had to take her master away. To her, these three were reckless, incapable of properly protecting him. Especially, Aliai's gaze locked on to Krisha, a machine servant who had transcended her mechanical nature, a witch who had been saved by the sun. Now, they stood in absolute opposition. Until I confirm your safety, I will not let you meet Master, Krisha said calmly. Was this the real reason? Perhaps. Perhaps not. I don't need your permission. The machine servant spoke softly. Beneath her feet, time shattered, order reformed, and the chaos of existence was reduced to its fundamental logic and causality. My life is determined only by my master. Master? Whose master? That's my master? Krisha's face remained expressionless, but her grip on her magic staff tightened with emotion. Her fists clenched hard. Destruction. Without another word, Krisha swung her magic staff, unleashing an attack. In an instant, all the heavens and realms came to a halt. A brief yet utterly destructive force surged toward Aliai. At that moment alone, countless multiverse worlds trembled on the brink of collapse, nearly sinking into the time-space river. Severance. Aliai raised a finger, where dimensions flickered in and out of existence, ultimately erasing the force of destruction itself. At the same time, she spoke again, calmly recounting the past between her and Sushi. Memories that neither the witch, the female immortal, nor the princess could comprehend. During that time, Sushi had done many unforgivable things to the machine servant. He had given cold machinery the ability to feel. For that, the machine servant had to find him and make him take responsibility. The era of the gods had long passed. The eternal witch had paved the way for a new future. The universe's civilizations no longer descended into chaos and bloodshed. The machine servant of creation had eradicated all filth and disorder. Both possessed unparalleled power. Both commanded the awe of the myriad worlds. The battle between the machine servant and the witch was fierce, their clashes so intense that even the residual shockwaves reduced countless dimensions to unobservable dust. As a machine, you are incapable of properly serving Master. No, on the contrary, only I can serve Master perfectly. Their calm voices hit a lethal edge. Meanwhile, Su Moli and Wu Yingxiu stood watching from the sidelines, utterly stunned. Never before had they seen the witch in such an aggressive state. As they marveled at the spectacle, they continuously worked to restore the fabric of space-time. Otherwise, the battle between two supreme beings would spiral out of control. They had initially assumed that this conflict between the machine servant and the witch would continue indefinitely, that it had nothing to do with them as mere spectators. But then, the machine servant's arrogance crossed a line. Even the usually carefree princess slowly withdrew the smile from her face. Take responsibility. Did you just say Master should take responsibility? The 3000 Deo condensed into a spear. With a firm grip, a light flick, and a sharp rotation, a single casual flourish ignited the boundless chaos in flames. Despite the grandeur of her movements, she held back somewhat, preventing irreversible destruction. In contrast, a pitch-black, blood-stained wooden sword radiated pure killing intent, gripped in a flawless, snow-white hand, ascending to an even deadlier state with each step forward. Aliai's words had triggered a flood of unpleasant memories in Su Moli's mind. Memories of the so-called kind-hearted people. Memories of the so-called pitiable ones. She was the first one to arrive. She was the first one to find her brother. In the suffocating tension, the two supreme beings who had previously stepped back to give the witch space to fight, now returned to their original positions. Did the machine servant intend to challenge three supreme beings at once? The witch frowned, finding this incomprehensible. But Aliai dismissed the notion with an impassive tone. No, you are the challengers. I have been with Master the longest. Compared to me, you are insignificant. Especially, you. Her silver blue eyes locked onto the witch's tricolored gaze, black, gold, and red. Their attributes were similar. Their paths were similar. Their roles were similar. The threat they posed to each other was undeniable. So much so that Aliai could not overlook it. Come. I will take on all three of you at once, Aliai declared. Her eyes flickered with a hidden glint, peering through the gaps between the three supreme beings, landing on the brilliant stars in the distance, the universe where Earth resided. The loyal machine servant could feel it. Su Shi was there. It was time. Time to rescue Master from the depths of peril. As the battle intensified, Aliai decisively unleashed an immeasurable surge of quantum signals, launching them all toward Earth. The timing was perfect. The angle was nearly impossible to predict. With so many quantum signals, at least one or two should have broken through the encirclement, reaching Earth and the people most important to Master. Yes, that should have been the case. Apologies, but this path is off limits. With a flick of her spear, Wu Yingxiu smirked as she obliterated every last quantum signal, as if she had anticipated the machine servant's move all along. Troublesome, Aliai muttered, frowning. No matter. There were backup plans A, B, C, and D. Achoo. Late at night, an inexplicable chill swept in. Strange and mysterious. Su Shi sneezed, not due to illness, for a being at his level could not fall sick. It felt more like a warning. A reminder. Did I forget to do something? The Supernatural Administration Bureau, the Dimensional Ruins, the Seeker's Army, the dragon blood grass in the courtyard. Sitting in his bedroom, Su Shi pondered, ruling out possibilities one by one. But after careful consideration, there was nothing amiss. The girls were all supreme beings. He had no need to worry about them. Strange. Suspicious, he glanced at the ancient texts in his hands. Could there have been an error in the breakthrough plan he devised for his cultivation and martial arts? A possibility. To be safe, I should double-check. I have plenty of time, anyway. Under the dim glow of the autumn night, the soft rustling of pages accompanied the mingling light of moon and lamp. Shi began meticulously reviewing his advancement strategy. He had mastered 3 distinct transcendent paths. Magic had already ascended into divinity. Naturally, achieving immortality through cultivation and transcending martial arts had become his next priorities. He planned to leverage his divine status to accelerate his progress in the other 2 disciplines. Rustle, rustle. The room was silent, the lamplight hazy. In such tranquility, even the passage of time became imperceptible. Under the blanket of night, the world seemed to breathe in sync with him. Shi meticulously examined his training regimens, reflecting on his progress. Cultivation, magic, martial arts. 3 completely different paths, each with its own wonders, now coexisting harmoniously within him. What kind of existence would he become in the future? Shi was curious but knew he was still only at the beginning of his journey. I'm feeling a little thirsty. As soon as the thought crossed his mind, a cup of warm water was placed before him. Master, please drink. Ah, thank you, Alii. Without thinking, Shi accepted the cup and drained it in one gulp, expressing his gratitude to the machine servant. Alii was fiercely loyal, but Shi never took that loyalty for granted. From the very first simulation to this moment, he had always acknowledged her efforts. Wait. Alii? Cough, cough. Shi choked, nearly spraying the water out. His eyes widened as he turned to look beside him. A flawless face. A mature figure. Golden hair shimmering with a faint glow. Everything was exactly as he remembered. Alii. Yes, I am here. The machine servant stood calmly, awaiting his command. Yet, beneath her composed demeanor, Shi detected something different. Something subtle. Moreover, the 9090 identification tag, once stored in his display cabinet, was now missing. Alii, can you tell me how you got here? Shi hesitated before asking. Yes, master. Alii is honored to serve you. She nodded. With a tranquil voice, she explained her actions in brief. I sensed that you were in danger. For your safety, I used the core of my former 9090 body to manifest here. This was not a mere projection. It was a full descent onto Earth, using her old body as a medium. An impressive feat. Shi was amazed. No wonder Alii had appeared so suddenly after all, the RTX 9090 identification tag had always been stored in his room. I see. Alii, you've grown. Shi's expression softened, genuinely pleased with her progress. As he gently ruffled her hair, a new question surfaced in his mind. What exactly did Alii mean by danger? Master, there's no time to explain. Please come with me now. Alii will protect you at all costs. Faced with Shi's confusion, the machine servant initially wanted to explain, but then suddenly sensed something. Her expression shifted into a defensive stance, and she grabbed Shi, immediately traversing through time and space. Whoosh! Time froze, and space shattered. In the presence of the creator of the universe, even the ascended and transformed Earth could not resist in the slightest. In just a brief moment of distraction, Shi had already been taken away by the machine servant, vanishing from the courtyard and the gaze of the 3 supreme beings. In an instant, he had crossed the boundless sea of stars. The cosmic sea was vast and cold. Trillions of stars gathered into a dazzling celestial waterfall, which Alii quickly left behind, reduced to a mere flash in Shi's vision. He felt uneasy. Wasn't this development a little too extreme? A long-awaited reunion should have been warm and peaceful. Why had it turned into an escape? Alii, did you misunderstand something? Realizing he was moving further away from Earth, Shi finally spoke. Actually, I'm perfectly safe. There's no danger at all. Being taken away by Alii wasn't something he particularly minded. He trusted his loyal machine servant had no ill intentions. However, with his sister, the witch, and the princess still in the courtyard, they would surely notice his sudden disappearance. The consequences of that realization would be unimaginable. Rest assured, master, there is no misunderstanding. Alii is saving your life. Her answer was serious, her silver blue eyes flickering. She firmly believed the 3 supreme beings in the courtyard were extremely dangerous to Shi's safety. Thus, she needed to take him away, to a place that was truly safe, to serve him once again and ensure his survival. The endless galaxy gleamed brilliantly, reflecting the unwavering determination in Alii's eyes, as well as Shi's astonishment. No, Alii, listen to me, this is a complete misunderstanding. Shi finally realized that the machine servant had misunderstood everything. Clearly, the overwhelming strength of his sister and the others had been misinterpreted as a threat. Because of this, Alii had made a drastic move, taking him directly off Earth in an attempt to protect him. Shi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He once again assured her that he was in no danger whatsoever. He wanted her to stop, to avoid an unnecessary battle. But just then, familiar voices echoed from beyond time and space, filled with icy resolve and a hint of killing intent. Brother, Molly is here. Master. Sir, I'm coming to help you. Shi's disappearance and the disturbance in his room had not escaped the notice of the 3 supreme beings. It had only been a short while, and they had already caught up. What followed was an earth-shattering spectacle. Sword techniques cleaved through the stars, martial arts shattered the heavens, and creation and destruction reshaped the primordial chaos. Then we fight. Without hesitation, the machine servant launched into battle. The starry sky collapsed, reality twisted, and the clash between the four supreme beings warped the universe itself, reducing existence into mere threads. And this was only a fraction of their true power. At the critical moment, Su Shi intervened, stopping the battle and clearing up the misunderstanding. Thus, the universe returned to peace. All the shattered stars were restored, rewound to their original state by time itself. I see now. They are not enemies. Under Su Shi's gaze, Alii finally realized her mistake. She apologized sincerely. Perhaps it was an illusion. But Su Shi thought he heard a trace of regret in Alii's voice. Hello, I'm Su Moli. Hello, I'm Wu Yingxiu. I am Krisha Christina, Master's disciple. I am Alii, Master's machine servant. With the misunderstanding resolved, the four girls shook hands in a display of goodwill. The harmonious scene made Su Shi breathe a sigh of relief. This was how it should be. This was how a reunion should feel. Warm, peaceful, and filled with camaraderie. Since the misunderstanding is settled, let's return, Su Shi said as he surveyed the dark cosmic sky, shaking his head at the absurdity of the night's events. Understood, Master. Alii raised her hand, distorting and collapsing time and space, forming a portal leading back to the courtyard. They stepped through, returning to Earth from the distant sea of stars. Strangely enough, outer space was supposed to be far colder than Earth's autumn. Yet, upon returning to the courtyard, Su Shi felt an even deeper chill settle over him. Strange. Have I just been through too much tonight? He murmured to himself. Everything had happened so suddenly. First, Alii returned. Then, the pursuit across the starry sea. The events were so closely linked that it all felt surreal, like a dream. Master, you should rest now, Krisha softly suggested. She could see his exhaustion and proposed that he rest first. There would be time to speak with Alii tomorrow when the sun rose again. A reunion after such a long time deserved a proper conversation. But it didn't have to happen immediately. Krisha's suggestion was reasonable, and even Alii agreed that Su Shi should rest. They were all concerned about his well-being. All right then, Su Shi hesitated for a moment but eventually accepted their kindness and returned to his room to rest. It was already late, and exhaustion weighed heavily on him. The convergence of so many major events had left him drained, his thoughts sluggish and unfocused. Good night, everyone. See you tomorrow. Bidding them farewell, he rubbed his temples and headed back to his room, soon collapsing onto his bed. The coldness faded away. A warm sensation enveloped him, chasing away the lingering chill that had clung to him all night. No, more accurately, the cold wasn't disappearing. It was moving farther away from him, drifting into the unknown distance. Continue. Come. Half asleep, Su Shi vaguely heard the sound of fireworks. Crisp and melodious, like a series of bubbles bursting in the breeze. In his daze, he could still hear the voices of the girls. His dream twisted and morphed, becoming chaotic and restless, filled with dazzling colors and surreal light. Perhaps it was linked to the day's events, but this time, his dream was an all-out battle. His sister, the witch, the princess, and the machine servant locked in a devastating war that shook the heavens and shattered the cosmos. Su Shi wanted to stop them, but his voice could not penetrate the battlefield's chaos. Stop fighting? Please, stop. The collapsing space-time surged like a tidal wave, drowning Su Shi entirely, swallowing him in an endless, roaring flood of destruction. Until everything turned white. The sky brightened. As the slightly blinding morning sunlight streamed in, Su Shi opened his eyes, exhausted. It was just a dream. I scared myself for no reason. I wonder how Alii and Krisha's conversation went. Hopefully, everything is fine. The world awakened to the warmth of the morning sunlight. The display cabinet stood in the soft glow, casting faint shadows as its delicate patterns outlined the four cherished keepsakes inside. A faint sigh echoed in the room. Su Shi rose from his bed and pulled back the curtains, allowing the golden morning light to flood every corner of the room. He stood quietly, gazing at the courtyard outside. The red and blue dragon blood grass swayed like waves, bending and rising in rhythm with the wind's gentle touch. As the breeze settled, the rippling grass calmed, its tender tips reaching toward the sky, with crystal-clear dewdrops sliding down the stems and leaves. Su Shi observed the tranquil scenery, his fingers absent-mindedly tapping on the windowsill. His thoughts drifted, worrying about the relationship between the machine servant and the others. The events of last night had been far too strange. Alii's sudden descent, followed by the chaotic escape through the stars, had all far exceeded his expectations. She was too worried about my safety. Concern led to irrational actions. Su Shi sighed once more. Reuniting with Alii should have been a joyous occasion, but her unwavering loyalty had instead caused a conflict with Moli, Krisha, and Yingxiu. Last night, Su Shi had gone to bed early not only because he was exhausted, but because he wanted to give them enough space to resolve things among themselves. He trusted that Moli and the others wouldn't make things difficult for Alii. At the very least, it wouldn't escalate into an all-out war that shattered the chaos and annihilated the heavens like in his dream. It was just a dream. It doesn't mean anything. Moli and the others are still well behaved. His slender fingers tapped gently against the windowsill in a slow, rhythmic motion. Tick, tock. Time flowed steadily. Su Shi waited. After about 10 minutes, he heard a faint movement beside him. A familiar figure materialized, taking on a form he knew all too well. Forgive me, master. Silver blue eyes lowered, unwilling to meet Sushi's gaze. Her voice carried deep regret. Upon her return, the machine servant's first action was to apologize, admitting that she had caused trouble for him. Trouble? Indeed, it had been troublesome. What should have been a warm and peaceful reunion had instead turned into conflict and confrontation due to her rash actions. But how should he respond? What words should he use to reprimand and educate his machine servant? Sushi did none of that. It's been a long time, Alii. I'm back. He turned toward her with a smile, bathed in the morning sunlight. Not a simple good morning, but a heartfelt long time no see. Not a routine greeting, but the recognition of a long-awaited reunion. Yesterday's hurried encounter hardly counted as a proper reunion. So now, Sushi sought to fulfill his promise, reassuring his loyal machine servant that she no longer needed to wait. Alii froze. Her silver blue eyes trembled, waves rippling through them as her emotions surged beyond her control. Finally, she managed to smile. Long time no see, master. Her smile was beautiful. A powerful, overwhelming surge of emotions spilled forth, radiant and explosive, reverberating through the silent air. Before returning, the devoted machine servant had steeled herself for punishment, fully prepared to accept whatever consequences her actions warranted. But as always, Master was just as perplexing as ever. He didn't blame her in the slightest. Instead, he even apologized, saying he had returned too late and made her wait far too long enough for last night's series of misunderstandings to unfold. That's not true, Master. I simply failed to do better. You are always right. What had once been a hollow mechanical heart had become a real, beating one. And because of that, the sorrow and emotions ran deeper than ever. Alii smiled, trying her best to smile, wanting to present her most beautiful self to Sushi. Yet, despite her efforts, the tears wouldn't stop. They spilled freely from her smiling eyes, cascading uncontrollably down her cheeks. She smiled radiantly, and wept just as brilliantly. I'm sorry, Alii, for making you wait so long. Her flowing tears carried such sorrow that even an observer would be moved. Sushi comforted her in a gentle voice, reaching out as he once had to wipe the lens of a camera. With a delicate and tender touch, he wiped her face clean. From camera lenses, to machine eyes, and now, real human eyes. The cold, mechanical being had become a true person. As he wiped away her tears, Sushi bore witness to her growth, allowing her, with a cleaner face and a lighter heart, to walk forward into the future. Master, thank you. Could you not let go yet? Thank you for returning to my life. And please never leave again. As Sushi finished wiping her tears and was about to withdraw his hand, Alii grasped it gently. Trembling, she guided his palm to the top of her head, seeking warmth once more, silently pleading for him to stay. Autumn was merciless. It stole away warmth with its howling winds and shifting seasons. And so, the machine servant didn't want that warmth to disappear. She longed for it to linger just a little longer. It's okay, Alii. I'm right here. Meeting her fragile silver blue eyes, Sushi spoke softly. His palm moved once more, stroking her silky golden hair, giving the machine servant's soul a warmth that had long been absent, dispelling the cold emptiness within. Only after a long while did the unease in her heart finally fade away. It shouldn't have been like this. Long before this moment, Alii had mentally prepared herself, determined to protect Sushi and never cause him trouble. Yet, now that they had truly reunited, she found herself unable to suppress the flood of emotions. Forgive me, Master. I still have many shortcomings. Having regained her composure, and rediscovered the purpose in her existence, the machine servant, once again bathed in light, earnestly reflected on her flaws. She promised never to let Sushi worry again. It's all right, Alii. Sushi smiled, ruffling her hair. He never cared whether she made mistakes. If anything, making mistakes was simply another part of what made her human. Rather than dwelling on shortcomings, Sushi was more concerned about something else. Alii, while I was gone, how did things go between you, Molly, Krisha, and Yingxiu? Did you clear up the misunderstandings and get along? Facing Sushi's concern, Alii gave a small nod. Please rest assured. We have resolved all misunderstandings. There will never be another farce like last night. I sincerely apologize for making you worry. Her voice was calm, yet filled with genuine remorse and guilt. Alii's apology was sincere. Sushi let out a sigh of relief. It's fine. As long as the misunderstandings are resolved, that's all that matters. After all, the so-called chaos-filled battle from his dream. It was only a dream. How could something so absurd happen in reality? He chuckled. The supreme beings in his life were all very well behaved. Feeling reassured, Sushi turned to his machine servant with a question. Alii, after the fourth simulation ended, what exactly happened that led to you becoming a supreme being? The machine servant was born from an impossible miracle. Sushi was the creator of this miracle. He personally witnessed and guided Alii's growth, watching her evolve into an unimaginable high-dimensional machine soul. However, despite her abilities, she was still far from reaching the supreme level. That was why Sushi was particularly curious about Alii's continued growth. Sit down, Alii, Sushi instructed. The loyal machine servant obeyed immediately. Like Krisha, Alii lacked personal will. Rather than making decisions on their own, they preferred following Sushi's commands. That was why, unless he explicitly told her otherwise, Alii would remain standing. Yes, master, she replied. With graceful movements, Alii gently lifted the edges of her skirt and took a seat. The morning sunlight streamed in through the window, illuminating her black hair, which shimmered with hints of gold. Well then, Alii, tell me, Sushi said, taking a sip of the water Alii had prepared for him. What happened after I died? There were many things he was curious about: what became of the civilization behind the neutron war star, what exactly the so-called supreme judgment was, and how Alii managed to transcend. Yes, Alii sat calmly, her voice steady as she recounted the past interstellar voyages, the burial of Sushi's body, the journey to the vast star sea, the thousands of years of war against the enclosure civilization, and later, the battles against numerous cosmic civilizations. She fought alone, yet she never fell behind. She spoke without embellishment, without imagination. Everything she described was pure fact. This, Sushi had mentally prepared himself before asking, knowing that his sacrificial attribute had likely unlocked Alii's potential. But this was beyond reason. With a sigh, Sushi rubbed his forehead. Just like Moli, Krisha, and Yingxu before, Alii had proven herself to be overwhelmingly powerful. To think that she had challenged the strongest civilizations in the universe single-handedly? How should I put it? He let out a long breath. I expected something surprising, but this result is just too ridiculous. Alii continued listing her achievements with the same composed expression. Sushi gazed at her delicate, pale face. No matter how he looked at her, it was impossible to associate her with such incredible feats. But thinking about it more carefully, maybe it wasn't so surprising after all. Even back in the fourth simulation's early stages, Alii had been the most reliable support, always making sure he had everything he needed. Her so-called transformation had already shown signs long ago. Alii's unwavering dedication was simply that strong. With a deep sense of emotion, Sushi continued listening to her story. She described her battle against the pinnacle civilization of the physical universe, where she shattered the vast cosmos, reducing everything to a single point, creating a zero-dimensional universe. And then, her machine soul underwent complete ascension and transformation. A singularity exploded, chaos split apart, and dimensions were created. At that moment, a transcendent cosmic creator was born, one who judged all of existence and passed verdicts upon all civilizations. That's right. Recently, the many wandering civilizations fleeing to Earth were all influenced by Alii. They were terrified of the supreme judgment and ran in desperation. Hearing all this, Sushi stared at Alii's obedient face, feeling a giant question mark pop up in his head. It wasn't that he was shocked by her strength, it was something else. Those civilizations came to Earth to escape Alii. And now, Alii had come to Earth to find him. Wasn't this walking right into their trap? What's wrong, Master? Alii blinked, confused by Sushi's sudden silence. Nothing, it's just, he sighed. Alii, you've grown so much, so quickly. Sushi reached out and gently stroked Alii's hair. He believed in her. She had her own set of rules. She wouldn't kill recklessly, nor would she endanger Earth. So he decided not to interfere. But, by the way, he continued, Alii, why did you choose to judge civilizations? The autumn chill made the water in his cup turn cold quickly. Alii extended her delicate hand and carefully warmed the cup, using a precise and professional motion. Only after completing this task did she softly answer his question. To cleanse the starry sky. Cleanse. Sushi took another sip. The warmth spread through his body, but he was puzzled. Why would Alii judge civilizations just for that reason? Alii explained further, to await your resurrection, to ensure your safety, to protect you from predatory civilizations. I had to eliminate all evil for you. A gust of autumn wind blew through the window, distorting Alii's voice and ruffling her bangs. Her silver blue eyes, usually calm, shone with deep, suppressed emotions, like brilliant gemstones. It was never for herself. It was for him. So that he would never be in danger again. So that his life could last forever. Alii spoke with unwavering conviction. Sushi had never considered such a thought before. In the endless solitude, in the void where only she remained, Alii had waited, endlessly, purging the universe for him. All so that, when he finally returned, he could live in peace without threat. Machines were supposed to be heartless. But love was real. Thank you, Alii. After a moment of silence, Sushi once again reached out, gently ruffling Alii's hair. He could genuinely feel it, her heartfelt devotion to him. But at the same time, her reckless disregard for herself was something he couldn't accept. So, curling his index finger, he prepared to flick her smooth forehead as a light punishment. Whoosh! Alii reacted swiftly. Before he could act, she covered her forehead with both hands. Thunk! Sushi changed tactics, lightly tapping the top of her head with his knuckle instead. No more reckless behavior like that, understand? He scolded gently. Yes, Alii mumbled, her ears drooping as she dazedly responded. Now, instead of covering her forehead, her hands had moved to her head, making her look just like one of those adorable reaction images from the internet. Master, that hurt, she murmured, not lying. Her reconstructed body could indeed feel sensations. Alii demanded compensation. Sushi had to rub her head longer as an apology. Outside the room, an eerie silence filled the air. The autumn wind howled through the corridor. In the kitchen, Krisha stood with a cold expression, staring at the breakfast she had prepared for Sushi. Should she go in? No, better not. A generous witch would give everyone one fair chance. Just as she had once given a kind-hearted person a chance, this time, she granted Alii the same. But only once. From now on, she would not allow anyone to disturb the master. Let's go out, Ali. Now that Sushi understood the machine servant's past and had learned everything that had happened after the fourth simulation ended, his doubts were gone. He gazed out the window. The morning sun was rising higher, its golden warmth dispelling the courtyard's chill, marking the late hour. The dragon blood grass, interwoven in shades of red and green, swayed with the wind like waves in a dreamlike sea of grass. If it could be nourished with more fresh dragon blood, it would surely thrive even more. Sushi grasped the door handle, preparing to leave, but the loyal machine servant called out to stop him. Please wait a moment. In the crisp autumn air, Ali quickly stepped beside Sushi. Her silver blue eyes, calm yet flickering with hidden emotions, swiftly scanned the three supreme relics adorning him. A teardrop-shaped bracelet. A red string shimmering like the stars. A necklace encompassing all things. Each was a gift from a different person, each carrying its own blessing, ensuring Sushi's survival. After a brief pause, Ali lifted her head, her silver blue gaze resting on his face. Ali, you. Sushi had a guess about what she wanted to do. Master, Ali will always protect you. As expected. Ali raised her hand, and an immense, sacred power manifested at her pale fingertips, the boundless cycle of a singularity explosion. At the same time, a blue-violet flower lay quietly in her palm. Its petals were arranged in perfect order, their texture highlighted by the sunlight, while the lower edges shimmered like the fleeting tail of a shooting star. During the fourth simulation, Ali had wanted to gift this flower to Sushi but had been sent away before she could. Now, after countless years of waiting, she finally had the chance to return it to him. A vivid flower and a universe of creation at this moment, they merged perfectly. As a soft glow flickered, the flower transformed into a blue-violet cross-shaped star brooch. Master, please accept my apology. Her voice was quiet, laced with guilt over failing to protect him in the past, which had cost him his life. The blue-violet cross star shimmered brightly. Freedom, loyalty, eternal love. The flower's meaning was an expression of Ali's heart, a way to atone for the past. She knelt slightly, just like before, bringing her hands together and gently placing the brooch in Sushi's palm. Ding dong. Congratulations, host. You have obtained a special item, the everlasting star flower. The everlasting star flower. Item description: the meaning of this flower has never changed, just as its loyalty has never wavered. It only wishes to serve a certain strange person forever. Item effects: mech power increased tenfold. Machine soul harmony effect increased tenfold. Technology comprehension efficiency increased tenfold. High-dimensional observation ability increased tenfold. Damage against insectoid species increased tenfold. Damage against technological civilizations increased tenfold. Power of technological weapons increased tenfold. Research efficiency increased tenfold. Civilization's end refreshes daily. Can designate a technological civilization, instantly erasing its entire technological framework. Life shield refreshes daily if the user is critically wounded or dead. Time reversal will activate, restoring the body and soul to their peak state. Causality barrier refreshes daily, nullifies targeted attacks based on causality and logic. Permanently reduces all physical damage. Permanently reduces all energy damage. Permanently reduces all temporal damage. Permanently reduces all spatial damage. Usage requirement, only for the one who once held its shattered form and wiped the stars clean for it. Huh? Another helping of supreme benefits? Sushi opened his palm, staring at the brooch Ali had given him, momentarily dazed. At this point in the simulation, his own strength, along with the 3 relics he already had, was enough to guarantee his survival. But when it came to benefits, who would complain about having too many? This is amazing. After reading the brooch's attributes, Sushi sighed in genuine admiration. A universal tenfold boost, absolute defense, and an unparalleled protective mechanism. Yes, this was the supreme nourishment known as Ali's blessing. Master, do you like it? Ali stood quietly, her hands folded before her, patiently awaiting his response. Thank you, Ali. I really like this gift. Sushi smiled warmly. Under Ali's watchful gaze, he pinned the brooch onto his clothing. A hazy blue-violet light radiated from it, dazzling and brilliant. The moment he wore it, the everlasting star flower's effects activated. An invisible yet undeniably real protective force enveloped him. His body was shielded from physical, energy-based, temporal, and spatial damage, and he gained precious revival abilities. And Sushi reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. Mech power surged, his machine soul awakened, structures reorganized, and technology ascended. On the outside, the phone looked the same, but internally, it had undergone multiple technological upgrades. In my life, I've not only trained diligently in transcendence but also dedicated myself to the field of technology. A living technological tree instantly perfected, with Ali's blessing amplifying his capabilities and Sushi's own mech power, an unimaginable miracle had been created. From now on, he possessed both transcendence and technology, walking an even more complete path toward brilliance. Beneficial support is always welcome, Sushi remarked sincerely. Thank you, Ali. After marveling at the brooch's extraordinary effects, he couldn't resist reaching out and gently ruffling Ali's hair in gratitude. You don't need to thank me. This is what I should do. Ali's face remained expressionless, but her ears twitched rapidly. She was still easy to read. After receiving Ali's gift and expressing his gratitude, Sushi once again pushed open the door. This time, Ali did not stop him. Walking through the quiet corridor, sunlight filtered in from the side, casting light on Sushi's clothing and the 4 distinct supreme relics he now carried. For a brief moment, he had an odd realization he himself wasn't worth as much as his relics. Maybe his perfect life simulator should be renamed to perfect support simulator. With 4 supreme relics, my invincibility is inevitable. Sushi was in high spirits. Even the autumn chill seemed pleasant. That feeling lasted until he stepped into the kitchen. Then, it abruptly stopped. Teacher, this is your breakfast. Krisha, with her long silver gray hair, remained as considerate as ever, having prepared breakfast for Sushi in advance. The food was still warm, wisps of steam curling into the air. A subtle, appetizing fragrance filled the room. It looked delicious, a meal that instantly sparked hunger. But just as Sushi sat down, Alii also placed a breakfast in front of him. Master, this is the breakfast I prepared for you. Alii smiled. Krisha's face was blank. The golden sunlight cast a sharp dividing line between them, separating the machine servant and the witch. Neither said anything. They simply watched Sushi in silence, waiting for him to choose. Sushi. Suddenly, he didn't feel hungry anymore. Breakfast ended in a strange atmosphere. Alii's breakfast. Krisha's breakfast. Sushi chose both. Using the laws of space and time, he ensured each bite was taken with the same frequency and the same force, perfectly balancing the situation. Crisis averted. After breakfast, however, Sushi fell into deep thought. Was this merely a coincidence, or was there an invisible competition between the two girls? Or worse, was there something more troubling at play? Could it be the fact that Alii took me away last night left a bad impression on Krisha? Even after a whole night, the tension between them still hasn't eased. Sushi pondered. Worried about this possibility, he decided to ask both of them privately about their thoughts on each other. Krisha, who was watering the dragon blood grass, paused her movements. Her enchanting yet hollow gaze met his. She's similar to me. I find her somewhat intriguing. Intriguing, not unpleasant. Sushi felt a little relieved. Next, he approached Alii, who was trying to plant the starflower in the courtyard. She pressed down her bangs lightly to prevent them from being blown away by the strong wind. She's a strong opponent. Opponent? Was she referring to Krisha's supreme divine power? It was true. Krisha, who possessed both creation and destruction, was an undeniable powerhouse even among supreme beings. Sushi thought about it for a moment. Perhaps the situation wasn't as bad as he had imagined. Both girls seemed perfectly normal, and their choice of words didn't indicate hostility. Maybe he was just overthinking. That made sense. After all, Krisha and Alii were both well behaved. How could they possibly have a conflict? This was just him scaring himself. The weather is nice today, the sun is shining. What a beautiful day, Sushi muttered to himself. With Alii joining, the courtyard had gained another resident. Sushi prepared a new room for her, along with all the necessary living essentials. Thank you, Master, Alii said, expressing her gratitude as she gracefully and efficiently arranged her new space. Then, something unexpected happened. Right before Sushi's eyes, Alii's body began to dissipate, reverting to its original RTX 9090 identification plate. In its place, a new body formed, reconstructed from quantum signals. Alii, was your previous body inconvenient? Sushi asked, puzzled. Alii answered politely, saying that both bodies were the same. She simply wanted to put the 9090 identification plate back into the collection cabinet again. That was all. If he ignored the loud noise from teleporting the first item slot, then yes, it was a simple matter. What is this? A new season of the collection cabinet war. In the living room, Sushi placed his teacup down, the crisp sound of the base tapping against the table ringing through the air. He savored the lingering taste of tea while silently releasing his spiritual energy to observe the invisible battle inside the collection cabinet. Krisha and Alii are fighting so fiercely. They're firmly holding on to the first and second spots. In comparison, Molly and Yingxiu seem much quieter, as if they're just watching. Sushi chuckled. He couldn't understand the girl's thoughts, but he found these daily moments peaceful and amusing. He enjoyed them. There's no need to think about the simulation for now. I should focus on improving both my cultivation and martial arts. I can already sense it, the feeling of an imminent breakthrough. It could happen at any moment. Autumn brought a deeper silence to the world. The golden sunlight was warm and soft, wrapping everything in a gentle veil, but the cold wind would quickly strip away that warmth. Branches swayed in the wind. Fallen leaves scattered across the ground. Sushi's daily life was slow and peaceful. When he wasn't cultivating diligently, he spent time tending to the dragon blood grass in the courtyard and helping Alii care for the newly planted starflower. Whenever he was in the mood, he would sit by the pond, leisurely casting a fishing rod. Is this a quantum leviathan? And a sea godfish? That afternoon, the sound of knocking echoed clearly. Alii, stop sneaking these into the pond. That goes for you too, Krisha. Yes, Master. Yes, Master. By the pond, Sushi sighed helplessly as he reprimanded both Alii and Krisha. Not far away, Yingxiu sat munching on sunflower seeds. Molly wasn't present, she was still busy severing realms and rarely returned. Time continued to pass. The new machine servant gradually adapted to life in the courtyard. However, the domestic nature of the intelligent machine seemed to overlap with Krisha's habits. As a result, Sushi often received double the service. Sometimes, it was 2 cups of tea. Sometimes, it was 2 meals. Su Shi found the situation amusing, it was simply too ridiculous. At the same time, after long, dedicated training, he finally reached a breakthrough. His cultivation advanced to the grand ascension stage. In martial arts, he condensed a second internal world. Both transcendence systems were now just one step away from true transformation and ascension. With my current strength, and the presence of Molly and the others, safety is no longer a concern. But strength is something you can never have too much of. Getting stronger is always a good thing. In the first month of winter, Su Shi slowly stood up and emerged from his cultivation state. Above the courtyard, thick, ominous tribulation clouds quickly formed. Yet, before he could even react, the clouds scattered on their own. It was as if they were running away, as if they were afraid. If I think about it, Earth has been evolving for several years now. The once ignorant planetary consciousness is now becoming more sentient, it doesn't even dare approach Yin Mountain anymore. Su Shi sighed. Honestly, he wanted to experience it at least once. In web novels, the protagonist would always undergo tribulation, letting heavenly lightning refine their body. But with several supreme beings watching over him, tribulation lightning didn't even dare to get close. Tap, tap. Su Shi stepped out of the training room. The dazzling sunlight fell onto his eyelashes, causing him to squint slightly. A familiar voice came from the distance. Lively, excited. Mister, I need to talk to you. Yingxiu came running over, stopping hurriedly in front of him. Her red and white battle robe was as energetic and carefree as he remembered. Even her bold personality hadn't changed one bit. What is it, Yingxiu? Speak slowly. Mister, it's about Anyu. The girl's voice was urgent. She explained that the civilians of the survival army, living on the outskirts of Yin Mountain City, wanted Su Shi to come over as a witness for something. Anyu, the once simple, honest man who had followed Su Shi in the past, was now preparing to propose. Su Shi blinked. Huh. Anyu was getting married. When Su Shi finished his cultivation and heard the news from the county princess, he was stunned for a long time. In his mind, Anyu was still the same simple and honest man, someone who loved eating heartily, grinned foolishly, and radiated a pure and kind-hearted nature. Brother Su, from now on, I'll be Mr. Anyu. That familiar, carefree laughter still echoed in his memory. Such an innocent and childlike Anyu. Hearing that he was now proposing marriage was truly surprising. But upon thinking deeper, Su Shi realized that Anyu was no longer young. The once naive Mr. Anyu had indeed reached the age where he should settle down and start a family. So that's how it is. The winter sun cast a soft white glow, slanting across Su Shi's face, illuminating the subtle smile that had begun to form. With heartfelt sincerity, he turned to the county princess and said, "Who would have thought? That thick-browed, honest guy actually made such a big decision without a word. Since he invited me, of course, I have to go." There was no hesitation, nor was there any possibility of refusal. The esteemed Mr. Su decided to accompany the young lady Wu to witness Mr. Anyu's proposal and give him his blessings. I never paid much attention to the passage of time, Su Shi mused, but now that I know Anyu is getting married, I suddenly feel much older. Time was the cruelest reference point. With a sigh, he summoned his Jianmu staff, gently waved it, and tore open a spatial rift, enveloping both himself and the county princess in a teleportation field bound for the outskirts of Yin Mountain City. Let's go, Yingxiu. Yes, sir. The cold wind howled through the outskirts, but it couldn't dampen the lively atmosphere. Villagers from Green Ox Town and civilians from the survival army had all gathered to witness the proposal. A proposal wasn't a wedding, merely a formal declaration of intent to marry. But since the groom-to-be was Anyu, everyone wanted to join in the excitement. Who would have thought I'd live to see new boy proposing? Right? If it weren't for young lady Wu, none of us would even be here today. And we can't forget Mr. Su. I wonder when Mr. Su will. Flames symbolizing good fortune flickered into the air. The brilliant red and warm orange intertwined, forming dancing flames that lit up every beaming face in the crowd. Among them, Anyu's dark-skinned face was bathed in firelight, turning a deep shade of red. Heh. He scratched his head, grinning awkwardly, unsure how to respond to everyone's enthusiasm. His elderly mother, however, was busy handling all the arrangements. Aunt Zhang, now advanced in age, moved slower, but the light in her eyes shone with unparalleled brightness. The deep wrinkles on her forehead, carved by time and hardship, were now smoothed out by joy. Her face radiated pure happiness. She spoke to everyone about how wonderful Mr. Su and young lady Wu were, her words overflowing with gratitude. She had never expected to live to see the day when Anyu would start a family. In the third simulation, she had passed away early, her life extinguished before the survival army could break through the great 10,000 mountains. It was Wu Yingxiu who had traveled back to rescue the elderly, healing their hidden injuries and granting them a second chance at life. Yes, we owe our lives to Mr. Su and the young lady. If not for them, none of us would be here today. By the time Su Shi arrived at the city's outskirts, this was the scene that greeted him. The entire crowd was gathered, chattering excitedly. Anyu and his mother were busy preparing the proposal gifts, while every guest showered endless praise on Su Shi and the county princess. Somehow, Anyu's marriage proposal had turned into a grand appreciation event for Su Shi. Su Shi stood there, watching the cheerful faces illuminated by firelight, unsure whether to laugh or cry. At that moment, someone noticed him and Wu Yingxiu. The lively chatter suddenly quieted. Mr. Su and young lady Wu are here. Someone shouted, and the atmosphere instantly reignited. Everyone wanted to talk to Sushi, to exchange words with their revered Mr. Su, but in the end, they all held back. This was Anyu's moment. They would not steal his time or space. Brother Su, urged on by his mother, Anyu ran over, grinning foolishly. He fumbled through some poorly rehearsed formalities, expressing his deep gratitude for Sushi's presence and apologizing for taking up his time. It didn't sound like Anyu at all, more like words he had been taught specifically for this occasion. No need for all that, Anyu. There's no need for formality between us, Sushi said with a chuckle, patting the sturdy man's shoulder to ease his nerves. All right, Brother Su. Anyu grinned widely. My mother told me to say all that. It felt weird and complicated. He muttered under his breath, making sure his mother didn't overhear. It was amusing to watch. By the way, Anyu, who is the girl you're proposing to? Sushi asked. Brother Su, you actually know her. The flames flickered higher, making Anyu's face turn an even deeper red. Scratching his head, he explained, finally revealing the name of his fiancée. Sushi did, indeed, know her. She was a humble farm girl from the survival army, not particularly stunning in appearance, but gentle and meticulous. Later, she had studied medicine and had even treated Anyu's injuries on occasion. Now it all made sense. So that's when it started. Sushi laughed heartily. I never would have guessed, Anyu. You figured things out earlier than I thought. Brother Su, I never expected it either. Anyu scratched the back of his head, his smile bright and foolish as he let out a hearty laugh. Brother Su, I'm so happy right now. I mean it, I'm really, really happy. His eyes were wide, filled with an unmistakable joy. The winter wind carried specks of snow, blurring vision, but it couldn't dull the brilliance in Anyu's gaze. Excited and nervous, he explained that he wanted Sushi to witness this moment, the confirmation of his proposal, the transformation of his life. Why Sushi, in particular? Anyu, in his simple way, answered, because Brother Su is my best big brother. He spoke with pride. He spoke with sincerity. Anyu, who had always thought of himself as slow-witted, was deeply grateful to have a brother like Sushi, someone who had led them all to survive. That was why he wanted to share his happiness with him. Thank you, Anyu. For a moment, Sushi was stunned as he looked at the pure and joyful smile before him. Then, a warm smile spread across his own face. He promised Anyu that he would witness this proposal from start to finish. Beyond that, he also had a gift prepared. A soft hum resonated as Sushi brushed his fingers across his spatial ring, retrieving several bottles of elixirs, some for longevity, others to aid in cultivation breakthroughs. Brother Su, I can't accept this. Take it, Anyu, Sushi said, pressing the bottles into his hand. This is my blessing to you. From now on, live a happy life. Do I have to be happy forever, Brother Su? Yes, always. The proposal had begun. Anyu carried large bags of gifts, some homemade pastries, some fresh fruit he had bought from Yin Mountain City. His arms remained steady, utilizing his martial arts to support the heavy load as he made his way toward the house on the other side of the city outskirts. Anyu and his mother walked in front, while Sushi and Wu Yingxiu followed behind. Sir, does this make us matchmakers? As they walked, the county princess curiously posed the question. She clasped her hands behind her back, leaning forward slightly to peer at Sushi's face. Her bright, crystal-clear eyes reflected his silhouette. I think we both are and aren't. Rather than matchmakers, we're more like witnesses. Sushi thought for a moment before giving a vague answer. The most important part of a proposal was the intermediary arranging the match, but Anyu had already taken care of everything himself. All that remained was the final confirmation. In a way, Anyu is surprisingly efficient, Sushi said with a chuckle. Before long, they arrived at the bride's home. A proposal was not a wedding and should have been a quiet affair. However, since the one proposing was the well-known Mr. Anyu, the event was anything but silent. Anyu, you better be happy. Someone shouted. Have 108 kids in the future. Another teased. Sushi accompanied Anyu, witnessing the formalization of his marriage. The girl, flustered and overwhelmed, was visibly nervous at all the attention. To ease the atmosphere, Sushi also presented her with some medicinal pills, a blessing from him, from the esteemed Mr. Su. I hope you both will always live in harmony and happiness, Sushi said with a smile. Amid the warm calls for him to stay longer, Sushi remained until the sky darkened before finally taking his leave. But he did not depart immediately. Instead, he stood atop a quiet hill, overlooking the rising fireworks and the beaming faces of Anyu and the others. Sir, what are you thinking about? Light footsteps approached, stopping beside him. The girl crouched down, sometimes glancing at the joyful people below, sometimes looking at Sushi's familiar face. Nothing much, Sushi said with a smile. I just feel happy for Anyu. He also crouched down, gently placing his hand on Wu Yingxiu's head, ruffling her hair in a soothing motion. His voice was soft, like the warmth of memories long past. Yingxiu, do you remember what the survival army used to be like? Of course I do. Back then, no one even had enough to eat. Wu Yingxiu began listing all the hardships they had endured. The survival army had faced unimaginable suffering. Life had been unbearably hard. No one wanted to go through it again. Yes. Back then, whether it was the Great Qian Army or the monsters of the Great 10,000 Mountains, they were all obstacles we couldn't overcome, Sushi said. Everyone suffered so much, especially Anyu. But now, everyone has enough food, and Anyu is starting his own family. Without realizing it, They don't need my guidance anymore. Su Shi crouched there, his voice drifting through the crisp, cool air. A gentle breeze passed by, slightly distorting his words. All the suffering from the simulation was being rewritten into happiness in reality. Not long ago, his master, Li Wanshao, had rebuilt the heavenly sword sect in the capital and finally had a home again. And now, the people of the survival army, including Aniu, had truly settled down, forging their own new lives. For a brief moment, it felt as if a voice echoed in his mind, whispering to him that the third simulation had officially ended. The people who had fought to survive had finally made it past the mountains, stepping into a world filled with light. They no longer needed Su Shi to worry for them. Sir. Listening to his words, Wu Yingxiu wanted to say something. But as she looked down at the happy and fulfilled people below, her words faded into silence. The villagers of Green Ox Town. The people of the survival army. Their laughter filled the air, adding warmth to the flames burning around them. Tiny specks of dust floated in the firelight, illuminating the path to a future of happiness. The scene was so touching that Su Shi smiled and decided against dismantling a certain sacrificial simulator. A good life should be like this. Let's go home, Yingxiu. Su Shi stood up, no longer watching the people below. He glanced up at the night sky. The stars twinkled brightly, signaling the late hour it was time to return to the courtyard. Just like when they arrived, Su Shi took out his Jianmu staff, preparing to teleport them directly to the city center courtyard. But just as he was about to activate the spell, he felt a delicate tug at the hem of his robe. What is it, Yingxiu? Sir, carry me back. Wu Yingxiu stood up, suddenly grinning mischievously. I'm feeling a little tired. I want to lie on your back and rest. But you have to walk slowly, okay? Don't leave me behind. Wouldn't teleporting be more efficient? Su Shi hesitated, opening his mouth to speak, then closing it again. Faced with her bright, blinking eyes, he eventually gave in. Fine. Hold on tight and don't move around. I know. Oh wait, no, I'm too exhausted. With Wu Yingxiu dramatically feigning weakness, Su Shi bent down and carried the completely drained girl on his back. Step by step, they walked along the quiet night road. Silver moonlight rippled beneath their feet. They headed toward the sleeping city. Perhaps because it was winter, the sky was exceptionally clear tonight. The stars shimmered like countless tiny diamonds, decorating the heavens in a dreamy glow. 1, 2, 3, 4. As Su Shi walked, Wu Yingxiu's voice drifted from behind him. Her arms were loosely wrapped around his neck, fingers intertwined, as she rested her full weight against him. Looking up at the sky, her half-lidded eyes traced the endless river of stars. Like a child, she counted them one by one. In truth, with her current power, she could have easily counted them all in an instant. But she didn't want to. She simply wanted to lie on Su Shi's back, using only her fingers and her eyes to count, slowly, one at a time. And at some point, after counting too many, she suddenly declared it was too difficult and gave up altogether. So tiring. Sir. She laughed playfully. The endless starlight illuminated her, highlighting her fair skin and her restless little hands. Her fingers, curled around Su Shi's neck, kept making shapes and gestures. She was becoming more and more like a child. Can't you just stay still? Su Shi sighed, his voice filled with helplessness. Yes, sir. She obediently stopped moving, quietly resting against him as his steady steps carried her farther and farther away, farther and farther, until they reached the silent edge of the stars. Sir. Beneath the vast night sky, the girl on his back suddenly spoke again. Even if they no longer need you, I still do. Always, forever. It felt like a moment frozen in time. When Su Shi finally returned to the courtyard with an exhausted Wu Yingxiu on his back, a tall, graceful figure stood waiting for him at the entrance, standing motionless against the falling snow. Brother. She smiled a beautiful, serene smile and calmly declared that she wished to spar with the thoroughly drained county princess. Don't worry, brother. We'll stop before it gets out of hand. Before Su Shi could react, Su Moli had already dragged Wu Yingxiu away. The two vanished into the darkness, their destination unknown. All he remembered from that night was the breathtakingly brilliant stars and the eerily quiet courtyard. The witch and the machine servant were nowhere to be seen. This feels a little too quiet. By the next morning, both his sister and Wu Yingxiu returned from their sparring session, smiling and shaking hands as if they had always been the best of friends. The witch and the machine servant, who had been missing the night before, were back to preparing breakfast as usual, showing no signs that anything had been amiss. What a peaceful and beautiful life, Su Shi mused. Time was accelerating. The rise of transcendence. The formation of void realms. The resurgence of spiritual energy. The merging of various worlds had made Earth's winter livelier than ever. Even the cold, snow-filled sky carried a strange sense of warmth. Thanks to the expansion of the Bureau of Transcendence and the presence of several supreme beings keeping order, Earth's ascension process remained stable, thriving without chaos. In the beginning, Su Shi had to step in regularly to prevent the increasing number of void realms from endangering innocent people. Now, however, the rapid emergence of new transcendence had taken over that responsibility, allowing him to focus more on his own cultivation and spending time with the girls. The longevity of breath. The world of divine consciousness. The refinement of the body. With a path of mastery that integrates high-dimensional observation, I suppose I'm considered some kind of monstrous genius now. Inside the training chamber, the dim, silent atmosphere surrounded Su Shi as he sat cross-legged in meditation. With a simple motion of his palm, various energies swirled into existence: immortal mana from cultivation, spiritual force from magic, and the blood essence of martial arts. The 5 elements intertwined, counteracting and reinforcing each other. The boundless forces of nature, the very essence of law itself, converged in his body. His internal energy refined itself, forming an independent world. At the core of it all, his immensely powerful magical consciousness guided the process, compressing and intertwining mana and chi into a single, infinitely condensed point. Deeper, more concentrated, until it radiated with ultimate brilliance. This was a fusion of 3 distinct transcendental systems, elevated into a high-dimensional state, vast, luminous, and empowered by multiple supreme blessings. How strong was it exactly? Even Su Shi didn't know. I suppose I could crush Little Red effortlessly now, he muttered, rubbing his chin in thought. The Dao has many paths, but they all lead to the same destination. No matter the system, the final step is always the same. But the journey itself determines what one excels in. With cultivation, magic, martial arts, and technology all merged into one, what will my future look like if I continue growing like this? He clenched his open palm slowly. The glowing point of immense power, once brimming with boundless energy, disappeared into his hand. Just as it had formed in absolute silence, it faded just as quietly. The lingering energies drifted through the air, shimmering with dreamlike hues, brilliant, ethereal, yet ultimately returning to his body. Su Shi watched the mesmerizing display, countless future possibilities flashing through his mind. There were paths where conflicting disciplines hindered his progress, causing stagnation. And there were paths where they harmonized, leading to the pinnacle of transcendence. Beyond the immortal emperor, the supreme divinity, the martial grand cosmos. Tisk, that does sound tempting. He clicked his tongue and examined his hands under the warm glow of the lantern. Then, with a slight shake of his head, he dismissed the thought. Whether he became supreme or reached the end of all realms didn't concern him much. As long as he had enough power, that was enough. Especially with the girls by his side. Even longevity was no longer an issue for him. With the blessings of the Supreme, he was already as close to eternal as one could be. I lack nothing now. Rather than chasing power, I'm more curious about where the simulator came from. Su Shi stood up, pushing open the training chamber doors. He walked along the quiet corridors, heading toward his study. Taking a seat by the window, he instinctively picked up his brush and began writing. The soft scratching sound filled the air as he recorded his progress from this session. It was both reflection and consolidation. Master, the weather is getting colder. Please take care of yourself. A calm voice came from behind him, distinct from the witch's emotionless tone. This voice carried warmth, subtle, but undeniably filled with concern. A quiet tap echoed as a steaming cup of water was gently placed on his desk. Yes, I'll be careful, Su Shi replied. Even though he was already beyond mortal limitations and bolstered by supreme blessings, making it impossible for him to fall ill, he still expressed his gratitude. Thank you, Alii. Sunlight streamed through the study window, casting a golden glow on the machine servant's slender figure. She bent slightly, lowering her stance with elegant precision. Her soft, weightless strands of hair merged with the sunlight, almost becoming one with the golden radiance. Thank you for your praise. Alii is happy to serve you. Graceful, loyal. Watching her, Su Shi couldn't help but recall the countless moments from the 4th simulation. He chuckled softly and asked how she was adjusting to life on Earth. In the simulation, the Federation planet had been a wasteland, devoid of other intelligent life. The universe itself had been filled with enemies. By the time the simulation ended, the only person Alii had ever spoken to, the only person she had ever known, was Su Shi. That was why he worried she might not be accustomed to life on Earth. Please do not worry, I am perfectly fine. Su Shi sipped the tea Alii had prepared, listening as she listed everything she had been doing since arriving on Earth. Preparing your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Feeding the fish in the pond. Eliminating predatory civilizations to ensure your safety. Suppressing rogue transcendence causing trouble. Rogue transcendence? Something about that felt odd. But Alii seemed completely content. Her life was fulfilling and well-ordered, with nothing to worry about. That's good to hear, Su Shi said with a smile. After finishing his tea, he resumed recording his training progress, while Alii silently retrieved the cup and left the room. Only after completing his notes did Su Shi glance out the window toward the courtyard. In the winter's bleak landscape, he saw 2 figures standing on opposite sides of the yard. Alii, tending to the blue-violet starflower. Krisha, tending to the dragon blood grass nourished by dragon blood. The scene was peaceful and harmonious, devoid of any tension. So, in the end, I was just worrying over nothing. Krisha and Alii get along perfectly well. Su Shi inhaled the crisp, cold air, a faint smile forming on his lips. Su Shi inhaled the crisp, cold air, a faint smile forming on his lips. The new year was still some time away, but perhaps, it was time to start preparing. Su Shi had always believed that cultivation and daily life were not in conflict. One should grow stronger when needed, and enjoy life when necessary. Even after ascending to divinity, with the girls around him having reached the realm of eternal supremacy, Su Shi's daily rhythm remained much like that of an ordinary person. Browsing his phone, enjoying the scenery, shopping. Now that I think about it, it's been a year since I moved into this courtyard. It's time to replace some furniture. Molly, Krisha, Yingxiu, Alii. Since I'm going out, I should bring back some gifts for them too. Setting down his brush and paper, Su Shi formed a rough plan for his day. He was going shopping. Should he bring someone along? Both the machine servant and the witch were excellent at household management. Either of them would be useful companions. Subconsciously, his gaze drifted toward the courtyard window. The atmosphere was harmonious and peaceful. Krisha and Ali were still tending to the garden, trimming plants with care. The winter courtyard was beautifully serene. But for some reason, Su Shi felt as if this part of the city was colder than the rest of Yin Mountain City. Maybe I should go alone. It was just shopping. There was no need to trouble anyone. Summoning his Jian-Mu staff, Su Shi silently activated the spatial laws, disappearing from the room without a sound. Almost instantly, in the courtyard, both the witch and the machine servant paused their actions. At the same time, the county princess, who had been grilling dragon meat by herself, stopped chewing. Chaos, disorder, and boundless power surged. At the intersection of time and space, at the collision of realms and universes, the endless tide of chaos roared. The river of time trembled. A single, seemingly insignificant figure stood amidst it all, wielding a blood-stained wooden sword, slicing through the fabric of reality. One sweep. One strike. The barriers that countless ascendants despaired over shattered effortlessly beneath her blade. Almost there, brother. Soon, I'll completely elevate Earth and reach you ahead of schedule. Amidst the shattering remnants of a broken world, the celestial maiden stepped upon the mother river of time, whispering words that only she could hear. Her voice was calm yet filled with endless longing, and a trace of anticipation. For years, she had tirelessly infused fragments of the cultivation world into Earth, drastically accelerating its evolution. It wasn't just to enter Earth in her true form. It was also to claim the title of being the first before the other supreme beings. Theoretically, as long as Earth absorbed enough world fragments, it could evolve to rival, or even surpass, the former immortal realm. It would become a world strong enough to bear the existence of the supreme. However, the quality of the absorbed fragments was just as important as the quantity. It's almost time. A little longer. Once Earth fully merges with the immortal realm, it will finally be able to support my descent. The celestial maiden lifted her hand slightly. Fragments of shattered worlds fluttered around her, carried away by the chaotic currents. Each fragment radiated with the aura of cultivation, pouring into Earth's universe. The blue planet continued to evolve. Its energy fluctuated, blending together, carrying traces of multiple supreme beings' presence. But compared to the cultivation side, the others were noticeably weaker. This is my hidden path. A triumphant smile played on Su Moli's lips. She was certain of her impending victory. She could already see the dawn of success. But it's still not enough. I need more, much more. Chaos quivered, time flowed backward. Her delicate fingers tightened around the hilt of her sword. With precise and unyielding divine power, she continued slicing through worlds buried within the river of time. Yet amidst her relentless work, something felt strange. It was too quiet. No, something was definitely off. The trees along the street had shed their lush greenery, leaving only bare branches swaying uncertainly in the winter wind. Snow blanketed the rooftops, covering all but the smallest shop signs. Su Shi's plan failed. The moment he swung his Jian-Mu staff and teleported out of his study into the bustling city streets. It happened. A coincidence. An incredibly precise coincidence. Amidst the swirling snow, at the very first street corner he passed, a familiar figure greeted him in a familiar tone. Good afternoon, master. Are you out shopping as well? What a coincidence. The machine servant stood before him, her silver blue eyes gleaming even brighter against the white, snow-covered world. Indeed, what a coincidence, Ali. Su Shi opened his mouth to speak, then closed it. Was it really a coincidence? He wasn't sure. But at this moment, it seemed impossible not to bring Ali along. Please, master, allow me to assist you. I will always be at your service, the machine servant said with sincerity. Su Shi could only agree. Snowflakes fell in large clusters, twirling in the air like delicate white butterflies. They landed on Su Shi and Ali's shoulders, forming a soft, thin layer. Then, at the second street corner, a strong gust of wind swept past, perfectly blowing away the snow that had settled on Su Shi. Master, what a coincidence. A 17-year-old girl stood before him, her youthful face untouched by time. Her delicate features and silver hair complemented the snowy season. Krisha stood at the corner, cradling her staff. She tilted her head slightly, blinking at him. Su Shi. Yes, it is quite the coincidence. After a moment of thought, he extended an invitation. Krisha, would you like to go shopping with me? Yes, master. The eternal witch joined the party. Her face remained expressionless, her gaze empty, yet when her silver-gray hair swayed in the wind, Su Shi felt as if he caught a hint of a smile. Then came the third street corner. At the far end of his vision, yet another familiar figure appeared. A fiery presence crouched by the roadside, munching on something. Upon spotting Su Shi, she eagerly stood up and waved. Sir, you're out too? What a coincidence. Wu Yingxiu grinned widely. She ran up to him without hesitation, naturally squeezing herself into the group. Standing on tiptoe, her eyes sparkled with excitement. Sir, are you shopping? I can help carry things for you. Well, that would be helpful, Yingxiu. No trouble at all. As long as I can help you, sir. With a satisfied gulp, Wu Yingxiu swallowed the last bite of roasted dragon meat. The snowstorm raged, the wind howled, yet Su Shi simply turned around, staring at the three girls who had all conveniently coincidentally run into him. He fell into deep thought. Was this really just a coincidence? There was only one way to find out. With hesitant steps, Su-Shi continued walking forward. And just as expected. Brother, what a coincidence? You're here too. She had made it in time. Realizing she had overlooked something, the celestial maiden had corrected her mistake and promptly projected herself right in front of Su-Shi. The wind howled, cutting through the air like a blade. Snowflakes danced in the sky, swirling as they fell. Transcendents and ordinary people walked side by side through the streets, discussing the harsh winter cold. Last winter, Su-Shi had gone shopping with only the witch. Everything had gone smoothly, all the purchases completed efficiently in a short span of time. But this year was different. This year, he had more company. The girls accompanying him each carried an air of elegance, drawing attention just by standing there. Su-Shi subtly sensed the strange glances from passers-by and overheard whispers. Scumbag. Casanova. So jealous. He considered responding, then thought better of it. Instead, he cast a discreet magical illusion, subtly diverting the pedestrians' attention elsewhere. Brother, where to next? Let's start with the furniture market. After ensuring the spell had taken effect, Su-Shi glanced at the bustling streets and made his decision. Large snowflakes floated down, landing softly on his hair, his hands, and his coat, blurring his figure into the winter scenery. His stride was steady, seemingly ordinary, yet invisibly shielded by supreme power. Cultivation, magic, martial arts, technology. The forces of countless disciplines clashed and intertwined in the heavens. A single thought swept across Yin Mountain City, instantly scanning and neutralizing all potential threats. At the same time, it sent a subtle warning to Earth's planetary consciousness. Be sensible. Reduce the snowfall around Yin Mountain City. Earth's will trembled in submission. Within moments, the snowfall drastically lessened. How odd. Am I imagining things? Why does it feel like the snow just got lighter? Su-Shi looked up at the sky with suspicion. Oh well. It was a minor detail. No need to dwell on it. Let me think. The desk and chairs in my study need replacing. The old ones are too small. The living room sofa is getting worn out. Molly's room needs new lighting, Krisha needs a bedside table, and Yingxiu could use a display shelf. Oh, and Alii just moved in, she'll need some new furniture too. With these thoughts in mind, Su-Shi led the girls into a massive furniture market. Sweeping his gaze over the countless selections, he contemplated what to buy. As always, the witch's keen perception was unparalleled. The machine servant, on the other hand, was as meticulous as ever, proving her efficiency as a domestic AI. Whenever Su-Shi hesitated, they provided suggestions with precise reasoning. Dark gold and crimson eyes, silver and blue, crystal clear pupils. Their gazes each calm, each determined, stood on opposite sides of Su-Shi. Though their expressions were serene, there was an invisible clash between them, a silent confrontation of wills. Master often stays up late and lacks proper rest. This set, carved from the trunk of the life tree, is perfect for you, Krisha stated. A few strands of her silvery gray hair slipped over her forehead, swaying near the tip of her small nose. I disagree, Alii countered. Master has already ascended to divinity. The so-called life tree will not provide him with proper rest. I recommend this one, designed with ergonomic principles. It will offer Master some degree of comfort. Her voice was calm and composed. Yet somehow, Su-Shi felt the temperature around them fluctuate, one moment scorching, the next moment freezing. Objection. Overruled. Rejection. Correction. Under Su-Shi's watchful eye, the machine servant and the witch engaged in what appeared to be a perfectly friendly debate. They argued with strict logic, meticulously pointing out the flaws in each other's furniture choices. The county princess looked as though she wanted to join in, but, after observing for a while, decided against it. Meanwhile, Molly simply clung to Su-Shi's arm, claiming she was tired and needed support. In the end, it was Su-Shi who put a stop to the pointless dispute. Krisha, Alii, you don't need to be this serious. I just want to refresh the furniture for the new year. It doesn't need to be that functional. Hearing his words, the two finally dropped their comparison game. Each picked out a set of furniture for him, intending to bring them back to the courtyard for his use. Just as Su-Shi often considered the needs of the girls, they, too, were always thinking about him. Sir, what do you think of this grill? Brother, what would you like Molly to give you? Whether they were agonizing over choices or simply taking things seriously, the girls continued shopping earnestly. After half an hour of browsing, the furniture shopping was finally complete. Beep Transcendent Card. Su-Shi used the Bureau of Transcendence special card for payment. He rarely needed to use money but knew the card had a lot of zeros. With the furniture settled, next, we need to buy food, household necessities, and New Year decorations. Let's keep going, everyone. Leaving the furniture market, Su-Shi led the group toward the city's central shopping mall. The witch followed silently. The machine servant did the same. Molly and Yingxiu exchanged glances, looking at each other, then at Su-Shi. Then, as if reaching a mutual understanding, they both shook their heads. Forget it. Today was not a good day to get involved. Strange. Isn't the mall supposed to have heating? Why does it feel so cold? Right? I thought it was just me. So everyone else feels it too. Ugh, this place is cursed. Inside the shopping mall, Su-Shi moved through various sections with the girls. Everywhere they went, other shoppers couldn't help but glance at them in bewilderment. People started checking their clothing, making sure there were no holes letting in the cold. Unintentionally, the crowded mall was now spacious around them. A natural clear zone had formed. Anyu's proposal has been set. He'll be officially getting married next spring. If that's the case, I can't just give him food like before. The mall's lighting was soft yet cool-toned, illuminating every item on display with a subtle texture and intricate design. Sushi walked slowly, browsing through baby products. Once again, the machine servant spoke. She had already scanned the entire mall and compiled a list. Master, I recommend these. This one, and this one as well. The witch, uncharacteristically, remained silent. Aliai's efficiency was too overwhelming. She had spoken first, preemptively saying everything the witch had wanted to say. Even so, Krisha was experienced enough to find some room to interject. The troublesome witch. Aliai frowned. The problematic machine. Krisha frowned. With their combined efforts, the shopping trip ended far faster than Sushi had expected. I didn't think we'd finish so quickly this year. He had anticipated a chaotic, drawn-out day full of unpredictable twists. Yet, reality had proved otherwise. Now that the shopping was done, should they return home immediately? Sushi hesitated. Glancing at the four girls beside him, he thought for a moment before making a decision. Aside from Wu Yingxiu, who was lively and often out and about, the other three rarely left the courtyard. Since they were already here, Sushi figured they might as well enjoy the outside world a little longer. How should I put it? Nostalgia, remembrance, or just simple boredom? The empty room felt like a suffocating cage, its doors and windows sealed shut, trapping the silence within. There was no light, no warmth, only the howling wind echoing through the darkness. Sushi raised his palm, summoning a power similar to Krisha's but lacking the vast, law-defying force she wielded. Purify. Instantly, the biting cold wind ceased. Moonlight streamed through the window, casting a soft halo over the floor. The room looked clean again, but that was only on the surface. The decay within the walls and the scars left by time remained untouched, unchanged by Sushi's magic. Not because he couldn't fix them, but because he saw no point in doing so. Now then, Sushi scanned the room. It was far too empty, without even a chair to sit on. Luckily, he still had an old companion. With a soft click, he walked to the corner, pulled out a folded wheelchair, and effortlessly unfolded it before sitting down. Applying slight pressure to his arms, he spun the wheels, moving forward with a faint creak. The sound repeated rhythmically as he maneuvered through the room, stopping in front of the window. The moonlight bathed both the wheelchair and Sushi, stretching their shadows long across the floor, blending into the darkness like ink on a canvas. The house was silent. Sushi let out a soft chuckle, but it quickly faded into something more complex, something closer to nostalgia. In the past, I always wanted to get out of this wheelchair, to walk on my own 2 feet again. But now, I find myself reminiscing about those days. Sitting in the chair, he looked just like he had when his legs were injured, watching the outside world from a window. He stared at the neon lights of the city, at people talking and laughing as they passed by, feeling the faint traces of life's warmth. It was peaceful. And lonely. Why had he come back here tonight? Perhaps it was the influence of his teacher and Aniu. Watching his former teacher and old companions move toward their bright futures had stirred something in him, an emotion woven from the threads of time. The simulated world, the real world. The accumulation of all these simulated experiences has shaped my mindset. Night had fallen. The cold wind whispered. Sushi pushed open the window, letting the freezing air rush into the room. He let the chill brush against his face, skim past his neck, the sharp sting a stark reminder that this world was real. This wasn't self-punishment. He just wanted to see the world clearly. But someone didn't want him to. From the shadows behind him, she emerged. Her steps were silent, her movements precise. Before Sushi could react, she had already closed the window. Master, this isn't good for your health. Her calm voice echoed through the room, as soft and steady as a flowing stream. I won't do it again, Krisha. Sushi hesitated for a moment before turning to look at her, the silver-gray hair catching the moonlight, blending into its glow. In the end, he couldn't resist asking. Krisha, why are you here? I watch over you, I listen to you, I sense you. I am always here whenever you need me. Her answer was simple. She had been keeping an eye on Sushi at every moment, never letting her guard down, never allowing a single second of negligence. As long as he needed her, the witch would always be there. But even after hearing her response, Sushi still had doubts. I blocked my spatial traces and concealed my presence. How did you find me? Krisha remained silent for a moment before raising her hand and pointing at the necklace around his neck. The Supreme Coronet. A gift from the Supreme Witch. You're using my power. Sushi fell silent as well. Very well. Very powerful. He had overlooked this. He had planned to spend the night alone, quietly reminiscing about the past. But now, that plan seemed impossible. Sit down, Krisha. Sushi gathered the moonlight in his hand, preparing to shape it into a chair using light magic, but Krisha declined. Master, I can stand. Her silver-gray hair fell quietly over her shoulders, a few strands brushing against Sushi's neck. She stepped behind him and gently placed her hands on the wheelchair's handles, steadying it. It wasn't necessary, but she did it anyway. Her expression was calm, her actions precise, her posture impeccably upright. To any observer, she would look like the most devoted servant. You don't have to do this, Krisha. Yes, master. She understood. But she wouldn't stop. At times, Krisha could be unexpectedly stubborn like now, when she refused to sit and instead insisted on holding the wheelchair steady. Even though Sushi's legs weren't injured and he had only chosen to sit for nostalgia's sake, she wouldn't change her mind. Sushi had no choice but to let her be. Master, why did you come here? The empty house remained silent as Krisha pushed the wheelchair forward. Her voice was calm, but there was a hint of curiosity in it. She didn't understand why Sushi had left his courtyard just to return to this old place. She didn't understand why he chose to sit here and watch the world outside. It made no sense to her. There's no real reason, Krisha. Sushi smiled, his gaze shifting back to the lively streets beyond the window, watching as people bustled through the snowy night. I just wanted to see it. If I had to explain why, maybe. I'm just reminiscing about the old days. The old days? You mean before you awakened your abilities, back when you were just an ordinary person? Not just that. Also, the times with Molly. The times with you. All of it, everything. Krisha tilted her head slightly, confused. She never cared about the past. She never missed what had come before. As long as she could see him, as long as she could be with him, then the darkness of the past would transform into the light of the future. She only needed him. Nothing else mattered. The shadows exist to follow the light. Do you want to visit Ellenson City? She wasn't interested in most things. But if it was something she wanted, she would make it happen. She told him that during the process of Earth's transformation, the magical world had been split into many dimensional ruins, one of which contained the remains of Ellenson City. Sushi's expression shifted from surprise to laughter. Ha ha ha. No need, Krisha. I appreciate the thought, but Ellenson, it's not the same anymore. The magical city of Ellenson had once suffered divine punishment orchestrated by the gods themselves. Though it was later rebuilt, it was no longer the place he remembered. Of course, with Krisha's abilities, she could restore Ellenson to its original form. But even then, it wouldn't be the same. Remembering the past didn't mean he needed to relive it. Sushi smiled, his gaze softening. Still, thank you, Krisha. On a winter night in Yanshan City, an extraordinary sight unfolded. Neon lights and the bright moon complemented each other, creating a city where the supernatural coexisted with technology. In this modern metropolis, figures of extraordinary beings frequently moved through the shadows of towering skyscrapers. Some soared through the skies on swords. Some rode magical beasts. Others dashed effortlessly across rooftops with incredible agility. The dazzling neon lights reflected off the snowy streets, outlining the city's vibrant contours. The hurried pedestrians and flowing traffic formed a mesmerizing river of colors against the winter night. In that faint chill of silence, Sushi could still hear the soft breathing of the witch behind him. The quiet night carried the rhythmic sound of her breaths, steady and gentle, blending seamlessly into the darkness. It was peaceful and oddly endearing. At that moment, Sushi suddenly realized ever since the second simulation ended, he hadn't spent much time alone with Krisha like this. One reason was that Krisha had grown more independent. She no longer needed his constant guidance. The other reason was that, in reality, Sushi no longer had a lifespan restriction. Unlike in the simulations, Krisha no longer needed to watch over him at all times. Master, have some hot tea to warm up. As Sushi reminisced about the past, the thoughtful witch silently appeared beside him. He wasn't sure where she got the tea, but she carefully balanced the cup on a tray and steadily presented it to him. The tea's surface rippled slightly, shimmering with a deep crimson hue. It was dragon blood spirit tea, a brew rich in both aroma and taste. Thanks, Krisha. Sushi accepted the cup, instinctively thanking the girl as he took a sip. The flavor was familiar, rich yet refreshing. Top quality tea. Great tea, he muttered, smacking his lips lightly. He couldn't help but think that the dragon blood spirit tea he cultivated himself tasted far better than the overpriced chucka tea from the magical world. He still remembered the outrageous price of a single gold coin per cup. Outside, the wind howled even more fiercely. The pitch-black sky churned, rattling the old windows. Occasionally, sharp gusts slipped through the cracks, swirling through the empty room. But Krisha, ever the loyal witch, would not allow anything to disturb Sushi. With a simple raise of her fingers, the lifeless cold wind dissolved into nothingness, vanishing into the falling snow without a sound. Her eyelashes trembled slightly, and the faint light reflecting off her eyes accentuated her calm and indifferent expression. Anything that could affect Sushi, nothing escaped her watchful gaze. Krisha, you don't have to take this so seriously. Just sit down. Sushi chuckled. But Krisha refused. Expressionless, she remained standing beside him, holding the tray in one hand and the teapot in the other. There was an unusual seriousness about her. What was she doing? Her answer was simple: she was waiting for him to finish his tea so she could pour him another cup. Steady, methodical. Just like in the magical world, the witch served him in the way she believed was best, without hesitation, without distraction, completely focused on her role. This was the devotion of the dim shadow, the quiet resolve of the caged bird. It wasn't restraint. It was the freedom unique to her. Well, I'll trouble you then, Krisha. Sushi handed her the empty cup, his gaze unconsciously meeting hers. Golden, black, and crimson. 3 colors swirled within her irises. A symbol of her 3 transformations. Now that I think about it, the experiences I had in the magical world simulations were really something. Just as he sighed in reflection, something unexpected happened. Krisha, who had just taken the cup and was about to pour more tea, lost her grip for a brief moment. The teapot slipped from her fingers and fell to the ground. The liquid inside splashed everywhere. With a dull thud, the teapot hit the floor. Some of the spilled tea soaked into Krisha's dress, while droplets clung to the strands of her silver-gray hair. I'm sorry, master. Krisha stood frozen, stunned. A bead of tea slid down her bangs, rolling smoothly down her cheek before dripping onto the floor. She apologized, her voice soft and lost. She looked bewildered, her clothes wet. At her feet, the teapot spun in small circles before finally coming to a stop. It's all right, Krisha. Sushi's initial surprise quickly softened into a gentle expression. His voice was calm as he reassured her, there's nothing to apologize for. It's just a small accident. There was no blame, no reprimand. After all, scolding her would serve no purpose. With a touch of magic, the mess was cleaned up in an instant. As for Krisha's damp clothes, Sushi finally put his windfire hybrid magic to use his self-invented spell, something akin to a magical hairdryer. Krisha remained perfectly still. Her long hair fluttered under the warm breeze, revealing her delicate face. Expressionless, emotionless, yet somehow filled with a silent depth. As he dried her hair, Sushi felt a strange illusion. Krisha, now grown, seemed to overlap with the frail, fragile girl he had once met. Is something wrong, master? Krisha asked. She had noticed the slight hesitation in his actions. No, nothing. Sushi smiled and shook his head. He continued channeling his magic, ensuring her hair was completely dry, leaving no trace of dampness. I just suddenly remembered when I first met you. Time really flies. His voice carried a hint of nostalgia. He could still recall it clearly, the Krisha from back then, thin and weak, a ghost of a girl who seemed on the verge of fading away at any moment. That pitiful image was still deeply imprinted in his memory. But now, she had grown up, grown strong enough to surprise even him. Was he happy? Yes, very much so. Was he emotional? Without a doubt. But more than anything, he felt relieved. Watching the girl he had once protected grow into someone independent, it was a joy even greater than his own strength. From learning magic to awakening her powers, to taking on the responsibilities of managing the courtyard, Sushi had witnessed every step of Krisha's transformation. The once frail, starving child had become a capable adult, powerful enough that he no longer needed to worry about her. All done, Krisha. You can stand now. With her hair dry, Sushi let go of her. Krisha straightened herself. Her silver-gray hair cascaded down like a waterfall, the moonlight weaving through the strands like stardust. Thank you, master. She spoke politely, bowing her head slightly in gratitude. But her expression was unnatural. At her chest, the deep blue glow of the ocean sapphire necklace flickered. The reflection of the stone was turbulent, restless waves rising and falling as if she had done something wrong. But that was impossible. Krisha was always obedient, always careful. How could she possibly do anything wrong? The night sky was heavy with clouds, and the wind howled fiercely. As time passed, the darkness grew denser, weighing down on the city like an impending storm. Outside the window, the howling wind was no longer the only sound filling the streets. The noise of late-night shops lining both sides of the road grew louder, their voices carrying through the cold air. Sushi didn't dislike such sounds. He found them comforting, a reminder of life's warmth. Sipping his tea, he planned to return to the courtyard soon to rest. Krisha, do you remember the first New Year we spent in Ellenson City? Yes, master. While gazing out the window, Sushi casually chatted with Krisha beside him. Their conversation wasn't anything profound, just simple reminiscing about the past. They talked about the food in Ellenson City, the awe of witnessing divine punishment for the first time, the vast sea of Apog City, and the peaceful interactions they had on Dragon Island. The breeze brushed softly against the pages of time, stirring up memories hidden in the mist of the past. Memories were like a flowing stream, silently washing over words and clearing away the dust that had settled in the corners of the mind. From the first days in Ellenson City to their journeys through Wag City, Apog City, and the many places they visited, all the way to the final days in New Ellenson City. In the dimly lit old house, Sushi and Krisha talked about so much. Krisha, I'm really happy, Sushi finally said, looking at the witch before him. You've grown into someone remarkable, even surpassing me in many ways. I'm truly glad to see you grow like this. His gaze met hers, those beautiful, radiant eyes that held a depth only she could understand. Back when the second simulation ended, he had still worried about her. But now, he had nothing to worry about anymore. Compared to before, Krisha had become someone he could trust completely. I'm still far from reaching your level, Krisha said softly, shaking her head. Even now, she didn't believe she had graduated from being his student. She remained convinced that she still needed to learn from him just as she had before, always following closely behind him. Krisha, being too modest isn't always a good thing. Sushi paused, then added, with your current strength, you've completely surpassed me. If anything, I should be the one learning from you. Looking at Krisha now, her features frozen in the appearance of a 17-year-old girl, Sushi couldn't help but reach out and ruffle her hair. It was as soft and smooth as ever. Master, Krisha's expression was dazed. She shook her head again, refusing to accept his words. She was a bird that followed the light. As long as she stayed close to it, she could navigate the darkness. What is an object? What is life? What is a shackle? And what is love? Throughout her life, Krisha Christine had pondered these questions. She could have ignored them. They were meaningless. They wouldn't ease her suffering. But in the cold, dark world she lived in, there was a light. A light that gently shattered the walls of darkness took her hand and led her towards something brighter. He said, "A witch is not something to be discarded." He said, "A witch is a person, just like him." He said, "A witch is beautiful, the most radiant flower of all." He acknowledged her existence. He affirmed her worth. He taught her everything he knew, giving without reservation just so she could survive. With his limited human life, he stayed with her until the very end. Such devotion, such persistence. She never understood it. And so, in the depths of her heart, that one figure had occupied her entire world. Master. The night was thick with shadows, hiding her expression. Krisha's voice was soft as she asked, "Why did you save me the first time we met?" Su Shi sat in his wheelchair, watching the streets outside. Her voice pulled him from his thoughts. It was gentle, steady like a passing breeze brushing against his ear. Why? Her question sent his mind drifting back to a long-ago memory. A filthy, foul-smelling alleyway. A girl clutching a small knife, trembling as she tried to rob him. She had been after the half-eaten bread in his hand. That scene was unforgettable. Because, back then, you were scared, weren't you? Su Shi reached out. His hand landed gently on her head, ruffling her hair again. Scared. Yes. When we first met, you were afraid of me, weren't you? His voice was soft and warm. He smiled and said he wasn't someone worthy of admiration. He had no grand ambition to save the world. He wasn't a noble hero driven by compassion. He was just an idiot. A fool, as the soldiers called him. But when he saw the young Krisha back then, he simply couldn't leave her behind. Even if it meant wasting your life because of me. No, Krisha. I never thought of it as a waste. In fact, I think those days were meaningful. Master. The witch, usually as silent as a doll, had so much she wanted to say. But she didn't know where to begin. In the end, all those words, all those emotions, condensed into a barely there smile, one that required no effort to maintain. Master. I'm sorry. I guess I'm still not ready to graduate. Because you're here. Because you're still by my side. As long as you exist, I will never learn how to say goodbye. Even if you were gone, I would just keep waiting. And waiting. Forever waiting for you to return. I'm really sorry for being a student like this. But I can't leave you anymore. Krisha. Su Shi was slightly surprised. His hand, which had been resting on her head, was suddenly held in place. She didn't want him to pull away. In the dim night, something flickered. A shimmer. A fleeting glimmer of moisture. It appeared quickly and vanished just as fast. But the warmth in that fleeting moment was real. It was everything Krisha had. Rest for a while, Krisha. Su Shi sighed lightly. A moment later, her trembling body finally steadied. Are you all right now, Krisha? Thank you. Her voice was back to normal. It seemed like she wanted to say something else, but then her gaze shifted toward the old house's window. Was someone there? Su Shi followed her gaze but saw nothing. The streets at night were mostly empty, aside from a few scattered pedestrians. Nothing suspicious. But Krisha moved. Expressionless, she reached for the witch's hat he had given her. Adjusting the ocean blue necklace on her chest, she walked up to the window. Then, with a blank face, she raised her right hand. First, she held up her index finger. Then, she raised her middle finger. A common V gesture for photos. Krisha, what are you doing? You don't need to worry. Just sharing a little joy with the latecomer. It was eerie. There was no simulation running. And yet, Su Shi could faintly hear a system prompt in his mind. Unhappy. Very unhappy. Extremely unhappy. The ultimate supreme spiral ascending level of unhappiness. After the fourth simulation ended, the witch had briefly entered a state of high alert. She claimed that war was imminent. To protect Su Shi, she trained relentlessly, preparing for an unknown enemy. But now, she told him the war was over. Master, I won. A fleeting hint of a smile seemed to flash across her otherwise calm and elegant face, but it disappeared so quickly that it was easy to doubt if it had ever been there. In stark contrast, when Su Shi returned to the courtyard, he was met with a very different sight. At the entrance stood his mechanical servant. Expressionless as always, she still spoke to him with utmost respect. Yet, there was something strangely cold about her tone, a quiet eeriness in the way she said, Master, are you preparing to sleep? Ali, I can't sleep. Crack. Crack. The heavy snow had weighed down the courtyard trees, causing their brittle branches to snap with crisp, sharp sounds. The night stretched on endlessly, flickering lights casting shifting shadows across the snow. Ali's silver blue eyes glowed brilliantly in the darkness, sharp and piercing. A witch with little emotion, smiled. A mechanical servant, capable of deep feelings, remained expressionless. It was as if their roles had been reversed, creating an inexplicable contrast. The night grew darker, the snow more surreal. Standing beneath the swaying, frost-covered branches at the courtyard entrance, Su Shi looked up at the moon. He instinctively pulled his coat tighter around him, suddenly feeling the chill settle into his bones. It was strange. Even though he had already ascended to godhood in this reality, the cold of this world felt sharper than anything he had ever experienced in his simulations. Ever since Earth had undergone its ascension, celestial phenomena had become increasingly unpredictable. Ali, yes, I'm here. Can you prepare a cup of hot coffee for me? I'd like to stay up a little longer. Since his mechanical servant couldn't sleep, Su Shi decided to delay his own rest as well. At the same time, he turned his gaze toward the witch. Krisha, can you prepare a late-night meal for me? I guess I've been out for too long. I'm feeling a little hungry. Yes, Master. Yes, master. The mechanical servant and the witch finally broke their silent standoff. Alii was loyal. Krisha was obedient. At Sushi's command, they immediately set aside their tension and went to work, quickly restoring a warm atmosphere to the house as they brought him hot coffee and a late-night meal. Looks like I'll be staying up later than usual tonight. Inside the study, Sushi sat at his desk, staring at the coffee and food placed neatly before him. He fell into deep thought. Only now did he realize something. The dangers and enemies that Krisha and Alii had mentioned before. Had they actually been talking about each other? Well, at least the misunderstanding is resolved. From now on, they can slowly build their relationship. I'll act as the mediator. Sushi let out a quiet sigh. This would be a long-term effort. He picked up his coffee then suddenly remembered something. Skillfully manipulating space and time magic, he took his first sip of coffee and his first bite of food at the exact same moment. Perfect. Not a single imbalance. Feeling the warmth of the room, savoring the efforts of both girls, Sushi smiled in satisfaction. The night was long. He decided to continue his research into transcendence, preparing for future breakthroughs in cultivation and martial ascension. Just as he had predicted, he ended up staying awake until 3 in the morning before finally retreating to his room to rest. By the time he woke up again, the mechanical servant and the witch had already returned to their usual selves. There was no longer any tension or coldness between them. Everything seemed back to normal. Master, I cleaned up some trash for you. During breakfast, Alii, precise and elegant as always, spoke with a hint of apology in her tone. She informed him that after he had gone to sleep, she had eliminated some lurking predator civilizations that had been hiding on Earth. And why did she do this? Her answer was simple. They were intruding on your domain. They were filthy and evil creatures, lurking in the shadows, waiting to kill. I couldn't allow them to exist any longer. Please rest assured, I didn't harm any lawful civilizations. Loyalty. Righteousness. Sushi felt a sense of pride in her actions. Alii, you did well. Thank you for your praise, master. It was my duty. She maintained her usual composed demeanor, except for the fact that her ears twitched rapidly. Very well. Everything had gone smoothly. Not only had she eliminated a nuisance, but she had also received praise from her master. The score was even now, but the real competition had only just begun. Alii class combat mode, engaged. Master, I prepared new tea for you. Master, I made fresh tonic soup for you. Master, I'll take care of everything in the courtyard. Master, your intelligent housekeeper, Alii, is at your service 24/7. Master, master. Time moved quickly. The old trees in the courtyard had grown another ring, witnessing new leaves sprout and old ones fall. Cold, empty streets. Warm, bustling doorways. As the last rays of the sun disappeared over the horizon, the new year officially arrived. Perhaps life had been too fulfilling lately. Waking up every day to Krisha and Alii's greetings, immersed in their constant attention. Sushi found himself dazed when he realized the new year had actually come. Time had passed too fast. So fast he hadn't even noticed. Happy New Year, Master. Visiting the Heavenly Sword sect in the capital, Sushi presented Li Wanchao with dragon blood spirit tea. This time, he had accelerated its aging with time magic, giving it the richness of 100 years. It had cost a few extra dragons, but that was a minor issue. Not bad. At least you still remember to show respect to your master. The old man stroked his white beard, his expression serious yet satisfied. But in the very next second, his face twisted into frustration. He demanded to know when Sushi planned to ascend. Soon, soon. Next time, for sure. Sushi grinned. The old man glared at him, his mustache bristling, but after a while, he sighed and drank the spirit tea in one gulp. Useless disciple. With a huff, Li Wanchao tossed him a small wooden box. Inside was a dazzling, rune-etched pill. This is something I accidentally refined. It should be beneficial for you. Take it. Remember, don't come back until you ascend. And with that, the old man flicked his sleeve and sent Sushi flying out of the sect. Sushi chuckled. Standing outside the sect, he called back, "Understood, master." After that, he made his way to the Supernatural Bureau to visit Red Dragon. Or rather, to thank him. After all, the cultivation and refinement of dragon blood spirit tea wouldn't have been possible without Red Dragon's generous contributions. As a New Year's gift, Sushi presented him with a large chest filled with fire elemental gemstones infused with law fragments. For Red Dragon, these weren't just valuable treasures to hoard. They could also help him comprehend the laws of fire and step into the demigod realm. Loyalty. With a fierce expression, the massive red dragon slammed a claw against his chest in a soldier's salute. He declared that offering his dragon blood for such a grand and sacred cause had been his duty and honor. Good, good. Little Red, I see great potential in you. Sushi nodded in satisfaction. As the saying goes, a dragon who understands the times is a wise dragon. And Red Dragon certainly fit the description. No, it's all thanks to your excellent teachings. Take care, take care. Come visit again when you have time. Red Dragon rubbed his claws together, his expression filled with extreme flattery as he escorted Sushi out of the underground palace. The moment Sushi left, he could no longer suppress his excitement. His claws trembled as he let out strange, cackling laughter before pouncing onto the chest filled with precious fire elemental gemstones. They're mine, all mine. Ha ha ha, I shall become the new dragon god and restore the glory of the dragon race. Offering blood is great. Offering blood is wonderful. I love offering blood, and offering blood loves me. Red Dragon, Rex Sanchez, was overjoyed. Stomping his sturdy limbs, flapping his thick wings, he rolled around in a pile of fire gemstones, adding heaps of gold coins into the mix, turning it into a luxurious golden bath. Ah, such is life. Marvelous? He. I am the dragon god, the mighty Rex Sanchez. Gradually, the excitement of obtaining the gemstones mixed with the weakness of excessive blood loss. His vision blurred, his massive body swayed, and soon, he collapsed onto the mountain of gold and silver. The flames of his breath continuously scorched the treasure beneath him, creating a mist of pure white vapor. It was both absurd and oddly peaceful. This is what we call mutual benefit, Su Shi chuckled, sensing the dragon's condition. Turning around, he looked toward the capital. New Year's Eve had arrived. Dragons of fire coiled into the sky, illuminating the dark night, while cultivators soared on their swords, displaying divine techniques and magical illusions. A true dragon suppressing the heavens. A celestial elephant shaking the 9 realms. A green lotus cleansing the world. Blossoms raining from the sky. Countless mystical phenomena took form lacking any real substance, yet visually stunning, capturing the astonishment and admiration of the people. It was the perfect way to welcome the new year. I should head back. Molly and the others are waiting for me. After taking a moment to appreciate the scene, Su Shi swung his sword staff, tearing a long rift through space. With a light step, he entered the portal, instantly teleporting to the distant Yunshan city. Ah, Brother Shi is here. Brother Su, I've come to wish you a happy new year. Hey, who just stepped on my foot? Great sir, great sir. As soon as Su Shi arrived in the outskirts of Yunshan city, the people of Chu Huo army swarmed toward him like a tide, joyfully greeting him. Facing these familiar faces, Su Shi smiled warmly and returned their kindness. Happy New Year, everyone. On you, thank you for your gift. Uncle Li, Uncle Zhang, here's some lucky money for your children. He exchanged countless greetings, and the crowd was lively but chaotic. There were simply too many people who wanted to wish him well. Only after quite some time did the New Year's commotion finally settle. Whoosh! Su Shi used spatial magic once more, teleporting from the outskirts of Yunshan City back to the courtyard near the city center. Brother, Happy New Year. A figure suddenly leaped toward him. It was his younger sister, Molly, who had been busy with her world-cleaving mission and hadn't been home much. She laughed playfully and clung to his left arm. Brother, let's go eat? We can't start the New Year's feast without you. Sorry for keeping you waiting, Molly. No, you came back at the perfect time. Fireworks bloomed in the sky. Shadows intertwined on the ground. Slender fingers lightly tugged at the sleeve of his robe, clinging to him, holding on to the warmth that brought her peace. She simply stayed by his side, matching his pace. The New Year's feast wasn't the important part. Time wasn't the important part. She wasn't waiting for dinner. She was waiting for him. Because only with Su Shi's presence did this New Year's meal have any meaning. Let's head inside, Molly. Soon, the two arrived at the entrance of the house. Su Shi gently pushed open the door, and the warm, glowing light of the interior flooded his vision. Inside, 3 girls were already waiting. Krisha, Wu Yingxiu, and Alii. The dining table was covered with a feast, an array of dishes made from various ingredients and cooking styles, their delicious aroma filling the room, lightly tickling their senses. The soft lighting bathed the faces of everyone present, making them appear gentle, warm, and content. Happy New Year, everyone, Su Shi smiled, offering his blessings to the girls. Happy New Year, Master. Please enjoy my cooking. Happy New Year, sir. Let's eat quickly. Happy New Year, Master. I prepared a new tonic soup for you. The kitchen was bright and spacious, with a large vertical window reflecting the fireworks outside. Raising his gaze slightly, Su Shi could see the sky filled with dazzling, scattered bursts of color, magnificent and resplendent, enchanting and surreal. In this beautiful moment, Su Shi took his seat at the table. Molly followed, along with Krisha, Wu Yingxiu, and Alii. Listening to the sound of firecrackers outside, looking at the girls around him, Su Shi once again felt that the sacrificial life within the simulator had been worth it. At the very least, it had brought him this happiness in reality. Of course, if possible, he'd like to fix one thing. Looking down at the pile of food in his bowl, a towering mountain of dishes from all 4 girls, Su Shi opened his mouth slightly, as if to speak, but hesitated. Then stopped. Then tried again. He hadn't even taken his first bite, but just looking at it made him feel full already. Brother, eat quickly. Why aren't you eating? I made this especially for you. Master, is my cooking not good enough? Faced with his sister's expectant gaze and Krisha's quiet stare, Su Shi found himself unable to refuse. In the end, he barely survived the New Year's feast at the cost of nearly throwing up. Krisha. Yes, Master. I'm here. In the future, for New Year's Eve, let's cook a little less food. Yes, Master. I understand. The New Year's Eve celebration came to an end. Just like last year, Su Shi prepared gifts for the girls. The gifts weren't extravagant. After all, the Eternals had no real need for material possessions. But the sentiment behind them and the fact that they came from Su Shi was something they deeply cherished. The next day, when Su Shi woke up in bed, he realized he had gone through the exact same experience as last year. His body felt stiff. His limbs were numb. It seemed like his sister had tried another midnight ambush. Molly, you can't keep doing this. Su Shi sighed helplessly, giving her a gentle scolding. Krisha and Wu Yingxiu's expressions remained indifferent. Alii, on the other hand, looked completely stunned for a long time. Some time later, the ice on the river began to melt, cracking apart with crisp, clear sounds before flowing downstream in a rush of icy waves. A new year had arrived. Spring had once again taken over winter. The warm breeze stirred the flowers and grass in the courtyard back to life. Buds sprouted from once barren branches. A fresh coat of vibrant green spread across the soil. And in the midst of this gentle spring wind, a message from the outskirts of the city reached the courtyard. The auspicious day had arrived. Anu was finally getting married. The sound of gongs and drums filled the air. Red silk ribbons danced in the wind. A festive atmosphere permeated every corner. In the outskirts of Yunshan City, within the settlement of the survivalist refugees, the streets were lined with eaves adorned with rare red decorations, and oversized lanterns swayed gently in the spring breeze, impossible to miss. Niu, congratulations. We always knew this lad would make something of himself. Exactly, exactly. When Su Shi arrived at the outskirts, this was the scene that greeted him. A simple, honest-faced man, clad in neat cloth garments and draped with a bright red silk sash, stood at the center of the crowd, accepting well wishes and laughter from his neighbors. Every time someone teased him about marital matters, his sun-darkened face hard as iron ore would flush with embarrassment, as if the sunlight were too intense, scorching his cheeks. Just then, Niu noticed Su Shi's arrival. Brother Su, he called out excitedly, waving like a child to welcome him. All his unease and nervousness melted away in an instant. The crowd tactfully dispersed, leaving space for the esteemed Mr. Su and their humble little Niu to speak. Niu, congratulations, Su Shi said with a smile, taking a seat with Niu on 2 wooden chairs. From now on, you will be the head of a household, with a family and a whole new life ahead of you. You must shoulder your responsibilities. He. The simple, good-natured man grew unusually shy at Su Shi's words, scratching his head awkwardly. Ma says we owe everything we have today to you, Brother Su. I think so too. I'm dumb, I'm slow, all I know is how to eat. But it's you, Brother Su, who kept me and Ma alive. I'll listen to you, I won't let Ma or Kui suffer. Kui was the name of the girl Niu was betrothed to. Niu's eyes were bright, so bright they seemed to glow. He rose from his chair and thumped his chest as he made his vow to Su Shi, his voice booming, swearing he would never let Su Shi down. Under the sunlight, that earnest, grinning face gradually overlapped in Su Shi's memory with another one drenched in the blood of demons. I believe in you, Niu. You'll do just fine. Su Shi raised his head, gazing toward the sun's position. Wherever its light touched, lush green fields stretched flat and endless. No 10,000 mountains. No despair-filled demons. People like Niu could finally live in true peace. No more sacrifices. Niu, are you happy now? Su Shi asked, as if reliving a moment from the past. Niu paused, then responded with an even brighter grin. I'm so happy. Brother Su, I'm really happy. Is that so? Su Shi smiled, standing up and giving Niu's shoulder a gentle pat. Then that's all that matters. Niu, as long as you're happy, it's all meaningful. Yeah, I know. Niu replied with his usual guileless expression, though his face had grown red under the sun's glare. His eyes were the reddest of all. Brother Su, the sands really sting in my eyes today, he muttered, rubbing at them with his arm as if clearing away dust. The more he rubbed, the redder they became, his movements slowing, his voice growing hoarse as if sand had crept into his throat too. In the end, Niu could only force a smile through his swollen eyes and bid Su Shi farewell. Brother Su, I gotta go marry Kui now. You gotta watch me, I saved you a seat at the big red table. I will. Su Shi's expression softened as he nodded. The reassured man then strode forward with newfound courage, accompanied by the jubilant clamor of gongs and drums, stepping into his new life. Su Shi watched as that familiar figure dashed toward the sun, bathed in golden light, resolute and unwavering, forging a new path. Not the path of little Niu, but the path of Zhongshanyu. What would happen to Niu in the future? What kind of man would he become? Su Shi didn't know, because that simple, foolish man would never go cold or hungry again. He had a new life now, new goals, a future so bright, Su Shi couldn't begin to imagine it. How wonderful! Watching Niu's retreating figure, Su Shi couldn't help but let his lips curve upward. The wedding ceremony officially began. Most of the survivalist refugees came from harsh poverty, unused to extravagance or lavish celebrations. But today was an exception. Niu's wedding was a joyous occasion. People spontaneously pitched in, some offering money, others labored to prepare a grand feast and assemble an impressive procession. Even though the bride's home was just a short walk away, no effort was spared to make the event spectacular. Su Shi observed it all, watched as Niu welcomed his bride, greeting his father-in-law with a wide, clumsy grin. Awkward, sincere, and endearingly funny. Sir, what are you doing? Someone squeezed through the crowd, edging closer until she was right beside Su Shi. It was Wu Yingxiu, arriving fashionably late. Nothing much, Yingxiu. Just thinking about Niu starting a family. It's got me a little emotional. Su Shi glanced at her, then did a double take. Today, Wu Yingxiu wasn't wearing her usual red and white martial attire. Instead, she had donned a pale green dress, one he hadn't seen in a long time. Yingxiu, why are you? Sir, I'm not that clueless. Her slender fingers smoothed the tiny wrinkles along her collar. It's a happy occasion. Of course I wouldn't wear red. Red was the color of celebration. On a wedding day, the groom and bride would be dressed in red or adorned with red accessories. The young lady knew this well. She had prepared this outfit in advance, choosing the soft green gown to avoid overshadowing the event. Sir, do I look nice? Her lively eyes blinked up at him. Yes, very nice. Yingxiu, I remember you wearing this once before. You actually remember that, sir. His answer seemed to surprise her. In truth, it was precisely because Su Shi had once complimented this dress during their third simulation that she'd chosen to wear it today. If Sir praised it, then it must be beautiful. Wu Yingxiu's logic was just that simple. Of course I remember, Su Shi nodded. How could I forget something so lovely? His reply delighted the young noblewoman. She grinned, though she restrained her usual exuberance to avoid tearing the delicate fabric. Leaning in affectionately, she murmured, Sir really does have good taste. A wedding. A bride leaving her home. A union of two lives. It was a day worth celebrating, carefully chosen in advance by Aunt Zhang as an auspicious date. Under Su Shi's gaze, Aniu led a grand wedding procession, his shy smile unwavering as he escorted his bride, dressed in a bright red wedding gown. Red silk fluttered vividly, draped across the intricate carvings of the houses. Candles flickered atop the grand hall's offering table. Excited voices and the sound of footsteps created gentle breezes, making the flames on the red candles dance. Shadows shifted across the walls, moving with a soft and flowing rhythm. Wrapped in this interplay of light and shadow, Aniu and Kuyor entered the bridal chamber, their nervousness evident in the slight trembling of their bodies. Bow to the parents. The officiant's voice rang out loudly. There was no bowing to heaven and earth. The people who had once been imprisoned in the demon's cages had not escaped because of divine blessings. They had done so with their own hands, step by step, until their shoes wore through, forging a path to a better tomorrow. Thus, at Aniu's wedding, only the parents of both families were honored. The honest man had once suggested to Su Shi that he wanted to bow to him as well, to show his gratitude for everything Su Shi had done for him. But Su Shi only smiled and refused. Aniu, the one who truly kept you alive wasn't me, it was you. If you really want to thank me, just send me some wheat from the autumn harvest. Who? Dressed in his formal wedding attire, Aniu followed the officiant's guidance and completed the final bow with his bride, whose head was covered with a red silk cloth. The crowd erupted in loud cheers. The energy of blood and qi, the strength of martial arts, resonated above the house. Among them were the people of the Kaiuhuo army, as well as some new friends Aniu had made in this world. One of them was Wang Dali, a muscular warrior who had once participated with Su Shi in the Heavenly Sword Sect's ruins. At this moment, he was a tearful giant, loudly declaring, Brother Aniu, you must be happy. The scene was so comical and joyful that Su Shi couldn't help but chuckle. It went smoother than expected. Well, of course. Why would there be any unexpected incidents? At the wedding banquet, Su Shi picked up his chopsticks and took a bite of tender stir-fried shrimp, savoring the taste as he slowly chewed. At the same time, he withdrew his spiritual awareness from the wedding house. From start to finish, he had been watching over Aniu's wedding, ensuring its safety and preventing any sudden mishaps. Fortunately, everything went well. Nothing happened. Following the traditions, after the couple completed their bows, they headed into the inner room to perform more detailed rituals. Aunt Zhang took this matter very seriously, reminding Aniu over and over again. Mother, I got it. Aniu responded with a goofy smile. As the newlyweds entered the inner chamber, the spacious hall was left to the guests, who continued drinking and enjoying the festivities. Su Shi and Yingxiu's situation was somewhat special. They had a whole table to themselves, draped in red. The dishes were abundant, a mix of hot and cold. Su Shi ate slowly, savoring his food, his gaze reflecting the passage of time. I hope Aniu can always be happy from now on, he silently wished in his heart. There was no longer a shortage of rice. No one had to starve anymore. Naturally, little Mr. Aniu deserved his own happiness. Sir, open your mouth. A voice reached his ears. Su Shi instinctively opened his mouth. By the time a crispy fried meatball landed in it, he realized what had just happened. Yingxiu had fed him. Sir, it's a joyous occasion. You shouldn't look so serious. Come on, eat more. Yingxiu sat beside him, dressed in a light green gown, her hair adorned with floral hairpins. Her eyes curved into crescent moons as she smiled. Then, moving faster than lightning, she stacked food onto Su Shi's plate, forming a small mountain of dishes. The embroidered sleeves of her robe moved fluidly as her hands worked, subtly outlining the shape of her slender arms. Yingxiu. Yes, sir. Actually, I'm not that hungry. Yingxiu blinked. It seemed she had instinctively assumed that Su Shi's appetite was the same as hers and had prepared too much food for him. If he didn't eat it, wouldn't all her efforts be in vain? It's fine, Yingxiu. Su Shi noticed her embarrassment and chuckled. I can definitely finish this. Just don't add any more. Really, sir? Really? Su Shi picked up his chopsticks and resumed eating at a leisurely pace. Yingxiu sat beside him. Perhaps because she was wearing a gown, her movements were gentler than usual, her eating refined and graceful. Every so often, she would adjust her appearance. She would brush aside stray strands of hair from her forehead. She would reposition her hairpin. She would smooth out the folds in her collar. Did Sir notice any imperfections? Would he find them unpleasant? Should she be even more meticulous, make herself even more elegant, so she could leave a better impression on him? As these thoughts circled in her mind, Yingxu's eating slowed even further. She even lost a bit of her appetite. The sunlight was warm, its rays hazy and soft, much like the uncertainty lingering in her heart. In the end, she abandoned those unnecessary thoughts. Because Su Shi had noticed her fidgeting and lightly flicked her forehead. You already look great. No need to change anything. Sir said she looked great. Sir said it himself. So, with a satisfied chuckle, Yingxu finally relaxed. She continued eating from the wedding feast while imitating Su Shi, observing the guests and witnessing Anyu's life-changing moment. Sir, are you very interested in marriage? She suddenly asked. Su Shi thought for a moment and shook his head. Not really. I just wanted to see Anyu's wedding through to the end. Time passed silently. It moved ever forward. The once honest young man who had followed behind Su Shi, calling him Big Brother Su at every turn, had now reached the stage of settling down and starting a family. Su Shi smiled as he watched, happy to witness that growth and feeling a sense of fulfillment. Then, Yingxu hesitated before speaking again. Sir, have you ever thought about when you might get married? Her fingers toyed with her hair, sometimes twisting it into multiple loops, sometimes letting it go completely. She asked the question while tilting her head slightly away, her tone light and casual as if she were just making idle conversation. I haven't really given it much thought. Su Shi answered honestly. Oh, Yingxu's eyes narrowed slightly, drawing out her response. She put down her chopsticks, brought her hand to her lips, and let out a few soft coughs. Cough, 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 cough. It sounded as though she was clearing her throat, but it also seemed as if she was gathering her courage. Taking a deep breath, she met Su Shi's curious gaze and solemnly declared, Sir, I have a bold proposal. Anyu's wedding banquet had come to an end. Night had fallen. Lanterns hung high, their soft red glow swaying gently at the entrance, casting light on a festive future and the promise of a new home. Moonlight cascaded from the sky in delicate strands, gradually merging with the warm red hues of celebration. Anyu, take this. Before leaving, Su Shi smiled and handed Anyu a few more gifts. There were pills to heal the body and treasures to protect his home, quite a few of them. In fact, Su Shi couldn't help but worry about the simple-minded man. So, in this special way, he blessed and safeguarded Anyu's future. Let's go, Yingxu. It's time to go home. Yes, sir. Under the starry sky on their journey back, Su Shi once again carried the exhausted Wu Yingxu on his back. The girl claimed that she had used up all her strength fighting the three great demons and could only rest if Su Shi carried her. Whether Su Shi believed her or not was another matter. She certainly believed it herself. Yingxu. What is it, sir? Has anyone ever told you that when you lie, you tend to stare at your toes? In the end, Su Shi still carried Wu Yingxu back to the courtyard. Feeling guilty, she remained completely silent the entire way. Good evening, brother. Could you step inside first? I need to have a sparring match with Miss Wu. At the entrance of the courtyard, Molly had been waiting early. Her expression was sweet and obedient as she smiled, walked up to Su Shi, and forcibly pulled Wu Yingxu away. With that, the two of them shattered the void and disappeared to an unknown place, leaving Su Shi standing alone. Are the stars unusually bright tonight? The night wind was cool, rustling the grass. The faint sounds of insects crawling through the silence made the night seem even quieter. Su Shi stood in the courtyard, looking up at the night sky. The stars shimmered in brilliant clusters, the vast and boundless galaxy fluctuating with waves of light. Compared to that, Earth felt particularly peaceful, like a quiet sanctuary. It's getting late. I should get some rest. Brushing off his thoughts, Su Shi smiled and walked toward his bedroom. His younger sister and Wu Yingxiu were not children. Once their sparring session was over, they would return on their own. There was no need for him to worry. Thus, upon returning to his room, Su Shi soon fell asleep. And he dreamed. In his dream, chaos surged. Four strange lights clashed violently against one another. The collisions were fierce, turbulent, so much so that the dream world itself appeared shattered and fragmented. Su Shi watched with great interest. What puzzled him, however, was that the scene had somehow turned into an odd 3-against-1 battle. The red light was being suppressed. It could only defend itself passively. The next day, Su Shi woke up in his bed. Looking at the gentle spring sunlight outside the window, he couldn't help but murmur, that was quite a strange dream. As time passed, Su Shi's life returned to tranquility. Cultivation, gardening, fishing. His daily routine was simple, no different from that of an ordinary person. The girls were also well behaved. Aside from Wu Yingxiu frequently going out, the other three had their own things to keep them busy and never gave Su Shi any trouble. Spring winds blew, flowers bloomed, and the many plants in the courtyard regained their full beauty. New buds sprouted at the tips of branches, bursting with life under the sunlight. Su Shi cherished this peace, the quiet serenity of his courtyard. Yet, from time to time, he found himself facing some rather difficult choices. Master, please have some tea. Master, please have some soup. The witch and the mechanical servant stood quietly, waiting for Su Shi to decide. Whenever this happened, Su Shi had no choice but to use time-space manipulation to taste both their dishes at the same time. It was a strange method, but it worked. To him, life in the courtyard remained as beautiful and peaceful as ever. Of course, he didn't always stay in the courtyard. Occasionally, he would travel to different places to witness Earth's evolution and explore the various ruins appearing across the world. Molly and the others seemed to be close to succeeding with their plan. Lately, the recorded data on Earth's advancement in the Transcendent Bureau has been growing more exaggerated. It's almost as if the records can't keep up with the changes. At this rate, Earth will soon become a world of its own. Traveling across the planet, slaying troublesome demons, and observing the rapid geological changes alongside the newly emerging ruins, Su Shi couldn't help but feel a sense of nostalgia. After all, the core reason behind Earth's transformation was him. Whether it was the perfect life simulator or the four supreme beings living in his home, they all had an undeniable connection to him. That being said, what should I simulate next? The three aspects of chi, essence, and spirit have all been thoroughly explored. The sci-fi aspect, while not directly enhancing my strength, has provided a unique observational perspective. Yinshan City, the courtyard. Beneath the swaying treetops, Su Shi sat in the midst of shimmering green light, summoning the simulation panel to review his available world choices. Bloodline side, fantasy side, urban side, necromancy side. There were countless worlds, endless planes. Each possibility branched into countless subworlds, filled with infinite cultures and histories. For any transcendent being, such opportunities were invaluable treasures. But for Su Shi, they were simply options. Cultivation, magic, martial arts, sci-fi. After 4 simulations and their corresponding supreme rewards, cross-referencing and analyzing them has already given me a clear path forward. After all, these paths are interconnected. The only difference lies in which domain one specializes in. If martial arts reaches its peak, the soul becomes as strong as the body. If magic is cultivated to the extreme, even the physical body can contain chaos itself. Therefore, for the 5th simulation, I should focus on a more unique experience. As he pondered, compared, and searched, the golden spring sunlight cast an intricate pattern over his eyelashes. After a moment of deep thought, Su Shi's gaze fell upon the necromancy side. A world ruled by death and spirits. That was the definition of the necromancy side. Su Shi had read about it in the records of the Transcendent Bureau. Within these necromantic ruins existed undead creatures such as ghosts, bone dragons, and liches. There were still living beings in those worlds. But the power of the dead was much stronger, overturning the natural balance and taking control. A world of the dead, huh? Now that I think about it, in my past simulations, death has always marked the end. I've never truly experienced death and the soul. Perhaps this time, things will be different. Su Shi contemplated, lost in thought. At present, he lacked nothing. With Krisha's help, he had even obtained the power of death itself. But fundamentally, that was Krisha's power, not something he had comprehended himself. So why not take this opportunity, while opening a new simulation, to explore the very essence of the simulator itself while gaining insight into the world of the dead? In that case, the world for the 5th simulation shall be the necromancy side. Su Shi traced his finger across his storage ring and retrieved a large number of necromantic artifacts, feeding them into the simulator one by one. Ding! Necromancy side anchor point medium loading progress, +1%, +1%, +1%, +1%. Transcendent items dissolved into nothingness at a speed visible to the naked eye. In their place, the simulation panel's progress bar rapidly surged forward. From its initial 0%, it skyrocketed to the maximum limit of 100%. This was the power of pay to win. Soon, as the loading bar filled, new prompts appeared on the simulator panel. Necromancy side anchor point medium loading complete. Congratulations, host has obtained a simulation attempt. Would you like to begin your beautiful simulated life? Current available simulations, 1. The voice and text appeared simultaneously, reminding Su Shi that he could start the simulation at any time. He didn't confirm immediately. Instead, he turned his gaze toward the courtyard in the real world. In the courtyard, the silver-haired witch silently pruned the dragon blood grass. The mechanical servant stood by the fish pond, sprinkling unknown bait into the water, feeding the fish. Extending his spiritual sense toward the house, Su Shi saw Molly and Wu Yingxiu inside the kitchen, experimenting with a new dish. However, faced with the charred mess before them, both had fallen into silence. Perfect, everyone is here. Su Shi nodded. Enhancing his strength through simulation was only a secondary goal. More importantly, he wanted to capture the brief spatial temporal fluctuations at the moment the simulation began, using Molly and the others to observe it. Krisha mentioned last time that when I initiated the 4th simulation, my existence vanished entirely from reality. In that case, before starting this simulation, I can have Krisha and the others preemptively seal the surrounding space-time. Perhaps it will lead to some new discoveries. With that thought, Su Shi called the 4 girls to his side and asked them to help seal off the courtyard's time-space environment. Understood, brother. Molly will remember this. Yes, master. Since Sir has summoned me, of course, I shall assist. Alii is honored to serve you, master. The girls nodded in agreement, each using their respective methods to forcibly isolate the courtyard's spacetime from Earth's consciousness. They also protected Su Shi's body inside and out, preventing any form of spacetime detachment. Would this actually work? Su Shi wasn't sure, but he felt it was a possible breakthrough. Whether it worked or not, it had to be tested. Brother, is this enough? Yes, Molly. You've all done well. Su Shi smiled at the girls, sensing his existence being tightly locked within this isolated spacetime. Without further delay, he activated the fifth simulation. Simulation initializing. World line being calculated. Confirmed world, necromancy side. Generating traits. Traits generated. Please select 3 traits to define your simulated life. Traits are ranked: white, green, blue, purple, gold, red. Available traits. Bone growth, blue. Your bones are exceptionally hard and can continuously grow. After death, you may become an elite skeleton. Cycle of life and death, purple. Your soul is unique, possessing deep insight into life and death. Carrion digestion, green. You can consume rotten flesh and extract nutrients from it. With this ability, your survival rate will surpass that of ordinary people. Thinker, blue. You are good at reasoning and summarizing experiences, possessing the potential to become a scholar. Soul collector, gold. You are not a reaper, but you surpass one. Those who perish by your hand will become the stepping stones for your progress. Swimming, white. You swim faster than human children under 10 years old. No red traits. Well, that's within expectations. At least I have gold and purple as a baseline. Su Shi scanned the list and quickly selected 2 traits. Cycle of life and death, purple. Soul collector, gold. For the final trait, after a brief moment of thought, he chose Thinker, blue. Among the remaining options, this was the best one available. 1 gold, 1 purple, 1 blue. This would be the final selection for the 5th simulation. Not exactly outstanding, but more than sufficient for experiencing the world of the dead and studying the power of souls. Traits selected. Begin simulation. Confirm. A sense of detachment. A sense of chaos. A sense of losing oneself. The moment Su Shi confirmed the simulation, multiple familiar sensations overwhelmed his consciousness, forcefully ejecting him from his physical body. It had been a while. Once again, Su Shi witnessed that mysterious sight. All things in existence froze in place. Light became still. Sound ceased. Only the 4 supreme beings before him could still move, their gazes locked onto him. Did the preemptive spacetime seal actually work? Su Shi was surprised. He could clearly see the 4 girls unleashing their supreme power, their movements slow but deliberate as they attempted to capture something. But even at that pace, they were still a step behind the simulator. Buzz. Spacetime shattered. Consciousness leaped. Su Shi lost control as he was pulled away from reality. He soared through an endless expanse, an infinite thread of white spacetime lines stretching in every direction. Every minute, every second, every fraction of a second. Countless time-space lines branched out further, symbolizing infinite possibilities. Su Shi was passively drawn into one of those fine threads. Simulation #05 officially begins. You open your eyes and find yourself sitting in a courtyard. The only things before you are familiar plants and trees. There are no girls present. You are accustomed to this and feel no surprise. You do not move. You simply sit quietly, gazing at the sky, waiting for something to arrive. Soon, a familiar rumbling sound echoes in your ears. In the sky, on the ground, in space, or in the water. Your heart remains calm as you ponder how your old friend will appear this time. Finally, you see them approaching. From the sky, from the earth, from space itself, countless heavy-duty trucks with massive branding lights charge toward you in the courtyard. You smile in resignation. You are launched into the air by a convoy of trucks. A violent impact. A shock that reached deep into his lungs. For a fleeting moment, his internal organs were crushed, only to rapidly rebound to their normal state. Su Shi couldn't describe the experience in words. His face turned pale as he fought back the urge to vomit. He felt himself teetering dangerously close to death. Perfect life simulator. Wonderful. Truly wonderful. Finally, it stopped. After an unknown amount of time, his body finally stabilized. What appeared before his eyes was a strange landscape he had never seen before. Congratulations. You have been transmigrated. After being hit by a truck, you have successfully arrived in another world. You open your eyes and find the world before you shrouded in darkness. The sky is dim, the land is desolate, scattered with bones and countless gravestones. You awaken in a mass grave, the only living being in sight. You have no dog, no weapons, no supplies. You start with nothing. The only thing you possess is the healthy body of an 18-year-old, your sole asset for surviving in this foreign world. The night was pitch black. Even the moonlight was cut off. Gravestones stood tall, human bones lay askew, and the eerie wind howled like grinding teeth, piercing through the air. When Su Shi opened his eyes, this was the sight that greeted him. There was no sign of life. Everything was steeped in silence. Crunch, crunch. With every step he took across the mass grave, something shattered beneath his feet, producing crisp cracking sounds and fragments scattering further. Well, this is exactly what I expected from the necromancy side, huh? A gloomy start, dumping me right in the middle of a graveyard. The night was thick and heavy. The wind whistled through the air. A suffocating deathly aura loomed over the sky, blocking out all celestial bodies, erasing the distinction between day and night. People feared such a world, yet they were powerless against it. This was the world's law, a disaster beyond human control. The only thing they could do was accept it, adapt to it. Suddenly, a violent storm raged across the land, sweeping everything into the air. For a brief moment, it scattered the deathly mist, revealing a blood-red moon hanging ominously in the sky. Su Shi saw it. A colossal skeletal form, its bones massive and unyielding, soared through the sky with wings as wide as sails. Within the hollow sockets of its dragon skull, a deep blue soul flame flickered, casting an eerie glow. It was an undead dragon, a creature standing at the pinnacle of the undead hierarchy. Even without flesh and blood, with only a skeletal frame remaining, the dragon still ruled the skies, carrying a hazy figure upon its back, soaring toward the distant horizon at incredible speed. Wherever it passed, people trembled in fear, chanting praises to death's supremacy, terrified of the bone dragon's overwhelming power. Yet amidst their fear, there was also envy. If given the chance, they too wished to be that powerful. Necromancers, huh? A transcendent system built upon souls, seeking the truth of the world. Before starting the simulation, I memorized several soul cultivation techniques used by necromancers. But right now, the priority is finding a safe place to stay. Su Shi glanced at his surroundings. The bleak landscape of the mass grave made him sigh in resignation. He had no intention of staying here any longer. Fortunately, after undergoing multiple simulations, he was already accustomed to such grim starting scenarios. A new life begins now. Your adaptability is exceptional. You quickly integrate into a nearby human village. By gathering information, you learn some basic knowledge. This world was once a paradise for the living. It was home to intelligent races such as humans, elves, goblins, dragons, and beastmen. However, 1,000 years ago, an evil necromancer established contact with the abyss of the underworld, a realm where all dead souls reside, the final resting place for wandering spirits. Due to this, the fragile world was gradually corrupted by the underworld, transforming into what it is today, a twisted, chaotic existence where undead calamities erupt from time to time, wiping out entire kingdoms. The living and the dead coexist. History and laws have been rewritten. The deceased can no longer find peace. Everyone now exists within an eternal darkness. Only the necromancers, standing high above, can study and wield the power of souls, allowing them to thrive in this dark world, unafraid of death's grasp. Not everyone can become a necromancer. Just like any transcendent system, there are limitations such as talent and comprehension. Only those with powerful souls are qualified to embark on the path of necromancy, starting from the weakest apprentice and ascending step by step. You smile, your soul is incredibly unique, making you a born necromancer. You formulate a development strategy. Fortify your defenses, stockpile resources, and bide your time before making a move. Interacting with other necromancers or exploring deeper necromantic knowledge is not your immediate priority. You decide to remain in the nearby human village and use the soul cultivation techniques you brought from the real world to first advance to an apprentice necromancer. Only after gaining some strength will you consider other options. 6 months later, in an unremarkable human village, on the isolated outskirts, Su Shi sat cross-legged in silence, surrounded by scattered objects. There were undead bones scavenged from the mass grave, along with coarse emergency rations. The environment was filthy, emitting an unbearable stench. But since he planned to leave soon, he didn't care much about it. Tisk. When I build my own necromancer tower, the first thing I'll do is set up an automatic cleaning spell. But for now, I should focus on advancing to an apprentice necromancer first. Muttering to himself, Su Shi grabbed a piece of rough black bread and forced himself to chew through the tough texture, easing the hunger gnawing at his stomach. Then, he activated the necromantic cultivation technique. His soul and spirit resonated. Life and death intertwined. Wisps of ghostly blue soul fire emerged from the pile of skeletons in the room, dissipating into the air, fueling his advancement. Compared to the bone dragon he had seen before, these soul flames were minuscule. They wouldn't help much. But Su Shi was special. With the cycle of life and death trait, even these tiny traces of soul fire were enough for him to become an apprentice necromancer. A breakthrough instantly achieved. You have become an apprentice necromancer. Though you've just broken through and lack accumulated time and knowledge, your soul has already begun to transform, making you fundamentally different from ordinary people. You start learning apprentice-level spells. Most newly advanced apprentices can only master 1 or 2 spells, but due to your exceptional talent, your limit is directly raised to 20. You work hard, dedicating yourself to meditation and engraving multiple apprentice-level spell structures into your soul. You have successfully gained the ability to protect yourself. From today onward, you no longer need to sneak up behind skeleton soldiers and bash their skulls in with a wooden stick. Now that you have become a noble spellcaster, you can choose a more elegant method of execution. Spells such as Acid Splash and Bone Fracture seem particularly suitable to you. You leave the human village where you lived for the past 6 months. This area is remote, safe from large-scale undead calamities. However, it also lacks the necessary resources for a necromancer to grow, making it unsuitable for long-term research. As you journey forward, searching for a larger human city, you encounter various undead creatures. Ding! You have slain a skeleton soldier. Soul Collector effect triggered. A portion of the dissipating soul fire has been absorbed as your own power. You have grown stronger. Su Shi traveled steadily, cultivating while testing his trait effects. The cycle of life and death trait granted him exceptional necromancer talent and a unique perception of life and death. The thinker trait kept his mind calm and allowed him to analyze knowledge more efficiently. And the soul collector trait, whether it was a living being or an undead, anything that perished by his hand would have a portion of its soul fire intercepted before reaching the underworld. It could be used for research, or to strengthen himself. What kind of messed up world is this? Su Shi muttered. Your journey is long and lonely, but you are already used to it. After 20 days of traveling with intermittent stops, you finally reach a small city. Unlike villages, it has fortified walls and scattered necromancers living within it. Like you, they are only apprentice necromancers, not full-fledged sorcerers. Yet in this small city, even apprentice necromancers hold high status, revered and respected by countless ordinary people. After some thought, you decide to settle here temporarily. This year, you are 18 years old. The presence of the cycle of life and death and soul collector traits accelerates your soul's transformation. You focus solely on cultivation, rejecting all invitations to feasts and gatherings. The only time you leave your meditative state is when the apprentice necromancers hold meetings, where you go to exchange knowledge. You learn the complete structure of necromancer ranks. The hierarchy in the world of necromancers is based on rings. Zero-ring necromancer apprentices merely have stronger souls compared to ordinary people. A formal necromancer, a one-ring sorcerer, possesses distinct transcendent qualities. Their study of souls is deep enough to engrave spell structures directly into their own soul. At this stage, a necromancer has already transcended life and death. The boundary between the living and the dead blurs. 1 ring, 2 ring, 3 ring, 4 ring, until the legendary peak of 7-ring necromancers, who achieve true immortality, with souls unrestricted by the underworld. Some even enter the underworld and become eternal sovereigns, ruling over a layer of the soul realm. Year 2 of the simulation. You are 19 years old. Your cultivation progresses rapidly, and without anyone realizing it, your soul reaches the apprentice's peak limit. In your heart, you silently thank the countless skeleton soldiers who contributed to your growth. You begin selecting your soul-engraved life spell, which will serve as the foundation for your future progression. You ponder this choice for a long time. Year 3 of the simulation. You are 20 years old. Your apprentice soul reaches its absolute limit. No longer suppressing your progress, you seize the moment amidst a tide of soul energy and engrave your life spell. 1 ring necromancy, life decay. This is the most compatible spell you could find for your cycle of life and death trait, bridging both life and death. Breakthrough. Advancement. Stabilization. Your rank transitions to a 1-ring necromancer. You distinctly sense your soul sharpening, granting you a deeper understanding of the death aura that pervades the world. This is a brand new perspective, different from the one you had when sharing the witch's power. You keep a low profile and do not announce your advancement. Instead, on a silent night, you quietly leave the small city you have lived in for 2 years. Once again, your journey resumes. Your next destination, either a region teeming with undead or a necromancer gathering site. The former will strengthen your soul, while the latter will grant access to the knowledge you seek. Both are equally important to you. Fortunately, now that you have become a formal necromancer, you possess more methods and spells, sparing you the embarrassment of traveling on foot. The simulation progressed smoothly, though it was filled with obstacles. In his previous simulations, Su Shi had often stayed in one place for long periods. But this time, in the necromancy side simulation, he was constantly on the move. The reason was simple: the world was in ruins, with vast regions reduced to barren wastelands. Ghosts, skeletons, and mutated corpses, these made up the world's daily reality. Though he had collected a significant amount of soul fire, greatly shortening his cultivation time, the endless death and desolation around him still felt unsettling. This simulation isn't about power advancement. I only need to meet the minimum requirements: the ability to research souls. In the real world, as long as I comprehend the essence of this knowledge, my strength will naturally evolve. Compared to that, becoming a high-level necromancer is just a bonus. Once I find a suitable place, I'll establish my own necromancer tower and settle down. Seated atop a wingless bone bird, Su Shi closed his eyes, contemplating his next steps. Souls. Death. These were the primary themes of his 5th simulation and his main research focus. Su Shi believed that with the cycle of life and death trait, it was only a matter of time before he discovered something significant. Lately, I've been using up soul fire too quickly. Time to replenish it. Su Shi paused his flight, directing his bone bird downward. He intended to find the nearest village to restock supplies while eliminating some undead to collect soul fire. Whoosh. Su Shi was in luck. Before long, he spotted his target. A small village under attack by undead. The undead were not numerous, only about 20. Su Shi descended in advance, just as he was preparing to cast his necromantic spells. A rusted, armor-clad hand blocked his path. Outsider, stand back. This is a matter for the hero. Su Shi, a hero? In this world? Was this a joke? The thick metal armor was covered in dark brown mud, its surface marred with rust and scratches. Full coverage. Full plating. A completely enclosed suit of armor concealed the figure within. Only a hollow voice echoed from within the helmet, commanding Su Shi to step aside. The unidentified hero strode forward alone, clad in iron armor and wielding a long sword. With swift movements, they launched an assault, rescuing one villager after another from the undead horde. Their iron boots crunched over brittle, decayed bones. Their longsword sliced through the air, snuffing out soul flames. Ah, it's the hero's holy sword. A rescued villager exclaimed in awe, pointing excitedly at the armored figure. Su Shi followed their gaze and saw it. A faint spiritual glow emanating from the sword's blade. The light shimmered, making the sword stand out in this sunless world, as though it were a beacon of hope, illuminating the despair in people's eyes. Look, it's the hero's holy light. Another villager cheered. The armored figure moved with swift strides, clenched their fist, and a punch coated in a milky white glow smashed through a skeleton soldier's skull. Hero! Hero! The battle ended. The villagers erupted in celebration, their cheers filling the air. A little girl ran out from the crowd, offering the armored figure a woven grass ring. Su Shi, standing off to the side, frowned. The holy sword? The holy light? Something felt off. The holy light from earlier, if his guess was correct, was nothing but an illusion. The sword? The light? Their offensive power was extremely limited. I see. It's all brute force, isn't it? Su Shi shifted his gaze downward, focusing on the armored figure's hands. And yet, with such raw strength, there was no need for them to masquerade as a hero to save people. Why go out of their way to fabricate a hero's identity? It wasn't necessary, was it?
Hello, everyone! As we wrap up this video, I want to share a quick note. I have a Patreon account. If you'd like to support me and enjoy on-demand audiobooks, you can become a Patreon member. Alternatively, you can check out my Google Drive link, which has 500+ novel audiobooks available through my Ko-fi or Patreon shop. I appreciate your support.